Hey guys,
Hey guys,
tonight we slip into the rugged, untamed world of cavemen, where every dawn is a gritty fight to survive.
Picture this. You're curled up on a bed of furs, the air thick with the musky scent of earth and smoke. Outside, a wolf howls, and the first rays of sunlight creep into your cave, painting the walls in a soft golden glow. Your stomach growls loud enough to scare off a saber-toothed cat. You're about to live a day in the life of a caveman. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this without some serious luck. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I love knowing where you're chilling as we dive into this prehistoric vibe.
I love
Now,
knowing where you're chilling
dim the lights,
as we dive
maybe turn
into
on a
this
fan for that soft
prehistoric
background
vibe.
hum, and let's
Now
ease into
dim the
tonight's
lights,
journey
maybe
together.
turn on a fan for that
You blink
soft
awake,
background
your breath
hum,
fogging in the
and
chilly
let's
cave
ease into
air.
tonight's journey
It's
together.
dawn, and your body's
You blink
already on
awake,
high
your
alert,
breath fogging
tuned to
in
the sounds of
chilly
the
cave
wild
air.
beyond
It's
the rocky
dawn,
walls.
and your body's already on high alert.
No
tuned
snooze
to the
button here,
sounds of
just
the
the
wild
distant roar of
beyond
a
the
cave
rocky
lion
walls.
to kickstart your heart.
No snooze
You roll
button
off
here,
the furs,
just the
your bare
distant
feet
roar of
hitting
a
the
cave
cold
lion
stone
to
floor,
kickstart your
and
heart.
stretch,
You
feeling
roll
every
off the
ache from
furs,
yesterday's
your
hunt.
bare feet hitting the
Your
cold
clan
stone
still
floor,
snoring,
and
their
stretch,
shapes
feeling
barely
every
visible in
ache
the
from
dim
yesterday's
light.
hunt.
First
Your
things
clan
first,
still snoring,
you need to
their
get
shapes
moving,
barely
warm
visible
up,
in the dim light.
and figure out what's on today's
First
survival
things first,
to-do list.
you need to get moving,
Cavemen
warm up,
didn't
and
have coffee,
figure out what's on
but they
today's
had their own morning
survival
rituals
to-do
to
list.
shake off the grogginess.
Cavemen didn't have coffee,
You
but
shuffle
they
to
had
the
their own
cave's
morning
mouth,
rituals to
squinting
shake
at the
off the
pink-streaked
grogginess.
sky.
You
The
shuffle to the
mainstream
cave's
historical
mouth,
fact is
squinting
that
at
early
the
humans,
pink-streaked sky.
like those from
the
the Upper
mainstream historical
Paleolithic,
fact is
lived in
that early
small,
humans, like
tight-knit
those from the
groups,
Upper Paleolithic,
often in
lived in
caves or
small,
temporary shelters,
tight-knit groups,
relying on their wits
often
to
in
survive.
caves or temporary
You grab
shelters,
a stick and poke at the
relying
embers
on
of
their
last
wits
night's
to
fire,
survive.
coaxing a flicker
You
of
grab a
flame back to
stick
life.
and poke at the embers
It's not
of
just for
last
warmth
night's
fires,
fire,
your lifeline,
coaxing
scaring
a
off
flicker of
predators
flame
and
back
signaling
to
your
life.
clan's presence.
It's not just for warmth.
Now, here's a
Fire's your
quirky
lifeline, scaring off
Some
predators
archaeologists found
and
evidence
signaling
that
your clan's
Neanderthals might be
presence.
chewed on resinous bark, like a
Here's a quirky
prehistoric
tidbit.
gum, possibly
Some
to freshen their
archaeologists
breath or
found
soothe their
evidence that
gums.
Neanderthals
Imagine
might
you're
have chewed
chomping on some
resinous
sticky
bark,
tree sap,
like a
the
prehistoric
bitter taste
gum,
waking you up
possibly
faster
to
than any
freshen their
espresso
breath
shot.
or soothe
Not
their
exactly
gums.
minty fresh, but it's better
Imagine
than
you're
yesterday's
chomping on
mammoth
some
breath.
sticky tree sap,
You spit
the
it out,
bitter taste
chuckling at the
waking you
thought
up
of your
faster
clanmate
than
grub,
any espresso
who
shot.
swears it makes him
It's not
irresistible
exactly
to the
minty
ladies.
fresh, but it's
Spoiler,
better than
it
yesterday's mammoth breath.
You step outside,
You spit it
the
out,
dew-soaked
chuckling at
grass
the thought of your
tickling your
clanmate
toes.
Grug,
The
who
world's
swears
alive
it makes
birds
him
chirp,
irresistible to
a
the
river
ladies.
gurgles nearby,
Spoiler, it
and
doesn't.
something rustles in the
You
bushes.
step outside, the
Could be
dew-soaked
breakfast,
grass
something
tickling
that
your
sees
toes.
you as breakfast.
The world's alive
You grab a
birds
crude
chirp,
wooden spear,
a river
its
gurgles
tip blackened
nearby,
from fire
and
hardening,
something
and
rustles
scan
in the
the
bushes.
horizon.
Could be breakfast.
Historians still
or
argue
something
whether
that
early
sees you
humans
as
were more
breakfast.
scavengers or
You
active
grab a
hunters at this
crude
stage.
wooden spear,
But
its
one thing's
tip
clear.
blackened from
You
fire
read,
hardening,
not waiting
and
for food
scan
to
the
stroll into your
horizon.
cave.
Historians
Your
still
morning
argue
routine
whether early
isn't
humans
just
were more
about waking up at
scavengers
S
or
about preparing
active
for
hunters
whatever
at
the
this
day
stage.
throws at you.
But one thing's clear.
You crouch by
You're
the
not
stream,
waiting for food to stroll
splashing
into
icy
your cave.
water on your face.
Your morning routine isn't just
shock's
about waking
brutal,
up.
but it
It's about
sharpens your
preparing
senses.
for whatever the day
You
throws
scoop a
at you.
handful of clay from
You
the
crouch
bank
by the
and smear it
stream,
on your
splashing
arms.
icy water
A trick
on
your
your
clan
face.
swears
The
keeps
shock's
bugs
brutal,
at bay.
but it sharpens
Does
your
it work?
senses.
It probably
You
not.
scoop a handful of clay
But it
from
makes
the
you
bank
feel like a warrior,
and smear
so
it
you
on
go
your
with
arms,
it.
a trick your clan
You
swears
glance back
keeps
at the
bugs
cave,
at bay.
where the others are
Does it
stirring,
work?
their grunts and
It
yawns
probably
echoing
not,
like a
but
prehistoric
it makes you feel like a
orchestra.
warrior, so
Next,
you go with it.
you check your gear.
You glance back at the
Your
cave
flint knife
where the
chipped
others
to
are
a
stirring
razor's
their
edge
grunts
hangs
and
from a
yawns
leather
echoing
thong
like
around
a
your neck.
prehistoric orchestra.
You test its sharpness,
Next, you check your
nicking
gear.
your thumb yep.
Your flint
Still
knife
good.
chipped to a razor's
You also
edge
grab a
hangs
woven
from
reed
a leather
basket,
thong around
perfect
your
for
neck.
carrying whatever you
You test
scavenged
its
today.
sharpness,
nicking
These
your
tools
thumb,
aren't just
yet
objects.
still good.
They're extensions of you.
You also grab
crafted
a
with
woven
hours of
reed
sweat and
basket
curses
perfect
when
for
the flint
carrying
splintered
whatever
wrong.
you scavenged today.
You smirk,
These tools
remembering
aren't
the
just
time
objects.
you tried to upgrade
They're
your spear with a
extensions of you,
fancy bone tip,
crafted with hours
only
of
for it
sweat
to
and
snap
curses
mid-throw.
when the flint splintered wrong.
Live and learn,
You
right?
smirk, remembering
The
the
clan's
time you
awake
tried
now,
to upgrade your
and the
spear
cave
with a
buzzes
fancy
with
bone
low
tip,
chatter.
only for
Kids
it to
toddle
snap
around,
mid-throw.
mimicking your spear grip,
Live and
while
learn
the elders
right.
mutter about the weather.
The clan's
You
awake
take a
now,
moment to stretch
and the
again,
cave buzzes
loosening
with low
your
chatter.
shoulders for the day's work.
Kids toddle around,
A caveman's
mimicking your
life
spear
is
grip,
physical.
while
Every
the elders
task,
mutter about the
from
weather.
hunting to hauling wood,
You take a moment to
demands
stretch
strength
again,
and stamina.
loosening your shoulders for the
You
day's
jog in
work.
place, your
A
breath
caveman's
puffing
life
in the
is
crisp
physical.
air,
Every task,
feeling the blood
from
pump
hunting
through
to
your
hauling
veins.
wood, demands
It's not
strength
CrossFit,
and
but
stamina.
it's close enough.
You jog in place,
Before heading out,
your breath
you share
puffing
a
in the
quick
crisp
meal-dried
air,
berries
feeling the blood
and a strip
pump
of
through your
smoked
veins.
venison from last
It's not
week's kill.
CrossFit, but it's close
chewy,
enough.
tough, and tastes
Before heading
vaguely of
out,
ash.
you share a quick
but it's fuel.
meal-dried berries.
You toss a
strip of
berry to a
smoked
kid who's
venison from
staring
last
at you
week's
with
kill.
wide eyes,
It's
earning a
chewy,
giggle.
tough, and tastes
These
vaguely
moments of
ash,
connection,
but
small
it's
as they
fuel.
are, glue your
You
clan
toss
together.
a berry to a kid who's
You're not just
staring at
surviving
you with
for
wide
yourself.
eyes, earning a giggle.
You're keeping this
These moments of
ragtag family
connection,
alive.
small as they
As
are,
the sun climbs
glue your
higher,
clan together.
you feel the day's
You're not
weight
just
settling
surviving
in.
for yourself.
There's no
You're keeping
clock,
this
but the light tells
ragtag
you it's time to
family
move.
alive.
You sling the
As the
basket
sun
over your
climbs
shoulder,
higher,
grip your
you feel the
spear, and
day's
head
weight
toward the
settling
forest's
in.
edge.
There's
The
no
others will
clock,
follow soon,
but the light tells you
each
it's
with their
time
own
to
tasks,
move.
gathering,
You sling
hunting,
the basket
or
over your
guarding
shoulder,
the cave.
grip your
You pause,
spear, and
taking
head
one
toward
last
the
look at the
forest's
fire.
edge.
Its
The
smoke
others will
curling
follow
like
soon,
a promise
each
of
with
safety.
their own tasks.
Then you step
gathering,
into the wild,
hunting,
ready to
or
face
guarding the
whatever's
cave.
waiting.
You pause,
You're trudging
taking
through the
one
forest,
last look
the
at the
morning
fire,
mist
its
curling
smoke
around your
curling
ankles like a
promise
clingy
of
ghost.
safety. Then
The
you
air's
step into
alive
the
with
wild,
sounds,
ready to face
crickets
whatever's
humming,
waiting.
leaves
You're trudging
whispering,
through the forest,
and the sharp
the
snap
morning
of a
mist
twig that
curling
makes
around
your
your
pulse
ankles
jump.
like a
You're hunting
clingy
breakfast.
ghost.
Not
The
some
air's
epic
alive
mammoth
with
chase,
sounds,
but a
crickets,
small prize
humming
to quiet
leaves
the clan's
whispering,
growling
and the
stomachs.
sharp snap
Your
of a
spear's
twig
heavy
that
in
makes
your
your
hand.
pulse jump.
It's fire-hardened
You're
tip,
hunting
a
breakfast,
trusted ally.
not some epic mammoth
You're
chase,
after something
but a
manageable,
small
a
prize
rabbit,
to quiet the
maybe a
clan's
pigeon,
growling stomachs.
something to keep the kids
Your
from
spear's
whining
heavy
till
in your
lunch.
hand. It's fire
Out here,
hardened
though,
tip,
the
a
forest
trusted
doesn't
ally.
care about your plans.
You're after something manageable.
One wrong step,
a rabbit,
and you're lunch instead.
maybe a pigeon, something to keep
The forest
kids
floor
from
is a
whining
mosaic
till
of
lunch.
shadows and sunlight.
Out here, though, the
You
forest
move
doesn't care
deliberately,
about your plans.
eyes scanning
One wrong
for any
step,
hint of life.
and your lunch instead.
You're not just walking, you're
The forest
decoding the
floor is a
world.
mosaic
Scuffed
of
patch
shadows
of dirt
and
might
sunlight,
signal a deer trail.
and you move deliberately.
Hoffet and fern could mean a
eyes
hare's
scanning
nearby.
for any hint of
Mainstream
life.
archaeology shows
You're not
early
just
humans
walking,
like those in
you're
the Upper
decoding the world.
Paleolithic
A
often
scuffed
hunted
patch
small
of
game
dirt
for
might
quick
signal a
low-risk
deer
protein,
trail.
saving the
A
big hunts
half-eaten
for special
fern
days.
could mean a hare's nearby.
You spot a pile of
Mainstream
droppings,
archaeology
still fresh
shows
and
early
glistening.
humans like those in the Upper
Rabbit,
Paleolithic
definitely.
often
Your
hunted
stomach
small
rumbles,
game for
loud
quick,
enough to
low-risk
startle a
protein,
squirrel.
saving the
You
big
mutter,
hunts for special
"Quiet
days.
you, or we'll
You spot
both
a pile
starve."
of droppings, still
Here's a
fresh
quirky
and glistening.
tidbit.
Rabbit,
Some researchers
definitely.
suggest Neanderthals
Your
might
stomach
use
rumbles loud
bright
enough to
feathers
startle
as
a squirrel.
decoys,
You mutter, "Quiet
waving
you,
them to
or
lure
we'll both
curious
starve."
birds or small animals.
Here's a quirky tidbit
Imagine
some
you
researchers suggest.
twirling a feathered stick
Neanderthals
like a
might have
caveman
used
con
bright
artist,
feathers as
hoping a
decoys,
sparrow takes the
waving
bait.
them to lure
You
curious
give it a try,
birds or small animals.
feeling ridiculous
Imagine
as
you
you flick the
twirling a
stick
feathered
back and
stick
forth.
like a
Nothing
caveman
bites,
con
and you toss
artist,
it aside,
hoping a sparrow
grumbling.
takes the
Guess
bait.
I'm not charming birds today.
You give it a try, feeling
You laugh
ridiculous
softly,
as you
picturing
flick the
Grug
stick
trying the
back
same
and
trick
forth.
and tripping over
Nothing
his own
bites.
ego.
And
I
you toss
see.
it aside, grumbling. Guess I'm not charming birds today. You laugh softly, picturing Grug trying the same trick and tripping over his own ego. You push deeper into the forest, following faint
rabbit tracks toward a clearing.
There, a quick flash of brown fur darts through the tall grass. You freeze, breath-shallow muscles taut like a bowstring.
Muscles taut
The
like a
rabbit
bowstring.
pauses, nose twitching,
rabbit pauses,
unaware of you blending
nose
into the
twitching,
ferns.
Unaware
You
of you
raise your
blending
spear,
into the ferns.
aim carefully, and let
You
it
raise
fly.
your spear,
Thud
aim
the
carefully,
spear grazes a bush, missing by inches.
Thud the spear grazes a bush,
bolts,
missing
and
by
you curse
inches.
under your breath,
The
jogging
rabbit
after
bolts.
it.
and you curse under your breath,
still argue
jogging
whether early
after it.
humans leaned more on
Historians
endurance,
still argue whether
hunting,
early
running
humans
prey
leaned
to
more on
exhaustion,
endurance, hunting,
or
running
stealthy
prey to
ambushes like this
exhaustion,
one.
or stealthy ambushes
Right
like
now,
this one.
you're batting zero,
and
it stings.
stings.
The chase takes you
past
a patch of wild strawberries,
their red jewels
peeking from the
undergrowth.
You kneel,
popping
a few into
your mouth.
Their tartness, a sharp wake-up call.
You stuff a handful into your reed basket,
knowing the kids will wrestle for them back at the cave. The forest's your pantry. But it's a dangerous one.
No
aisles, just the chance
of a boar deciding you're
trespassing. You smirk, imagining explaining to the clan how you got chased by a pig over a berry snack. A rustle stops you dead. Not the rabbit, something heavier.
You duck behind a gnarled oak, peering through
the leaves.
A fox slinks past
a limp vole in its jaws.
Clever fox,
you think.
But you're not here to
steal its meal.
You note its path for later where there's one snack. There's usually more.
You adjust your
spear.
Its blackened tip catching a stray sunbeam.
This spear's your lifeline, crafted with sweat and a few choice grunts when the wood split wrong. You pat it, whispering. Let's not mess this up again.
The
trail leads to a babbling stream. Its muddy banks soft underfoot. You spot fresh tracks, rabbit, maybe a pair. Studying the prints like a puzzle. Feeling like the Sherlock of the Stone Age. The water's crystal clear, tempting.
The water's crystal clear, tempting.
Last time you spent a day regretting it with a stomachache from hell.
You
splash your face instead, the cold snapping your senses awake. A bird calls above, and you glance up, half expecting it to jeer at your empty
basket.
Across the stream, a rabbit munches on clover. You wade into the water, grimacing as the icy current bites your calves.
You wade into the water, grimacing
cautious
as the
step.
icy current bites your calves.
You close the distance, spear at the ready.
Cautious step.
The rabbit tenses,
the distance, spear
sensing
at the ready.
danger.
The rabbit tenses,
you hold your breath,
sensing danger.
arm poised.
You hold your breath.
This time your
poised.
throw's perfect.
This time
the spear pins the rabbit to the bank with a soft thud. You let out a quiet whoop. Then cover your mouth. Scanning for predators drawn by the sound. The forest stays silent. Just you and your prize.
Just you.
You retrieve the
prize.
rabbit, its warmth fading against your palm. Small, but enough to feed a few hungry mouths.
It's small,
you tie it to your
but
belt,
enough to
blood
feed a
smearing
few
your
hungry
fingers,
mouths.
and rinse them in the stream.
You tie it to your belt.
The kill's no grand trophy,
your fingers,
but it feels like a
rinse
triumph.
them in the stream.
You're not just eating.
The kill's
proving
no
you
grand
can keep
trophy,
the clan alive another
but it
day.
feels like a triumph.
You check the sky.
You're not just eating.
The sun's
You're
higher
proving
now,
you can keep the
urging
clan
you to head
alive
back
another
before
day.
the forest gets too lively.
You check the sky. The
On the
sun's higher
return,
now, urging
you grab
to
more
head
strawberries
back before the
and a sprig
forest
of
gets
wild
too
mint
lively.
grug's breath could use
On
the
the
help.
return, you grab
You
more
weave through the
strawberries.
trees, the rabbit bouncing at your hip.
Wild mint
Your steps
grug's
lighter now.
breath could
Caves
use the
close.
You
and you
weave
picture
through
the kids'
trees,
grins when
the
they see
rabbit
the haul.
bouncing at your hip.
You'll skin
your
the rabbit
steps
later.
lighter now.
Maybe save the
cave's
pelt for
close,
a kid's cloak.
And you picture the kids'
For now,
grins when they
you're
see the
content.
haul.
The
You'll skin
forest's
the rabbit
hum
later.
fading as you
Maybe
near
save
home,
the pelt for a
ready to
kid's
share the
cloak.
morning's small victory.
For now, you're content
Hey guys,
the forest's
tonight
hum
we slip
fading
into the
as you near
rugged,
home,
untamed
ready
world
to
of
share the
cavemen,
morning's small
where every
victory.
dawn is a gritty
You're back
fight
in
to
the
survive.
forest.
Picture
the rabbit
this,
from your
you're
earlier
curled up
hunt
on a
still
bed of
dangling
furs,
from your belt.
the air thick with
But
the
now
musky
your
scent
focus
of earth and
shifts to
smoke.
gathering nature's pantry.
Outside, a wolf howls.
The sun's
and
higher,
the first rays of
burning
sunlight
off the
creep
morning
into your
mist,
cave,
and the air's
painting
thick
the walls
with the
in a
scent of
soft
pine
golden
and
glow.
damp earth.
Your stomach
Your
growls
basket
loud
swings
enough
at your
to
side,
scare off a
half filled with those
saber-toothed
tart
cat,
strawberries.
probably.
But you need
You're
more
about to
roots,
live a
nuts,
day in the
anything
life
to
of a
stretch the
caveman.
clan's meals.
And spoiler alert,
The forest is
you
generous,
probably won't
but it's
survive
also
this
a
without
maze
some
of
serious
risks,
luck.
thorns,
So before you get
snakes,
comfortable,
or worse,
take a moment
a
to
rival
like the
clan
video
eyeing
and
the same
subscribe,
bounty.
but only if you genuinely
You step
enjoy
lightly,
what I do
eyes
here.
darting every
Drop a
sense
comment with
tuned
your
to the
location and
wild's
local
rhythm.
time.
You
I
weave
love
through
knowing where you're
towering
chilling as we
ferns,
dive
their
into this
fronds
prehistoric
brushing your
vibe.
shoulders like
Now,
nosy neighbors.
Dim the lights,
The ground's
maybe turn
a
on a
carpet
fan
of
for that
moss
soft
and fallen
background hum,
leaves cushioning
and
your
let's
steps.
ease into tonight's journey together.
Mainstream archaeology
You blink
confirms
awake,
that
your breath
early
fogging
humans,
in the chilly
especially
cave
during
air.
the Paleolithic,
It's dawn,
relied heavily
and your
on
body's
foraging
already
with
on
plant
high
foods,
alert,
making
tuned
up a
to the
huge
sounds of
chunk
the
of their
wild
diet,
beyond the rocky
sometimes
walls.
more than meat. You spot
No
a patch
snooze
of
button
wild
here,
leeks,
just the
their
distant
green
roar
tips
of a cave lion
poking
to
through the
kickstart
soil.
your heart. You roll off
Kneeling,
the furs,
you dig with
your
a
bare
sharpened
feet hitting the
stick,
cold
unearthing
stone
their
floor,
bulbous roots.
and stretch.
The smell's
feeling
sharp,
every
almost
ache from
eye-watering, but
yesterday's
you know
hunt.
they'll add flavor to
Your
tonight's
clan's
meal.
still snoring,
Here's a quirky tidbit.
their shapes barely visible
Some
in the
evidence
dim light.
suggests Neanderthals
First
might have
things
used
first,
certain plants like
you
chamomile
need to get moving,
for more than
warm
just
up,
food,
and
possibly
figure out
as a
what's on
crude tea
today's
to
survival
calm
to-do
nerves
list.
or aid sleep.
Cavemen didn't have
Picture
coffee,
you prehistoric
but they had their own
forager
morning
extraordinaire
rituals to
steeping
shake off the
leaves in hot
grogginess.
water, like a Stone
You
Age
shuffle to the
barista.
cave's mouth, squinting
You chuckle
at the
imagining
pink-streaked
Grug
sky.
sipping herbal tea
The mainstream
and
historical
claiming it makes
fact
him
is that
zen.
early humans,
Yeah, right.
like those from the
Grug's
Upper
about as zen
Paleolithic,
as a startled boar.
lived in small,
You tuck a
tight-knit
few
groups,
chamomile sprigs into
often
your
in
basket,
caves or
just
temporary
in case
shelters,
the elders want to experiment
relying on their
later.
wits to survive.
You move deeper into the forest.
You grab a stick and
spotting
poke
a
at the
cluster
embers of last
hazelnuts
night's
nestled
fire,
under a shrub.
coaxing a flicker of
You
flame
crack
back
one
to
open
life.
with a rock. The
It's not
nutty
just for
scent
warm
making
fires,
your
your
mouth water.
lifeline, scaring off
Into the
predators and
basket they
signaling your
go,
clan's presence.
but not before you munch
Now,
a few,
here's a
savoring
quirky
the
tidbit.
crunch.
Some
Foraging's
archaeologists
not
found
just about
evidence that
survival.
Neanderthals might
It's a
be chewed
treasure
on
hunt.
resinous
Every
bark,
find a small win.
like a prehistoric gum,
Historians still
possibly
argue
to
whether
freshen their
early
breath
humans
or
planned
soothe
their
their gums.
gathering roots or
Imagine you're
wandered
chomping on some
opportunistically.
sticky tree sap,
But you're methodical,
the bitter taste
sticking to
waking you up
spots the
faster than
clans
any
raided
espresso
before.
shot. It's not exactly
No sense
minty
reinventing
fresh,
the
but it's
wheel
better
or
than
the
yesterday's
basket.
mammoth
A
breath.
rustle in the bushes
You
stops you
spit it
cold.
out, chuckling
You grip
at the
your
thought of your
spear,
clanmate
heart
Grug,
thumping.
who swears
a
it
deer,
makes him
could be trouble.
irresistible to the ladies.
You crouch,
Spoiler,
peering through the
it
foliage,
doesn't.
but it's just a bird
You step
flitting
outside,
away.
the dew-soaked
You exhale,
grass tickling
shaking
your
your head.
toes. The world's
Getting
alive,
jumpy,
birds
huh?
chirp,
You mutter half to
a
yourself,
river gurgles
half to
nearby,
the forest.
and something
The
rustles
wilds
in the
taught you
bushes.
paranoia's a
Could be
survival
breakfast,
skill,
or
but
something
it
that
doesn't
sees
mean
you
you
as
enjoy
breakfast.
the adrenaline spikes.
You grab a crude wooden
straighten
spear,
scanning
its
for more
tip
goodies,
blackened from
your
fire
basket
hardening,
growing
and
heavier,
scan the horizon.
with leeks, nuts, and a
Historians still
handful of
argue whether
blackberries
early
you couldn't
humans were more
resist.
scavengers
The
or
blackberries
active
are a
hunters
risk.
at this stage.
Thorny brambles guard
But
them
one
like
thing's
nature's
clear.
barbed wire.
Not
You
waiting
reach
for
in
food to
wincing
stroll
as a
into your
thorn
cave.
nicks your finger.
Your morning
Blood
routine
beads,
ISNT just
and you
about
suck it
waking up
clean,
at S about preparing
grumbling
for
about
whatever the
nature's
day
pay-to-play
throws at you.
policy.
You crouch
Still,
by the
the
stream,
berries are worth it.
splashing
Their
icy
sweetness,
water on
a
your
rare
face.
treat.
The
You
shock's
imagine
brutal,
the kid's faces
but it
stained
sharpens your
purple
senses.
and grinning when
You
you bring
scoop a
these
handful
back.
of clay from the
You
bank
pick
and smear
carefully,
it on
filling
your
a
arms,
corner of the
a
basket,
trick your
leaving
clan
room for
swears
more.
keeps bugs at bay.
The clan's picky
Does
eaters
it work?
looking at you.
Probably not.
Grug will have to deal
but it
with
makes you
whatever
feel like a
haul home.
warrior, so you go
You
with
spot
it.
a gnarled root
You
sticking
glance
out of
back
the soil.
at the cave,
Wild
where the
parsnip,
others are
maybe.
stirring, their grunts
You dig
and
the
yawns
earth crumbling
echoing
under
like
your
a
fingers
prehistoric
and
orchestra.
yank it free.
Next,
It's ugly,
you check your
knobby,
gear.
but edible once roasted.
Your flint knife chipped to
You
a
toss it
razor's
in
edge
brushing dirt
hangs
from
from
your
a
hands.
leather thong around
The
your neck.
forest's a grocery store
test
with
its
no
sharpness,
labels, and you're
nicking
learning
your
on the
thumb
fly
yap.
what's safe.
Still good.
Last week,
You also
someone
grab
ate
a
a
woven
dodgy
reed
mushroom
basket,
and spent the
perfect
night
for
regretting
carrying
it.
whatever you
You
scavenged
smirk,
today.
remembering
These
Grug's
tools aren't
dramatic
just
groans
objects,
echoing
they're
through
extensions
the cave.
of you,
Lesson
crafted with
learned.
hours of
Stick
sweat
to
and
what
curses
you know.
when the
A
flint
distant
splintered
howl
wrong.
freezes you.
You smirk,
Wolves, maybe,
remembering the
or
time
just
you
the
tried
wind
to upgrade your
playing
spear with a
tricks.
fancy bone
You
tip,
tighten your grip on the spear,
only for it to
scanning the
snap
trees.
mid-throw.
The forest's beauty hides its teeth.
Live and learn,
Predators, poison
The
plants,
clan's awake
or
now.
a slip into a
The
hidden
cave
ravine.
buzzes with low
You move
chatter.
toward a clearing.
Kids
where
toddle
sunlight
around, mimicking your
pools
spear
like
grip,
liquid gold.
while the elders mutter
There
about the
you
weather.
find dandelion
You take a moment to
greens,
stretch
their jagged
again,
leaves a familiar
loosening your
sight.
shoulders for the day's work.
You pluck a bunch,
A
knowing they're
caveman's
bitter,
life is
but
physical every
nutritious.
task. From
The
hunting
elders
to
swear
hauling wood,
by them, claiming
demands
they
strength
clean the
and
blood,
stamina.
whatever that means.
You jog
pause
in
by a
place,
stream to
your
rinse
breath
your hands,
puffing
the
in the
water
crisp
icy
air,
against your skin.
feeling the blood pump
A
through your
fish
veins.
darts past,
It's
too
not
quick to
CrossFit,
catch,
but it's
it
close
reminds
enough.
you to check the
Duh.
clan's poisonous fish
Before
traps
heading
later.
out, you share a quick
For now,
meal,
you
dried
focus on
berries,
plants.
and a strip of
You
smoked
spot a cluster
venison
of
from last
wild
week's
garlic,
kill.
its pungent
It's
smell
chewy,
unmistakable.
tough, and
You
tastes
dig up
vaguely
a
of
few
ash.
bulbs, adding them to your
It's
haul.
fuel.
The basket's
You
getting
toss a
heavy,
berry
tugging
to
at
a
your
kid
shoulder,
who's staring
but
at
you're
you with
not
wide
done.
eyes,
A good
earning a
forager
giggle.
knows when to push on
These
and when
moments
to
of
head
connection,
back.
small
The
as
sun's
they
nearing
are,
its
glue
peak,
your clan
warming
together.
your back as you work.
You're not just surviving
You
for
find
yourself.
a patch of clover.
You're
Its
keeping this
leaves tender
ragtag
enough to
family
eat raw.
alive. As the
You
sun
nibble
climbs
one,
higher,
its mild
you feel
flavor,
the day's
a
weight
nice
settling in.
change from the leek's bite.
There's no clock, but
You
the light
gather a
tells you
handful,
it's time to move.
thinking of the kids
You sling the
who'll munch them
basket
like
over your
candy.
shoulder, grip your spear,
Foraging
and head
is
toward the
slow work,
forest's edge.
but it's satisfying.
The others will
Each
follow
find
soon,
a piece of the clan's
each with their own
survival puzzle.
tasks. Gathering,
You're not just
hunting,
gathering food.
or guarding the
You're
cave.
gathering security,
You pause,
a buffer
taking
against
one
the
last
lean
look at
days.
the fire.
As you head
Its
back
smoke
toward the
curling
cave,
like a
you
promise
take a
of safety.
detour past a
Then
fruit-heavy
you step into the
elderberry
wild,
bush.
ready to face
The
whatever's
dark
waiting.
berries tempt you.
You're
But you
trudging through the
hesitate,
forest,
eat too many
the morning
raw,
mist
and you'll
curling
be
around your
sprinting for the
ankles like a
bushes.
clingy ghost.
You pick a few planning to
The
dry
air's
them for
alive
later.
with sounds,
The
crickets
forest's
humming,
taught you patience,
leaves
a lesson you're
whispering,
still learning.
and the sharp snap
You
of a
glance at the
twig that
sky,
makes your
judging the
pulse
time.
jump. You're
The
hunting
clan will
breakfast.
be waiting hungry
Not
for
some
your haul,
epic mammoth
and the
chase,
rabbit from
but a
earlier.
small prize to
You
quiet
adjust
the
the
clan's
basket,
growling
feeling its
stomachs.
weight.
Your
and
spear's
start the
heavy in
trek
your hand,
home, the forest's
its fire-hardened
hum fading
tip,
behind you.
a trusted
You're
ally.
back at the cave. Now the
You're after
forest's
something
bounty
manageable, a
tucked
rabbit.
safely in your basket.
Maybe a pigeon,
The rabbit
something to
still
keep the
swinging
kids
from,
from
your belt.
whining till lunch.
The sun's climbing,
Out here,
casting
though,
long
the forest
shadows
doesn't care
across
about
the
your
rocky
plans.
clearing, and the
One wrong
clan's
step,
buzzing with
and your
morning
lunch
tasks.
instead.
Your next job
The forest
is to
floor is a
craft
mosaic
tools,
of shadows
sharp,
and
reliable
sunlight.
ones, to keep
And
the
you move
clan
deliberately,
fed, clothed, and
eyes
safe.
scanning for any hint of
You
life.
settle on a flat stone near
You're
the
not
cave's
just
mouth,
walking, you're
the air
decoding
sharp
the world.
with the scent of
Scuffed
smoke
patch
and
of
earth.
dirt might signal
Your
a deer
hands
trail.
are already itching
Hoffet
to
and
work,
fern could
to
mean
turn
hares
raw
nearby.
flint into something
Mainstream
deadly.
archaeology shows early
This
humans
isn't just
like those
busy
in
work.
the Upper Paleolithic
In this world,
often
a dull
hunted
blade
small
means an
game
empty
for quick
stomach
lowers
or
of
worse.
protein, saving
You grab
the
a
big
chunk
hunts
of
for
flint
special
from a
days.
pile the clan
You spot a pile
scavenged
of
its glassy
droppings,
surface
still
cool
fresh and
against your
glistening.
palm. The stone's
Rabbit,
heavy, full of
definitely.
potential,
Your
but
stomach
it's stubborn.
rumbles,
One
loud
wrong
enough
strike,
to startle a squirrel.
and it'll shatter into useless
mutter,
shards.
Quiet you.
Mainstream
or we'll both
archaeology
starve.
shows that early
Here
humans,
us a
like
quirky
those in the
tidbit.
Upper Paleolithic,
Some researchers
mastered
suggest
flint
Neanderthals
napping,
might use
creating
bright
razor-sharp
feathers as
blades for
decoys,
hunting and cutting.
waving
You
them to
select a
lure
hammerstone,
curious birds or
a
small
smooth
animals.
river rock
Imagine
that fits
you
your grip, and
twirling a
start
feathered
tapping,
stick like a
testing
caveman
the
con
flint's
artist,
weak points.
hoping a sparrow takes
Flakes
the bait.
chip off, glinting
give
in
it
the
a try,
sunlight like tiny
feeling
obsidian
ridiculous
tears.
as you flick the stick
Here's a
back
quirky
and forth.
tidbit.
Nothing bites.
Some
You toss it
archaeologists
aside,
found evidence that
grumbling. Guess I'm not
Neanderthals might have
charming
used
birds
birch tar as glue
You laugh
to
softly,
fix stone
picturing
tips to
Grug
wooden
trying the same
spears.
trick,
A
and tripping
prehistoric
over his own
superglue
ego.
cooked from
I
tree
see.
bark. Imagine you hunched over a smoky fire, stirring a gooey mess like a caveman chemist, hoping it'll hold your spear together. You smirk, picturing Grug trying to improve
Following
the
faint
recipe,
rabbit tracks
and
toward a
ending
clearing,
up with tar in his
there
beard.
are quick flash of brown fur
Sticky
darts through the
situation,
tall
eh, Grug?
grass.
You mutter,
You freeze,
chuckling as you
breath
strike
shallow,
the flint again,
muscles
sending
taut like a
another
bowstring.
flake flying.
The
The
rabbit
rhythm of
pauses,
napping pulls you in
nose
tap
twitching,
crack.
unaware of
Pause,
you blending
assess.
into the ferns.
You're sculpting, not just
You raise
chipping,
your spear,
aiming for a
aim
blade
carefully,
thin enough to
and let
slice
it
hide,
fly.
but sturdy
Thud
enough
the
to
spear
scrape
grazes a
bone.
bush, missing by
Historians
inches.
still
The rabbit
argue whether
bolts,
tool-making
and
was
you
a
curse under your
specialized
breath,
skill,
jogging
passed
after it.
down like a trade.
Historians still argue whether early
humans
humans leaned more on
You're no
endurance
master,
hunting, running prey
but
to
you've got the
exhaustion or
basics,
stealthy
learned
ambushes
through
like
trial,
this one. Right now
and
you're
plenty
batting
of
0,
error.
and it stings.
Like that time,
The chase
you thought a
takes you
bigger
past a patch
hammerstone
of
meant
wild
faster
strawberries,
work.
their red
Spoiler,
jewels peeking
it
from the
meant a
undergrowth.
smashed thumb.
You
and a
kneel,
week of
popping a few
grumbling.
into your mouth.
A kid
their
toddles over
tartness, a
wide-eyed
sharp
watching
wake-up
your
call.
hands.
You
slow
stuff a
down,
handful
showing
into
them how
your
to
reed
angle the
basket,
strike.
knowing the kids
See,
will wrestle
hit
for
it
them
soft.
back at the cave.
Let the stone
forest,
do the
your
work.
pantry.
You say voice low,
But it's a
like you're
dangerous
sharing
one,
a
oh
secret.
Isles. Just
The
the
kid
chance of a
nods,
boar
mimicking you
deciding
with a
you're
pebble,
trespassing.
and you grin.
You smirk, imagining
Teaching's part of
explaining to the
survival.
clan how you
Your
got chased by
clan's
a
only
pig
as
over a
strong
berry
as its
snack.
next generation.
A rustle stops you
You
dead.
nudge the kid
Not the
back to
rabbit,
their
something
mom,
heavier.
refocusing on the
You
flint.
duck behind behind a gnarled oak,
taking
peering
shape,
through the
its
leaves.
edge wickedly
Fox
sharp.
slinks past.
You test it on your arm hair, shaving a patch clean.
Clever fox, you think.
Not bad.
But you're not
the
here to
cave's
steal
alive
its
around
meal.
you. Someone's
You
pounding
note its path
roots,
for later
another's
wear.
hauling
There's
wood.
one snack.
You glance
There's
at your
usually
basket,
more.
the leeks and
You
berries
adjust your
from
spear.
earlier,
Its
peeking
blackened
out a
tip,
reminder of the
catching a
morning's
stray
haul.
sunbeam. This
Tools
spear's your
like this
lifeline,
blade
crafted with
will help
sweat and a few
process
choice
that
grunts
food,
when the wood split
turning
wrong.
tough roots
You pat
into
it,
something
whispering,
chewable.
Let's not mess
You set
this
the
up
finished
again.
knife aside and
The
grab
trail
another
leads to a
flint, this
babbling
time,
stream,
aiming for
its
a
muddy
scraper
banks soft
to clean
underfoot.
hides.
You spot fresh
The
tracks for
process
it,
is slower,
maybe a
more
pair.
precise.
You kneel,
Each strike a
studying
gamble.
the prints like a puzzle.
A bad one sends a
feeling like the
crack,
Sherlock of the
spidering
Stone
through the
Age.
stone, and you groan.
The water's crystal
Come
clear.
on, don't betray me
tempting,
now, you whisper, half
but
joking.
you know better than
The
to
sun's
drink.
heat prickles
Last time
your
you
back,
spent a day
and
regretting
you wipe
it with a
sweat from your
stomachache from
brow,
hell.
smearing dirt
You
across
splash
your
your face instead.
You don't
the
care,
cold
you're a
snapping
walking
your
canvas
senses
of
awake.
grime out here.
A bird calls
A
above,
bird
and you
screeches
glance
nearby,
up, half
and you
expecting
pause,
it to
scanning
jeer
the
at
tree
your
line.
empty basket.
No threats,
Then,
just the
movement.
forest's usual chatter.
Across the stream, a
Still,
rabbit
you keep
munches
your
on
spear
clover,
close,
its
its
ears
tip
flicking
glinting
lazily.
beside
You
you.
wade into the water, grimacing
aren't
as the
just for
icy
work.
current bites your
They're your
calves.
defense against a world
Step
that
by
doesn't
cautious
play
step,
fair.
you close the
You
distance,
remember that fox
spear
from
at the
hunt,
ready.
sleek and cunning.
The rabbit tenses,
A good scraper could
sensing
turn
danger.
its pelt into a kid's cloak.
You hold your breath.
You switch to a
arm
smaller
poised.
hammerstone, aiming
This
for
time
finer
your throw's
flakes.
perfect.
The scraper's
spear
edge
pins the
curves
rabbit to the
perfect
bank
for
with a
stripping
soft
fat
thud.
from hides. You
You
test
let out
it
a
on
quiet
scrap
whoop,
of deer skin,
then
the
cover your
blade
mouth,
gliding smooth,
scanning for predators
leaving
drawn
a
by the
clean
sound.
surface.
The forest stays
Satisfaction
silent,
hums
just
through
you
you.
and your prize.
This tool's a keeper.
You retrieve the rabbit.
You
its
add it
warmth
to your
fading
pile
against
already,
your palm.
picturing the clan's
Small, but
gratitude
enough to
when
feed
they're
a few
not
hungry
wrestling
mouths.
with dull
You
blades.
tie it to your belt,
You're
blood
not just
smearing your
making
fingers,
tools.
and rinse them
You're
in the
making
stream.
life easier,
The
one
kill's
chip
no
at
grand
a time.
trophy,
A
but
shadow
it feels
falls
like a
over
triumph.
you. Grug,
You're not just
looming
eating,
with his usual
proving
mix
you
of
can keep the
curiosity
clan
and
alive
bad
another
ideas.
day.
Make
you check
me a
the
bigger
sky.
knife, he says,
The sun's higher
flexing
now,
like it'll
urging you to
impress the
head back
flint.
before the
You
forest
roll
gets
your
too
eyes,
lively.
tossing him a pebble.
On the
Bigger
return,
ego
you
first.
grab more strawberries,
Maybe, he
and
laughs.
a sprig of wild
But
mint
you're
grug's
only half
breath
kidding.
could use the help.
You hand him a flint.
You weave
to
through the
try
trees,
knowing
the
he'll
rabbit
botch it.
bouncing at your hip.
Sure
Your
enough,
steps
his
lighter
first
now.
strike splits
Caves
the
close,
stone clean in
And
half.
you picture the kids' grins when
snort.
they see the haul.
Nice one,
You'll skin the
Grug.
rabbit later.
That's a great
Maybe
doorstop.
save the pelt for
He
a kid's
grumbles,
cloak.
but sticks
For
around
now,
watching you
you're
work.
content.
The pile
The
grows,
forest's
2
hum
knives a
fading
scraper,
as you near home,
and a half-finished
ready
point
to share
for a
the morning's
spear.
small victory.
Your hands ache,
You're
knuckles
back in the
scrape
forest,
from stray
the
flakes.
rabbit from your
But
earlier
it's a
hunt
good
still
ache, the
dangling
kind
from
earned.
your belt,
You
but
stretch,
now your focus
feeling
shifts
the
to
kinks in
gathering
your
nature's
shoulders.
pantry.
The clan's
The sun's
tools
higher,
are your legacy
burning off
proof
the
you're
morning
pulling
mist,
your weight.
and the air
You
is
glance
thick
at the
with the scent
kids
of pine
playing
and
nearby,
damp
one
earth.
pretending to nap with
Your
a stick.
basket swings at your side,
Maybe
half
they'll be
filled with
better
those
than you
tart
someday.
strawberries.
For now,
But you need
you're
more
the one
roots,
keeping the blades
nuts,
sharp.
anything to
You
stretch
wrap
the
up
clan's
as the
meals.
sun nears its peak.
The forest is
The
generous,
clearing now
but it's
bathed
also a
in
maze of
golden
risks.
light. You gather
Thorns,
your tools,
snakes,
tucking them into a
or
leather
worse,
pouch.
a rival
Careful not to
clan
nick
eyeing the
yourself.
same bounty.
The flint's
You
edges are
step lightly,
traitors if
eyes
you get
darting,
careless.
every sense tuned to the
You
wild's
stand
rhythm.
brushing dust from your
You
knees
weave through towering
and head
ferns,
toward the cave
their
to
fronds
stash
brushing your
haul.
shoulders like nosy neighbors.
The clan's waiting their tasks.
The ground's a carpet of
piling
moss
up
and fallen
hides to
leaves,
scrape food
cushioning
to
your
prep.
steps.
Your tools will make
Mainstream
their work
archaeology
smoother.
confirms
Maybe
that
earn
early
you an extra
humans,
berry or two tonight.
especially during the
You pause at the
Paleolithic,
cave's mouth,
relied
glancing
heavily
back
on
at your
foraging.
work spot. The
with plant
ground's
foods
littered
making
with
up a
flint
huge
flakes,
chunk of their
a
diets,
glittering record of your
sometimes
morning.
more than meat.
You feel a
You
quiet
spot a patch
pride,
of
not
wild
the loud
leeks, their
kind
green tips
Grug
poking
chases,
through the soil.
but the kind
Kneeling,
that
you dig
settles
with a
deep.
sharpened stick,
You're not
unearthing
just
their bulbous
surviving.
roots.
You're building one
The smell's
tool
sharp,
at a time.
almost
A life
eye-watering,
for this clan.
but you know they'll add flavor to
the
tonight's
forest
meal.
hums
Here's a
beyond,
quirky
calling you
tidbit.
to the next task.
Some evidence
But for
suggests
now,
Neanderthals might
You're
have used
content,
certain
ready
plants,
to hand over your blades
like
and
chamomile,
see
for
what
more
the
than
day's
just
got
food.
next. You're standing
Possibly
at
as
the
a
cave's
crude
entrance,
tea to
the
calm
new flint
nerves or
tools
aid
tucked
sleep.
safely in your pouch.
Picture you
Their edges
prehistoric
sharp enough to
forager
make Grug
extraordinaire,
jealous.
steeping
The
leaves in
midday
hot
sun
water like a
beats
Stone
down,
Age barista.
warming the rocky clearing.
You chuckle,
But a
imagining
chilly
Grug
breeze
sipping
reminds you
herbal tea
winter's never
and
far
claiming
off.
it makes him zen.
Your next
Yeah, right,
task
Grug's about
is
as
shelter
zen as a starved
maintenance,
boar.
keeping
Tuck
this
a few
cave livable
chamomile
against
sprigs into
rain,
your
wind,
basket,
and the
just in
occasional
case the elders want
curious
to
bear.
experiment later.
The The clan's survival hinges on this rocky refuge,
spotting a cluster of hazelnuts nestled under a shrub.
Reinforce walls.
You crack one open with a rock,
it doesn't
the
collapse
nutty
on
scent
anyone's
making
head.
your mouth water.
No pressure, right?
Into the basket
You grab
they go,
a bundle of
but not
branches and
before you
vines
munch
from a
few,
pile near the
savoring
cave.
the crunch.
The wood still damp from
Foraging's
last night's
not
dew.
just about survival, it's a
The
treasure
air
hunt.
smells of dust
Every find
and
a small
pine,
win.
mixed
Historians
with the faint
still
tang
argue
of
whether
smoke
early
from the
humans
clan's
planned their
fire.
gathering routes or wandered
Mainstream
opportunistically.
archaeology tells us
But you're
early
methodical,
humans, like
sticking
those
to
in the
spots
Upper
the clans raided
Paleolithic,
before.
didn't just
No
live
sense
in caves.
reinventing the wheel.
They modified them
Well,
using
the
branches,
basket.
hides, and
A
stones
rustle in the
to
bushes
create
stops you
barriers
cold.
against the
You
elements.
grip your spear.
You
heart
drag a
thumping.
heavy log toward the
Could
entrance.
be a deer.
Its
Could be
bark
trouble.
rough
You crouch,
against your palms,
peering
and
through the
start
foliage,
wedging
but
it
it's
into
just
a
a bird
gap
flitting away.
where rain seeps in
You
during
exhale,
storms.
shaking your head.
Here's a quirky
getting
tidbit.
jumpy, huh?
Some
mutter.
researchers
Half to
found
yourself,
evidence that
half to the
Neanderthals
forest.
might have used
The
mammoth
wilds
bones
taught you
as structural
paranoia as a
supports,
survival skill,
turning old
but it
kills
doesn't mean you
into
enjoy
cave
the adrenaline
reinforcements.
spikes.
Picture you
straighten,
hauling a
scanning
massive
for more
bone like a
goodies.
prehistoric
Your basket growing
contractor,
heavier with
muttering
leaves,
about building
nuts,
codes, while
and a
Grug
handful of
tries to help
blackberries you couldn't
and drops
resist.
it on his foot.
The blackberries
snicker,
are a risk thorny
imagining his
brambles
yelp
guard them
echoing
like
through the
nature's
valley.
barbed wire. You reach
Stick
in,
to hunting,
wincing
buddy, you
as the
say,
thorn
under
nicks
your breath,
finger.
weaving a
Blood
vine
beads
through the
and you suck it
branches
clean,
to secure them.
grumbling about nature's
The
pay
log
you play
fits
policy.
snugly, blocking
Still,
a draft that's
the
been
berries are
sneaking
worth
in
it.
at night.
Their
You
sweetness
step
are
back,
rare
wiping
treat.
sweat from
Imagine
your
the
brow,
kids'
and
faces
serve at the
stained
cave's
purple and
mouth.
grinning when you bring these
It's
back.
a mess of cracks and loose
You pick
rocks,
carefully,
but it's
filling
home.
a corner of the basket.
Historians
leaving
still
room for
argue
more.
whether early humans
The
chose
clan's picky
caves for
eaters looking at
long-term
you.
living,
Grug will
or
have
as
to deal with
temporary
whatever you
shelters
haul
during
home.
migrations.
Spot a gnarled root
Either
sticking
way,
out of the soil.
this
while
one's
parsnip,
yours,
maybe.
and you're not letting
You
it
dig
fall
the
apart.
earth crumbling under your
You
fingers
grab a flat
and
stone
yank it free.
and start chinking smaller
It's
rocks
ugly,
into a crumbling
knobby,
section of the wall,
but edible
each
once
one
roasted.
a puzzle piece in your
You
makeshift
toss it
masonry.
in, brushing dirt
The
from your
work's
hands.
slow. Your fingers scraped
The forest's
raw,
a grocery
but
store
every
with no
stone locked
labels,
in
and you're
place
learning on the
feels like a
fly
win.
what's safe.
A kid scampers
Last
by,
week,
kicking
someone
a
ate a
pebble that
dodgy
nearly
mushroom
trips
and
you.
spent the night
You
regretting
shoot
it.
them a mock glare,
You smirk,
then toss
remembering
a twig their
Grug's
way.
dramatic groans
Go help
echoing
your
through
mom,
the cave.
not me, you call.
Lesson
But you're
learned,
grinning.
stick to
The
what
kids
you know.
are always underfoot,
A distant
but they're
howl
watching,
freezes you.
learning how to keep this place
Wolves,
standing.
maybe? Or
You
just the
point out a
wind
loose
playing
rock
tricks,
to one of them, showing
tighten
how to
your
wedge
grip
it
on the
tight.
spear, scanning the
See,
trees.
push hard, or the
The
wind will
forest's
laugh
beauty
at us.
hides its teeth
They
predators,
nod, mimicking
poison
your moves,
plants,
and
or a
you feel
slip
a
into a
flicker
hidden
of
ravine.
pride.
You move
This
toward a
cave's
clearing
more than shelter.
where sunlight
It's the
pools
clan's
like liquid
heart.
gold.
You move inside where
There,
the air's
you
cooler,
find dandelion
the light
greens.
dimmer. The
Their
ceiling's
jagged
low
leaves
in
a familiar
spots,
sight.
forcing you to
You
duck
pluck a bunch,
to avoid a
knowing
head-on
they're bitter
collision with a
but
stalactite.
nutritious.
You
The
check
elders
for
swear by
cracks,
them,
running your
claiming
hands
they
along
clean
the
the
rough
blood,
walls,
whatever that
feeling
means.
for weak spots.
You pause by a
A
stream to
faint
rinse your
drip
hands,
echoes
the
deeper
water
and
icy
water
against your
sneaking
skin.
through again.
A fish
You
darts
grab a
past,
handful
too
of
quick to
clay
catch,
from a nearby
but it
pile,
reminds you to
the
check
same
the
stuff you
clan's
use
fish
for
traps
bug
later.
repellent smears.
For now,
and start
you focus on
packing it into the
plants.
fissure.
You spot a cluster of
It's
wild
messy,
garlic.
sticking to your
Its
fingers
pungent
like
smell
stubborn mud.
unmistakable.
But it'll
You
hold
dig
the
up a
water
few
back,
bulbs,
at least
adding
for
them
now.
to your haul.
Outside,
Dope,
someone's
dope.
pounding roots,
Basket's
the
getting
rhythmic
heavy.
thump
Tugging
blending
at
with
your
the
shoulder,
chatter of
but
the
you're not
clan.
done.
You glance at
A
your
good
basket
forager
from the
knows when to
morning's
push on
forage,
and when to
still
head
brimming
back.
with leeks and
The
berries.
sun's nearing its peak,
And remember the rabbit
warming
tied
your
to
back
your
as you
belt.
work. You find
That
a patch
hunt
of clover,
feels like ages
leaves
ago,
tender enough
but
to
it's
eat
all
raw.
connected
You nibble
food
one.
tools shelter.
It's mild flavor and nice
You're
change
weaving
from
a
the
net of
leek's bite.
survival,
You
each
gather
task
handful,
a thread.
thinking of the kids who
You
will munch them
smirk,
like candy.
recalling Grug's botched
Foraging's slow work,
flint-napping attempt
but
earlier.
it's satisfying.
Maybe stick
Each find
to
a piece
carrying
of the
logs.
clan's survival
You mutter,
puzzle.
heaving another
You're not just
branch into
gathering
place.
food.
The wind
You're
picks
gathering
up,
security,
whistling through the clearing,
a buffer
and you notice
against
a
the lean
hide
days.
flapping loose at the entrance.
As you
It's
head back
one you
toward
helped
the
tan
cave,
last week.
you take a detour
Soft,
past a
but
fruit-heavy
tough, meant to
elderberry
block
bush.
drafts. You grab
dark
a bone
berries
needle
tempt
and some
you,
sinew
but
thread
you
stitching
hesitate
the
too
hide
many plenty
tighter
raw,
to the wooden
and
frame.
you'll be sprinting for
The
the
needle
bushes.
pricks your thumb, and you
pick a
wince,
few,
sucking the
planning
blood
to
away.
dry them for later.
Gotta stop
The
stabbing
forests
myself,
taught you
grumble,
patience,
half
a
laughing.
lesson you're still
The hide
learning.
holds firm, now
You
cutting
glance
the
at the
breeze,
sky,
and you
judging
nod
the time.
satisfied.
Clan will be waiting,
Small
hungry for
fixes,
your haul,
big impact.
and the rabbit from
A low
earlier.
growl from the forest
You
makes
adjust
you
the
freeze.
basket,
feeling its weight, and start the trek home.
Into the trees.
The forest's
Nothing
hum
moves,
fading behind you.
But you don't relax.
You're back at the cave now.
Bears
the
and
forest's
wolves
bounty
love
tucked
caves
safely
as
in your
much
basket.
as you do, and you're
the
not
rabbit
keen
still
on
swinging
sharing.
from your belt.
You reinforce
The
the
sun's
entrance
climbing,
with another log,
casting long
wedging
shadows
it
across
tight.
the rocky clearing.
The clan's
and the
safety
clan's
depends
buzzing
on
with
this
morning
barrier,
tasks.
especially
Your
at
next
night,
job is to
when
craft tools
predators
sharp,
get bold.
reliable ones to keep the
You
clan
picture
fed,
a bear
clothed,
sniffing around,
and safe.
then turning
You
away
settle
from
on a
your
flat
sturdy
stone
wall.
near the cave's mouth.
Not today,
The air
furball.
sharp with the
You
scent of
whisper,
smoke
patting
and
the
earth.
log. You step
Your
back
hands
inside,
are already
checking
itching
the
to
fire
work,
pit near the
to
center.
turn raw flint
It's
into
still
something
smoldering
deadly.
from morning, but you
This
add a
isn't
few
just
sticks,
busy work.
coaxing the
In
flames
this
higher.
world, a dull
The
blade
smoke
means an empty
curls up,
stomach.
escaping through a
or
natural
worse.
vent in the ceiling.
You grab a
Lucky
chunk of
find
flint from
that.
a pile the clan scavenged.
Without it, you'd be choking
its
on
glassy
fumes.
surface cool against your
You
palm.
sweep away ash
The
and
stone's
debris,
heavy,
keeping the
full of
area
potential,
clear. The
but
kids
its
will
stubborn
sleep here
one
tonight,
wrong
curled
strike,
up on furs,
and it'll shatter
and you
into
want it
useless
cozy,
shards.
not a fire hazard.
Mainstream
The elders call from
archaeology
deeper in
shows
the
that
cave,
early
their voices
humans,
gravelly
like those
with
in the
age.
Upper
They're
Paleolithic,
pointing out a damp spot
mastered
where water
flint
pools
napping,
after
creating
rain.
razor-sharp
You
blades for
sigh,
hunting and
grabbing
cutting.
more clay and a flat
You select
stone
a
to
hammerstone,
redirect the
a
drip.
smooth river rock
It's
that fits your
tedious,
grip,
but you
and
chat
start
with them
tapping,
as you work their
testing the
stories
flint's
of
weak
old
points.
hunts, keeping you entertained.
Flakes chip off.
One claims
glinting
they
in
once
the
scared
sunlight
off a
like
lion
tiny
with a
obsidian
well-aimed
tears.
rock.
Here's
You
a
raise an
quirky
eyebrow,
tidbit.
teasing, sure.
Some
and
archaeologists
Grug's the
found
best
evidence that
napper in the clan.
Neanderthals might via use
They
birch
laugh,
tar as
and
glue
the
to
work
fix stone
feels
tips to wooden
lighter.
spears.
You finish the
Prehistoric
repairs as the
superglue
sun
cooked
starts
from tree
dipping,
bark.
casting
Imagine
the
you,
cave in
hunched
a warm
over a smoky
glow.
fire,
Your hands
stirring
are
a
caked
gooey
with
mess
clay
like a caveman
and scratched
chemist,
from branches,
hoping it'll hold
but
your
the
spear
shelter's
together.
stronger. Now,
You smirk,
tighter
picturing
and
Grug
offer.
trying to improve the
You step
recipe and ending
outside,
up with
brushing
tar in
dirt
his
from your
beard.
knees, and
Sticky
take a final
situation.
look.
A Grug?
The entrance looks
You
solid.
mutter,
The
chuckling
hide
as you
secured
strike the
logs
flint
unyielding.
again, sending
You've
another
earned a
flake
moment
flying.
to breathe, but the clan's
The
already
rhythm of
moving
napping
on to the
pulls
next
you.
task.
In tap,
Fire tending,
crack,
probably.
pause,
You
assess,
glance at your tools,
while sculpting,
ready for
not
whatever's
just chipping,
next,
aiming
knowing
for a
this
blade thin
cave's your
enough to slice
fortress,
hide,
and you're
but
its
sturdy
keeper.
enough to scrape
You're
bone.
inside the cave now.
Historians still
The
argue
repaired
whether
entrance letting
toolmaking
in
was a
just
specialized
sliver of
skill,
fading sunlight.
passed down
The
like a
air's
trade or
cool,
something every
tinged
clan
with the
member
earthy
learned.
scent of
You're no
damp
master,
stone,
but you've
and
got
the sharp
the basics.
tang of smoke.
Learn through trial.
Your hands are still
and plenty
gritty
of
from
error.
patching the walls.
Like that
But
time
there's
you
no
thought a
time to
bigger
rest.
hammerstone
The
meant
clan's
faster work
fire
spoiler.
needs tending.
It meant a
It's the
smashed
heart of your
thumb
home,
and a week
a
of
fragile
grumbling.
glow that keeps
A kid
the cold,
toddles over,
the
wide-eyed,
dark,
watching
and
your
the
hands.
predators at bay.
You slow down,
Without it,
showing them
you're
how
just
to
a bunch
angle
of
the
shivering
strike.
humans waiting for trouble.
See,
You crouch by the
soft.
fire pit, ready
Let
to
the
coax
stone
its
do the
embers
work.
into a steady
You
blaze.
say, voice
The pit's
low,
a shallow bowl
you're
of
sharing a
ash and
secret.
charred wood ringed by
The kid
blackened
nods,
stones.
mimicking
You
you
poke
with a
at the
pebble,
embers with a
and you
stick,
grin.
stirring up a faint
Teaching's part of
orange
survival.
pulse.
Your clan's only as strong
Mainstream
as its next
archaeology
generation.
confirms that
You nudge
early
the kid
humans,
back to
like
their
those
mom,
in the Upper Paleolithic,
refocusing on the flint.
mastered
The
fire
blade's
not
taking
just
shape,
for warmth,
its edge
but for
wickedly
cooking
sharp.
protection, and even
Test
social
it on your
bonding.
arm hair,
You
shaving
grab
a
a
patch
handful
clean,
of dry
not bad.
twigs from a nearby
Caves alive
pile,
around you,
their
so one's
bark
pounding
flaking
roots,
under your fingers,
and others
and
hauling
feed
wood.
them to the glow.
You glance
A
at your
wisp of
basket,
smoke
the leeks
curls
and
up.
berries from
Then
earlier
a tiny
peeking
flame
out.
licks the
A
wood,
reminder
hungry
of
for
the
more.
morning's haul.
Here's a quirky tidbit.
Tools like this blade will
Some
help process that
archaeologists
food,
found evidence
turning
that
tough roots into
Neanderthals
something
might have
chewable.
used manganese
You set
dioxide,
the finished
a
knife
black
aside
mineral, to make
and grab
fires
another
ignite
flint,
faster,
this
like
time
a
aiming for a
prehistoric
scraper to
matchstick.
clean hides.
Picture you grinding
The process
stuff with
is
a
slower,
rock, feeling
more
like
precise.
a caveman pyromaniac,
Each strike a gamble.
while Grug hovers,
A bad one
asking
sends a
if it's
crack
magic.
spidering through the stone.
You
and
snort,
groan.
imagining him trying
Come
to
on, don't
improve
betray
the
me now,
fire
you
by
whisper,
tossing in
half-joking.
wet leaves.
The
Spoiler,
sun's
it
heat
didn't
prickles
end
your
well.
back, and you wipe
Keep it
sweat
simple,
from your
Grug.
brow,
You
smearing
mutter,
dirt across
adding
your
more
face.
twigs, watching
You
the
don't care
flames
you're a
grow.
walking
The
canvas
fire
of grime out
crackles,
here.
casting flickering
A
shadows
bird
on the cave
screeches
walls.
nearby, and you pause.
You're not just keeping it
scanning
alive.
the tree line.
You're managing its mood.
No
Too
threats,
small,
just
and
the
it'll
forest's
die.
usual chatter.
Too big, and it'll choke
Still,
on its own smoke.
You keep your spear close.
Historians
tip
still
glinting
argue whether
beside
early
you.
humans carried
Tools aren't
fire
just for
from
work.
place to place.
They're your
or started
defense
it
against
fresh
a world
each time
that doesn't
with
play
flint
fair.
and tinder.
You
You're
remember
lucky
that
this
fox
cave's
from the
vented
hunt,
letting smoke
sleek
escape.
and cunning,
but you still
A good
fan the
scraper
flames
can
gently
turn
with
its
a
pelt
hide,
into a
keeping
kid's
the air
cloak.
clear. The
You
clan's
switch to a
kids are
smaller
watching,
hammer
their eyes
stone,
wide,
aiming for
and
finer
you wink,
flakes.
tossing in a pine
The scraper's
cone
edge
that pops
curves,
like a tiny
perfect for stripping
firecracker.
fat from hides.
You reach for a larger log, its
You
weight
test it on a
solid in your
scrap of
hands.
deer skin,
It's dry,
the blade
perfect
gliding
for a
smooth,
slow burn to
leaving a
last the
clean
night.
surface.
You ease it into
Satisfaction
the pit sparks,
hums through you.
dancing as it settles.
This tool's a keeper.
The heat kisses
You add
your
it to your
face,
pile,
and you
already
lean back,
picturing the
feeling
clan's
the ache in your
gratitude
shoulders
when they're not
from
wrestling
hauling
with dull
branches
blades.
earlier.
You're not just making
The fire's
tools,
not just
you're making
practical.
life easier.
It's a ritual,
one chip at
a
a time.
rhythm that ties
Shadow
the clan
falls over
together.
you, Grug.
You
looming
glance
with
at the
his
basket
usual
of
mix of
leeks and
curiosity
berries
and
from your
bad
forest
ideas.
haul, knowing
Make
they'll
me a
taste
bigger
better,
knife,
roasted
he says,
over these
flexing
flames.
like it'll impress
A
the
kid
flint.
toddles over, clutching a
You
stick.
roll your eyes,
They're pretending it's a
tossing in
spear.
pebble.
Fire
Bigger,
hot, they say, pointing.
ego first.
You nod,
maybe.
pulling them back
He
gently.
laughs, but you're
Hot
only
and
half
biting.
kidding.
So stay
You
sharp.
hand him a flint
You
to
say
try,
voice soft,
knowing he'll
but
botch it.
firm. Teaching
Sure
them
enough, his
respect
first
for
strike
fire
splits
is
the
as
stone
crucial
clean in
as
half.
teaching them to hunt.
You snort.
You show
Nice
them how
one,
to
Grug.
add a twig
That's a
without
great
getting singed
doorstop,
their tiny
grumbles,
hands copying
but sticks
you.
around,
It's a
watching
small
you work.
moment, but it's
The
how
pile
the clan
grows to
survives,
knives, a scraper,
passing down
and a
the
half-finished
know-how
point
one
for a
spark at
spear.
a time. The
Your
cave's
hands
alive
ache,
with low
knuckles
chatter,
scraped from
someone
stray
scraping a
flakes,
hide,
but it's
another's
a good
humming
ache,
a tuneless
kind
song.
earned. You stretch.
You spot Grug
feeling the
across the
kinks in
pit,
your shoulders.
trying to look busy,
The
but
clan's
mostly
tools are your
poking
legacy.
the ash with a stick.
Proof you're pulling your weight.
Gonna help?
You
or
glance
just make
at
a
the
mess
kids
you
playing
call
nearby,
smirking?
one
He
pretending to
grins,
nap with a stick.
tossing in a random branch
Maybe they'll be
that
better
sends
than
up
you
a
someday.
cloud of sparks.
For now,
You
you're the
roll
one
your
keeping
eyes,
the
fanning
blades
the
sharp.
smoke away.
You wrap up as the
Classic
sun nears
Grug,
its
you
peak.
mutter.
The
But you're
clearing
used to
now
his
bathed in
chaos.
golden light.
The fire's steady now.
You gather your
its warmth
tools,
spreading,
tucking them into a
and you
leather
feel a
pouch,
quiet
careful
pride.
not to nick yourself.
You check the wood
The
pile,
flint's
frowning
edges
at
are
how low it's
traitors if
getting.
you get careless.
You'll need to haul
You
more
stand,
tomorrow.
brushing
Maybe
dust
drag
from your
Grug
knees,
along to make him
and head
useful.
toward the cave to
For
stash
now,
your haul.
you rearrange the
clan's
logs,
waiting,
creating a bed
their
of
tasks
coals
piling up,
that'll burn
hides to
slow
scrape,
and
food
hot.
to prep.
The flames
tools will
reflect
make
off
their
your
work
flint
smoother.
knife still hanging
Maybe
from your
earn
neck.
you an extra
A
berry or two
reminder of the
tonight.
morning's work.
You pause at the cave's
Everything
mouth,
connects.
glancing
Tools,
back
shelter,
at your work
fire.
spot.
You're
The
not just
ground's
tending
littered with
flames.
flint flakes.
You're keeping the clan's
glittering record of
lifeblood
your
flowing.
morning. You
A
feel
faint
a quiet
howl
pride,
echoes outside.
not the
and you
loud
pause,
kind
hand on
Grug
your spear.
chases.
The fire's
kind
light
that
makes the
settles
cave
deep.
a beacon,
You're not just
but it also
surviving your
scares off
building, one
most
tool at a
predators.
time.
You add
A life
another
for this
log just to
clan.
be safe.
The forest
flames roaring
hums
higher.
beyond,
The
calling you
kids
to
are
the
curling
next
up
task.
on furs. Now
But
their
for now,
yawns louder
you're
than the
content,
crackling wood.
ready to hand over your
You
blades and see
smile,
what the day's got
remembering
next.
how you used to fall asleep
Hey
to
guys,
this same sound.
Tonight we slip into the rugged,
fire's glow,
untamed world
chasing
of
away
cavemen,
nightmares
where every dawn
of
is a gritty
wolves
fight to survive.
and worse.
Picture
You
this:
grab a flat
you're
stone
curled up on
and
a
set
bed
it
of
near the
furs,
coals,
the air
preheating it for
thick with the
cooking
musky
later.
scent of earth
The
and
rabbit
smoke.
from your hunt will roast
Outside, a
nicely
wolf
here,
howls,
maybe with some
and the
of
first
those
rays
wild
of sunlight
leeks.
creep into your cave.
You're no chef,
painting the
but you've
walls
learned a
in a
trick or
soft
two, like
golden
wrapping
glow.
meat in leaves
Your
to keep
stomach
it juicy.
growls loud enough to
You
scare
smirk,
off a saber-toothed
picturing
cat,
Grug trying to
probably.
season his food with
You're
dirt,
about to live a
once
day in the
claiming it was
life of a
earthy.
caveman.
The
And
clan
spoiler
still
alert,
teases him about
you
it.
probably
and
won't
you're not
survive
above
this without
tossing
some
in a
serious
jab when
luck.
he's nearby.
So before you get
The fire's
comfortable,
settled now, a
take a
steady
moment
glow
to
that'll
like the
last
video
till
and
morning if you're
subscribe.
lucky.
But only if you
sweep away
genuinely
stray
enjoy
ash,
what I
keeping
do
the
here.
pit tidy.
Drop a
The
comment
elders
with
are
your
dozing, their
location and local
snores
time.
blending with the
I love knowing
fire's
where you're
soft
chilling
pops.
as we dive into this
You feel the
prehistoric
day's
vibe.
weight in your bones.
Now,
Hunting, gathering,
dim the
building,
lights,
and now this.
maybe turn on a fan for
But
that
the
soft
fire's
background
warmth
hum,
soothes
and
you
let's
a
ease into
reminder that
tonight's
you're
journey
holding
together.
the clan together.
You blink
One
awake,
task
your
at
breath
a
fogging
time.
in the chilly
You stand
cave
stretching
air,
and take a
It's
final
dawn,
look at the pit.
and your body's already
the
on
flames
high
dance,
alert,
painting the
tuned to
walls
the
with
sounds
shifting
of the
shapes,
wild beyond the
animals,
rocky walls.
faces,
Oh.
stories.
No
You're not
snooze
sure if
button
it's the
here,
smoke
just the
or
distant
exhaustion,
roar of a cave
but
lion
you
to
feel a
kickstart your
connection
heart.
to something
You
bigger.
roll off the furs,
Something
your bare
that's
feet
kept
hitting
humans
the cold
alive for
stone
millennia.
floor, and
You
stretch,
pat the spear at your
feeling
side,
every ache from
its tip
yesterday's
still
hunt.
sharp from your napping,
Your clans still
and head
snoring,
toward the cave's
their shapes
mouth.
barely visible in the
The
dim
night's
light.
creeping in,
First
but
things
the fire's
first,
got your back.
you need to get
and the
moving,
clan's safe for
warm
now.
up,
You're
and
settled by the
figure out
cave's
what's on
fire
today's
now.
survival
its
to-do
warm
list.
glow pushing back the
Cavemen
evening
didn't
chill.
have coffee,
The
but
flint
they had their
tools
own
are
morning
stashed,
rituals
the
to
entrance
shake off the
fortified,
grogginess.
and the flames are steady,
You shuffle to the
crackling
cave's
softly.
mouth, squinting at
Your
the
basket
pink-streaked
of
sky.
foraged leeks and berries
The mainstream
sits
historical
nearby
fact
the
is that
rabbit
early
still tied to your
humans,
belt.
like
The
those
clan's
from the
winding
Upper
down,
Paleolithic,
but you're not done.
lived in
Now's the time
small,
for social
tight-knit
bonding.
groups,
The glue that keeps
often
this
in caves or
ragtag
temporary
group from
shelters,
fracturing.
relying on their
You lean
wits to
back on the
survive.
fur of the stone floor.
You grab a stick
hard
and
beneath
poke
you,
at the embers of
and let
last
the
night's
hum
fire,
of voices wash
coaxing a
over
flicker
you.
of flame back to
This
life.
is when stories are shared.
It's not just for warm
grudges
fires,
settled,
your
and
lifeline,
the
scaring
clan
off
remembers.
predators and
It's
signaling
a
your clan's
family.
presence.
The cave's alive with
Now,
chatter,
here's a quirky
low
tidbit.
laughs, a kid's
Some
giggle,
archaeologists
someone's
found evidence that
exaggerated
Neanderthals
yawn.
might be chewed
The
on resinous
firelight
bark,
dances on the
like a
walls,
prehistoric
turning rough
gum,
stone
possibly to
into a
freshen their
flickering
breath or soothe their
canvas.
gums.
Mainstream
Imagine you're
archaeology
chomping on
shows
some
that
sticky
early
tree
humans,
sap,
like those in the
a
Upper
bitter
Paleolithic,
taste waking you up faster
relied
than
on
any
tight
espresso
social
shot.
bonds
It's
to
not
survive,
exactly
sharing
minty
food
fresh,
skills
but it's better
and
than
protection in
yesterday's
small
mammoth
groups.
breath.
You scoot
You
closer
spit
to
it
the
out,
fire, joining a
chuckling at
circle
the
of
thought
familiar
of your clanmate
faces,
Grug,
elders
who swears
with
it
weathered
makes
skin
him
kids
irresistible
with
to the
berry-stained
ladies.
fingers,
Spoiler,
and
it
Grug
doesn't.
predictably trying to
You
hog
step
the
outside,
best spot.
the dew-soaked grass
You nudge him
tickling
over,
your toes.
smirking.
The world's
Plenty of
alive
room,
birds
big guy.
chirp,
Here's
a
a
river
quirky
gurgles
tidbit.
nearby,
Some researchers
something
think
rustles in the
Neanderthals
bushes.
might have used ochre,
Could
a
be
red
breakfast,
pigment,
or something
not
that
just for
sees you
art,
as breakfast.
but as a kind of social
You grab
signal,
a crude wooden
maybe
spear,
smearing it on
its
their
tip
faces during
blackened from fire
gatherings.
hardening, and
Picture
scan
you
the
dabbing
horizon.
ochre on your cheeks.
Historians
like
still
prehistoric
argue
war
whether
paint,
early humans were
feeling
more
fancy
scavengers
while
or
Grug
active
overdoes
hunters
it
at this stage.
and looks like a sunburned
But one
boulder.
thing's clear.
You
You
chuckle,
read,
tossing a
not
pebble
waiting
at
for
him.
food to stroll into
Easy
your
on the
cave.
makeup, huh?
Your morning
He
routine
grins, wiping his
ISNT just
face
about waking
and
up
leaving
at
a
S
red
about
streak.
preparing for whatever the
Classic
day throws
Grug,
at you.
always a mess.
You crouch
But
by the
he's your
stream,
mess. You pass
splashing
around a
icy
handful
water
of
on your
blackberries
face.
from your morning haul.
The
Their
shock's brutal,
sweetness cutting through
but
the
it
smoky
sharpens your
air.
senses.
The
You
kids
scoop a
pounce,
handful of clay from
squabbling
the
over
bank
the
and
juiciest
smear it on your
ones,
arms,
while an
a trick
elder
your
takes
clan
a
swears
single
keeps
berry,
bugs at bay.
savoring it like fine
Does it work?
wine.
It probably not,
Sharing food isn't just
but it makes you feel
practical.
like a warrior,
It's a
so you
promise,
go with it.
a way to say, we're
You
in
glance
this
back
together.
at the cave, where the
Historians
others
still
are
argue
stirring,
whether early
their
human
grunts and
groups were
yawns echoing
egalitarian
like a
or had
prehistoric
subtle
orchestra.
hierarchies.
Next,
but in this moment,
you check your gear.
everyone's equal, united
Your
by
flint
hunger,
knife chipped to
and
a
the
razor's
fires below.
edge hangs
You
from
pop
a leather
berry
thong
in your
around
mouth,
your
its
neck.
tang lingering.
You test
and
its
feel the
sharpness,
clan's warmth,
nicking your thumb
not
yap.
just from the flames.
Still good.
Someone starts
You
a
also
story,
grab a woven
tale
reed
of a
basket,
hunt gone
perfect
wrong,
for carrying
where a deer
whatever you
outsmarted the
scavenged
hunters
today.
and left them
These
tripping
tools
over
aren't just
roots.
objects. They're
The teller's
extensions
voice
of you,
rises and
crafted
falls,
with hours of
hands
sweat
waving
and
for
curses
effect,
when the flint
and the
splintered
kids
wrong.
lean in, eyes wide.
You smirk, remembering the
You've heard
time
this
you
one
tried to
before,
upgrade your spear
but you
with a
laugh
fancy
anyway,
bone tip,
adding bet
only
Grug
for it to
was
snap
leading that
mid-throw.
chase. The clan roars, and
Live and
Grug
learn,
fakes a
right?
scowl, then
The
joins
clan's
in.
awake now, and the
Storytelling's your
cave
entertainment,
buzzes with low
your
chatter.
history.
Kids
Your
toddle
way of
around,
teaching
mimicking
without
your
preaching.
spear grip,
You
while the
lean
elders
forward,
mutter about
ready
the weather.
to toss in your
You
own
take a moment
tale.
to stretch again,
Something to keep
loosening
the
your
mood
shoulders
light.
for the day's
You
work.
recount your rabbit hunt
A
from
caveman's
dawn,
life is
exaggerating
physical
just enough
every
to make the
task,
kids giggle.
from hunting to hauling wood,
There I was,
demands
spear
strength and
ready
stamina.
when the rabbit winked at
You
me,
jog in
swear
place,
it did.
your breath puffing in the
You
crisp
pause for
air,
effect,
feeling the
mimicking
blood
the
pump
rabbit's
through your
twitching
veins.
nose. The
It's not
kids howl,
CrossFit,
and even
but
the
it's close
elders
enough.
crack smiles.
Before heading
You
out,
weave in a
you share
lesson
a quick
about
meal-dried
tracking,
berries
describing how
and a
you read
strip
the
of smoked
droppings and
venison
broken
from last
twigs.
week's kill.
But keep it fun,
It's
not a
chewy,
lecture.
tough, and
The
tastes
clan's
vaguely
listening,
of ash.
and you
but
feel
it's
the
fuel.
weight of their trust.
You toss a berry
You're
to a
not just
kid
a
who's
hunter
staring at
or
you with
tool
wide
maker.
eyes,
You're a
earning a
thread
giggle.
in their story.
These
The fire
moments of
pops,
connection,
sending
small
up a
as they
shower
are,
of sparks,
glue your clan
and
together.
you fan the smoke away.
You're not just surviving
coughing
for yourself.
dramatically to make a kid
You're keeping
laugh.
this ragtag family
The air's
alive.
thick with the
As the
scent
sun
of
climbs
burning
higher,
pine
you
and
feel the
roasted
day's
roots
weight
someone's
settling
cooking.
in. There's
You
no
glance
clock,
at the
but
fire,
the light tells you it's
remembering
time
your
to
tending
move.
earlier,
You sling
and
the
feel a
basket over your
quiet
shoulder, together, grip your spear, and head toward the forest's edge. The others will follow soon,
and hearts.
each with their own tasks.
You pass around
gathering,
more berries,
hunting,
noticing how the
guarding
kids
the
mimic
cave.
your gestures,
You pause,
copying
taking
how
one
you
last
sit,
look at the
how you
fire.
talk.
its smoke
They're
curling
learning
like a
clan
promise
life,
of
soaking
safety.
it up like moss.
Then you step
rain.
into the wild,
An elder
ready to
clears
face
their
whatever's
throat,
waiting.
launching into a quieter
You're trudging
story
through the forest,
about the stars
the morning
outside,
mist
how
curling
they guide
around
the
your
clan's
ankles like a
migrations.
clingy ghost.
You tilt your head,
The air's
half
alive with
listening,
sounds,
half
crickets
watching
humming,
the group.
leaves whispering,
Grug's trying to
and the sharp
impress a
snap
woman
of
by
a twig
flexing,
that makes your
but
pulse
she's more
jump.
interested
You're
in the
hunting
story,
breakfast.
rolling her eyes.
Not some epic
You
mammoth
stifle
chase,
a laugh, whispering,
but a small
"Smooth
prize to
move,
quiet the
Grug.
clan's growling
Try
stomachs.
talking next time."
Your spear's heavy in
He
your
shoots
hand.
you a mock glare,
It's
but
fire-hardened
you know
tip,
he'll try again
a trusted
tomorrow.
ally.
The clan's like
You're
that,
after
full
something
of quirks,
manageable, a
but
rabbit,
no one's left
maybe
behind.
a pigeon,
You notice
something
a kid
to keep
fidgeting,
the kids from
looking
whining
nervous,
till lunch.
maybe spooked by
Out
the
here,
elders'
though,
talk
the
of
forest
vast
doesn't care
skies
about your plans.
and unknown lands.
One wrong step,
You scoot
and
closer,
your lunch
offering
instead.
a reassuring nod.
The
Stars
forest
are just
floor is a
fires
mosaic
far
of
away,
shadows
you
and
say.
sunlight.
Softly
You move
point into the
deliberately,
cave's ceiling,
eyes
as if
scanning
the
for
night's
any
up
hint
there.
of life.
The kid
You're not
relaxes,
just walking,
clutching
you're
a fur,
decoding the
and
world.
you feel that same
Scuffed
connection
patch of
from when
dirt
you
might
taught them
signal a
about
deer
fire.
trail. Hoffet and
Bonding
fern could
isn't
mean a
just
hare's nearby.
stories. It's these small
Mainstream
moments
archaeology
building
shows
trust.
early humans like
One
those in
word
the Upper
at a time.
Paleolithic
The fire's lower
often
now,
hunted small game
coals
for quick
glowing
low-risk
red,
protein,
and the
saving
clan's
the big hunts
voices
for special
soften the
days.
energy, shifting to
You
something
spot a pile
calmer.
of droppings,
You
still
stretch,
fresh and glistening.
feeling the day's work in your
Rabbit,
shoulders.
definitely.
Hunting, foraging,
Your stomach rumbles,
building, fire
loud enough
tending.
to startle a squirrel.
It's all led to this.
You
sitting
mutter,
here, sharing
"Quiet
the
you,
cave's
or we'll
warmth.
both starve."
You pass around the
Hear us
last
a
of the
quirky
berries,
tidbit.
your fingers sticky.
Some
and
researchers
listen
suggest
as another
Neanderthals might
story
have
starts
used
this
bright
one
feathers as decoys,
about a river spirit who guards
waving
the
them
fish
to lure
traps.
curious birds or
You
small
don't believe in
animals.
spirits,
Imagine
but you
you
love the way
twirling
the
a
tale
feathered
pulls
stick
everyone
like a
closer.
caveman con
The
artist,
firelight
hoping
making
a sparrow
every face
takes
a
the
part
bait.
of the story.
You give
the
it a
kids
try,
are yawning, curling up
feeling
on furs,
ridiculous as
and
you
the
flick the
elder's
stick
voices
back
grow
and forth.
slower,
Nothing
heavier.
bites, and
You
you
lean
toss it
back
aside,
the stone, cool
grumbling.
against your
Guess I'm
spine,
not charming
and let the
birds today.
moment sink in.
You laugh softly,
This is why you do it
picturing
all.
Grug
The
trying the
hunts,
same trick
the tools,
and tripping over
the
his own
endless
ego.
tasks.
I see.
For this feeling, this clan, this fragile circle of light in a wild world. You glance at your spear propped nearby, its tip still sharp from your napping. Tomorrow's another day,
Following
but
faint
tonight,
rabbit tracks
you're
toward a
home,
clearing,
and that's
there
enough.
a quick flash of
You're still
brown
by the
fur
fire.
darts through the
It's
tall
glow
grass.
A
You
soft
freeze,
pulse,
breath
as
shallow,
the clan's story
muscles taut like a
fades into
bowstring.
murmurs. The
The rabbit
cave's warm,
pauses,
filled with the
nose
scent
twitching,
of smoke,
unaware
and
of
the
you
faint
blending into the
sweetness of
ferns.
berries shared
You
earlier.
raise your spear,
Your body's
aim
heavy
carefully,
from the day
and
hunting,
let it fly.
foraging, tool-making, shelter
Thud the
work.
spear grazes a
But
bush,
the kids are restless,
missing by inches.
tugging at
The rabbit
furs
bolts,
and giggling
and you
instead
curse
of
under your
sleeping.
breath, jogging
It's time
after
for
it.
childcare, caveman
Historians still
style.
argue whether early
You're not
humans
just
leaned more
keeping
on
them alive.
endurance hunting, running
You're
prey
teaching
to
them to survive,
exhaustion or
turning their
stealthy
endless
ambushes
energy
like
into
this one.
skills
Right now you're
through
batting
play
0, and
and
it stings.
patience.
The
You
chase
shift
takes
on
you
the
past a
stone
patch
floor,
of wild
ready to
strawberries, their
wrangle the
red
little
jewels
chaos
peeking from
makers.
the
A
undergrowth.
kid barely
You
waist
kneel,
high
popping
brandishes
a
a
few
stick
into your mouth,
like a
their
spear jabbing
tartness
at the
a
air.
sharp wake-up call.
I'm hunting
You stuff a
mammoth.
handful
They
into your
shout,
reed
nearly
basket,
poking your eye.
knowing the kids will
You
wrestle
grab
for
the
them
stick,
back at the
gently
cave.
redirecting
The
it.
forest's your pantry.
Mammoths, later
But it's a
hero.
dangerous one, oh Isles.
Let's hunt something
Just
smaller
the chance
first.
of a boar deciding
Mainstream
you're trespassing.
archaeology shows
Smirk.
that early
Imagining
human children
explaining
learned
to the
survival
clan how you got
skills
chased by a
through
pig
imitation,
over a berry
practicing
snack.
hunting and
A
gathering
rustle stops you
in
dead,
playful ways
not the
that
rabbit
mirrored
something
adult
heavier.
tasks.
You duck behind
You
a
point to
gnarled
pile
oak,
of reeds
peering
near
through the
fire,
leaves.
suggesting
Fox slinks
gather
past,
those for
a
baskets
limp hole in
quietly,
its jaws.
or the cave lion hears
Clever
you.
fox, you think.
The kid
but you're not
scurries
here to
off,
steal
eager
its
to
meal.
prove themselves.
You
Here's a
note its
quirky
path
tidbit.
for later wear. There's
Some
one
researchers
snack.
found
There's
tiny
usually more.
child-sized flint tools
You
at
adjust your
Neanderthal
spear.
sites,
Its
suggesting
blackened
kids
tip,
as young as
catching
5
a stray sunbeam.
might have practiced
This spear's your
napping,
lifeline,
probably under
crafted with
watchful
sweat
eyes.
and a few choice grunts.
Picture
when the
you
wood
handing a
split
dull
wrong.
flint to
You
a
pat
kid,
it, whispering,
showing them how to
"Let's not
tap
mess this up
without
again."
slicing a finger,
The trail leads to a babbling stream.
Brags about his
its muddy banks
knife
soft
that's
underfoot.
basically a rock.
You spot fresh tracks, rabbit.
You smirk,
maybe
imagining
a pair,
him as a kid,
studying
dropping
the like
stones on his own toes.
Feeling like the Sherlock of the Stone
Focus,
Age.
little one, you say to the child,
water's crystal
stifling
clear,
a laugh.
tempting.
Grug's still
but you
learning,
know better than to
and
drink.
he's ancient.
Last time you spent
gather
a day
few
regretting
kids
it
around
with
their
a stomachache
faces,
from hell.
smudged with dirt and
You
berry
splash
juice.
your face instead.
The goal's to keep
the
them
cold
busy while
snapping your
teaching
senses
something
awake.
useful.
A bird
pick up a
calls
reed
above, and you
and
glance
start
up,
weaving it into
half
a simple
expecting
mat,
it to jeer at
showing
your
them
empty
the
basket.
over-under pattern.
Then, movement.
See, strong enough to carry
Across
food,
the
you say,
stream, a
voice
rabbit
low
munches
and
on
steady,
clover,
like you're telling
its
a
ears
bedtime
flicking
story.
lazily.
They
You wade
mimic
into the
you,
water,
their small
grimacing as the
fingers
icy
clumsy
current
but
bites your
determined.
calves.
One kid's
Step by
mat looks
cautious
like a
step.
bird's nest.
You close
You
the
grin,
distance,
ruffling their hair.
spear at the ready.
Good start.
The rabbit tenses,
We'll fix it tomorrow.
sensing danger.
They beam proud
You
of
hold
their
your
mess.
breath, arm
The cave's
poised.
quieter now. The
This
elders
time your
dozing
throw's
their
perfect.
snores, blending
The spear
with the
pins
fire's
the rabbit
crackle.
to the bank with a
You
soft
glance
thud.
at your basket from the morning's
You let out a
forage,
quiet
the
whoop,
leeks and
then cover your
hazelnuts
mouth,
still waiting to be
scanning for
sorted.
predators drawn by
The
the
kids
sound.
notice, and
The
one
forest
grabs a
stays
nut,
silent,
trying to
just you and
crack
your
it with their
prize.
teeth.
You retrieve
Whoa,
the
not
rabbit,
like that, you
its
say,
warmth
handing them a
fading
flat
against your
stone.
palm. Small,
Smash it,
but
don't
enough to
break your
feed a few
face.
hungry mouths.
They giggle,
Tie it to your
pounding the
belt,
nut
blood
until
smearing
it
your
splits,
fingers, and rinse
and you show them
in the
how
stream.
to pick out the meat.
The kill's no
It's
grand
messy,
trophy,
but they're
it
learning,
feels like a
and
triumph.
the cave feels
You're not just
alive
eating,
with their
you're
chatter.
proving you can
Historians
keep the clan
still
alive
argue
another
whether
day.
childcare in early
check the
human
sky.
groups was a
The sun's
shared
higher
duty,
now,
or
urging
mostly
you to head
handled
back
by
before the
specific
forest
members,
gets too lively.
like mothers or elders.
On the return, you grab
your
more
clan,
strawberries,
it's all
and a
hands on
sprig
deck.
of wild mint
You're
grub's
no
breath
parent,
could use
but
the
you're
help.
teaching, guiding, keeping
You weave
these
through
kids
the
from
trees,
burning
the rabbit
cave
bouncing
down.
at your hip.
A
Your
girl
steps
tugs
lighter
your
now.
arm, holding
Caves
up a
close,
lopsided reed
and you
mat.
picture the kids'
For
grins
you,
when they
she
see the
says,
haul.
eyes bright.
You'll skin the
You
rabbit
take
later.
it pretending to
Maybe
inspect
save
it like
the
a
pelt
master
for a kid's
craftsman.
cloak.
Fit
For
for
now,
a chief, you
you're
say,
content.
and she
The
laughs,
forests
scampering
hum
off to
fading
make
as you
another.
near home.
You set
ready
up a
to share
game
the
to
morning
burn their
small
energy
victory.
tracking practice.
You're back
You
in the
scatter
forest,
a few pebbles
the
across
rabbit
the cave
from your
floor,
earlier
calling
hunt
it a
still
trail.
dangling from your belt,
Find the deer's
but now
path,
your
you
focus
say,
shifts
pointing
to
the
gathering
pattern you've
nature's
made.
pantry.
The kids crawl,
The sun's
squinting,
higher,
arguing
burning
over
off
which
the
pebble's a
morning mist,
hoofprint.
and the air's
One
thick with the
insists
scent
a
of
random
pine and
twig
damp
is a
earth.
clue, and you
Your
nod
basket
solemnly,
swings at your
hiding a
side, half
smile.
filled with those tart strawberries.
Maybe a magic
but you need
deer
more
you
roots,
tease,
nuts,
and they erupt
anything
in
to
giggles.
stretch the clan's meals.
Plays how they learn
The
to
forest
read
is
the
generous,
wild, just
but
like
it's
you
also
did
a
on
maze
that
of
rabbit
risks.
hunt at dawn.
Thorns,
Grug lumbers
snakes,
over, predictably
or
drawn
worse.
to the noise.
A rival clan
What's this, a kid
eyeing the
army,
same
he
bounty.
asks, flexing for no
You
reason.
step lightly, eyes
roll your
darting every
eyes.
sense tuned
Teaching,
to the
not
wild's
wrestling.
rhythm.
Try it
You weave
sometime.
through towering ferns,
He grabs a stick,
their fronds
pretending
brushing
to
your
hunt the
shoulders
pebbles,
like nosy
and
neighbors.
the kids love it, chasing
The
him in
ground's a
circles.
carpet of moss and
For
fallen
once,
leaves,
Grug's
cushioning
useful,
your steps.
and you let him take the
Mainstream
lead.
archaeology
While you check the fire,
confirms that
adding a
early
log to keep
humans,
it steady.
especially during the
The flames
Paleolithic,
reflect off your
relied
flint
heavily
knife
on
still
foraging.
hanging from your neck.
with
A
plant
reminder of
foods
the
making
tools
up a
you
huge
crafted
chunk of
earlier.
their diets.
Everything's
Sometimes more than
connected.
meat.
Every task
You spot a patch
builds
of
the
wild
clan.
leeks, their
A
green
kid
tips
trips,
poking through
scraping
the
their
soil.
knee, and the
Kneeling, you
mood
dig with a
shifts.
sharpened stick,
You kneel,
unearthing their
inspecting the
bulbous
tiny
roots.
wound, and
The
grab
smell's
a leaf
sharp,
from your basket,
almost
one of those
eye-watering,
chamomile sprigs
but you know
from the
they'll add
forest.
flavor to tonight's meal.
This'll help you
Here's a
say,
quirky
pressing
tidbit.
it gently to the scrape.
Some evidence suggests
for
Neanderthals
comfort than
might have used
medicine.
certain plants,
The kid sniffs,
like
calming
chamomile,
down,
for more than
and
just
you tell
food,
a quick story about
possibly
a brave
as a
hunter
crude tea
who
to
fell,
calm nerves
but
or
got
aid
up
sleep.
stronger.
Picture
They
you,
listen
prehistoric
wide-eyed,
forager
and you feel that
extraordinaire,
quiet weight
steeping
of
leaves in hot
responsibility.
water like a Stone Age
You're
barista.
not just babysitting.
You chuckle,
You're shaping their
imagining
courage.
Grug sipping
The
herbal
cave
tea,
shadows
and
deepen
claiming
as
it
the
makes
sun
him
dips
zen.
outside,
Yeah, right,
and
Grug's
the
about as
kid's
zen
energy
as a star
finally
born.
wanes.
Tuck a few chamomile
You herd them
sprigs
toward the
into your
firs,
basket,
where their
just in
mothers
case
are
the elders
settling
want to
in.
experiment later.
One kid clutches
Move
their
deeper into
wonky
the
reed
forest,
mat, refusing
spotting
to
a
let
cluster
go.
of hazelnuts
And you
nestled under
smile,
a shrub.
remembering your own childhood.
You crack one open with a
mimicking
rock,
hunters
the
by
nutty
the
scent making
firelight.
your mouth water.
You glance at
Into
the
the
rabbit
basket
on
they
your
go,
belt,
but
thinking
not
of the
before you
meal
munch
it'll
a
make,
few,
and the
savoring
shelter you
crunch.
patched. keeping
Foraging's
these
not
kids
just about
safe
survival,
tonight.
it's a treasure hunt.
It's all for
Every
them in
find,
a way.
a small win.
You wrap up by
Historians
teaching
still
one
argue
last
whether
trick,
early
how
humans
to tie
planned
a
their
simple
gathering
knot
routes
with a
or
vine.
wandered
Good for
opportunistically.
securing baskets
But you're
or
methodical,
traps.
sticking to
The
spots
kids
the
fumble,
clans raided
giggling at their
before.
tangled
No
messes,
sense reinventing
but
the
a few
wheel.
get at their faces
Well,
lighting
the
up.
basket.
Tomorrow,
A rustle
you'll
in the
tie
bushes
better than
stops you
Grug. You
cold.
say loud enough
grip
for him
your
to
spear.
hear.
Heart thumping.
He snorts,
Could be
tossing
a deer.
pebble
Could
at
be
you,
trouble.
and the
You
kids
crouch,
laugh the cave,
peering through the
echoing with their
foliage, but
joy.
it's just a bird flitting away.
You lean back, the fire's
You exhale,
warmth
shaking your
soaking
head,
into your bones,
getting jumpy.
and
Huh?
feel the
You mutter.
clans
Half
heartbeat
to
in
yourself,
these moments.
half to the
The
forest.
kids are yawning now,
The
curling
wilds
up on
taught you
furs, their
paranoia as a
mats,
survival
and cracked
skill,
nuts scattered
but it
around.
doesn't mean you enjoy the
You
adrenaline
sweep the
spikes.
cave floor clear,
You straighten,
keeping it tidy
scanning
for the
for
night.
more goodies.
The fire's
basket
low
growing
coals
heavier with
glowing
leaks.
like tiny stars,
Nuts.
and you add a
And a
final
handful of
stick,
blackberries you
ensuring
couldn't
it'll
resist.
last.
The
You're
blackberries
exhausted,
are a risk.
but the
Thorny
kid
brambles guard
smiles.
them
Their
like
small
nature's
victories
barbed
make it
wire.
worth it.
Reach in, wincing.
They're
as
the
thorn nicks
clan's
your
future,
finger.
and you're
Blood
teaching
beads
them to
and you suck
carry
it
it.
clean, grumbling
You
about nature's
stand,
pay-to-play
stretching,
policy.
ready for whatever the night
Still,
brings.
the berries
cave,
are worth
a
it.
warm haven
Their
against
sweetness
the
a rare
wild
treat.
beyond.
You imagine the
You're
kids'
easing away
faces
from the
stained
fire.
purple and grinning when you
Now
bring
the
these
kids
back.
finally tucked into their furs.
You pick carefully,
their giggles
filling a
fading
corner
into
of the
soft
basket,
snores.
leaving room for
The
more.
cave's warm.
The clan's
air
picky
thick
eaters
with the
looking
scent
at
of
you.
smoke
Grug will
and
have to
roasted
deal with
roots
whatever
from
you haul
someone's
home.
late snack.
Spot a gnarled root
Your
sticking out of the
body's
soil
sore
while
from the
parsing it
day's
maybe.
grind.
You
Hunting,
dig the earth
foraging,
crumbling under your
tool-making,
fingers
shelter
and yank it
repairs,
free.
and wrangling
It's
tiny
ugly,
wannabe hunters.
knobby, but
But the
edible
clan's
once
not
roasted.
done with you yet.
You toss
It's
it
time
in,
to plan a
brushing
group
dirt
hunt, a
from your
big one
hands.
for something larger.
The forest's
that
a grocery
rabbit
store
still
with no
dangling
labels,
from your
and you're
belt.
learning on the fly
You
what's
join
safe.
a huddle of hunters near the
Last
cave's
week,
mouth.
someone
The
ate a
night air
dodgy
sharp
mushroom and
outside,
spent the night
and start
regretting it.
strategizing
You
under
smirk,
the flickering firelight.
remembering
The
Grug's
group's
dramatic
small but
groans
solid,
echoing
4
through
of
the
you,
cave.
including Grug,
Lesson
who's
learned,
already puffing his
stick
chest
to what you know.
like he's the clan's
A
top
distant
predator.
howl freezes you.
You sit on a flat rock,
Wolves, maybe?
your spear propped
Or just the
beside
wind
you,
playing
its
tricks.
tip glinting
Tighten
from
your
your
grip on
earlier
the spear,
napping.
scanning the trees.
Mainstream
forest's
archaeology
beauty
shows that
hides its
early
teeth
humans,
predators,
like those in the Upper
poison plants,
Paleolithic,
or a slip
hunted
into a
in
hidden
coordinated
ravine.
groups to take
You
down
move toward a
large game
clearing,
deer boar,
where sunlight
or even
pools
mammoth,
like liquid
using
gold.
teamwork to offset
There,
the risks.
you find dandelion
You
greens.
pull out a stick
Their
and start
jagged
scratching
leaves
a
a
rough
familiar
map in the
sight.
dirt, marking the
You
valley
pluck a
where
bunch,
tracks were spotted
knowing they're
yesterday.
bitter but nutritious.
Deer herd, maybe you say,
The elders
voice
swear
low.
by them, claiming
We
they
move at
clean the
dawn.
blood,
Here's a
whatever
quirky
that
tidbit.
means.
Some
You pause
researchers
by a
found
stream to
evidence
rinse
that
your
Neanderthals
hands,
might
the
have
water
used
icy
vocal
against your
signals like
skin.
hoots or clicks
A fish darts
to
past,
coordinate
too quick to
hunts without
catch,
alerting
but it
prey.
reminds you to check the clan's
Picture you
fish traps
practicing
later.
a low whistle,
For
trying
now,
to sound
you
like
focus
a
on
bird,
plants.
while
You spot a
Grug
cluster
attempts
of
his own
wild
signal, a
garlic.
grunt so loud
Its
it'd
pungent
scare a
smell
saber-toothed cat.
unmistakable.
You
dig up
smirk,
a few
nudging
bulbs,
him.
adding them to your
Subtle
haul.
Grug.
The
Real stealthy.
basket's getting heavy.
He laughs,
tugging at your
but
shoulder,
you're half
but you're
serious.
not done.
Silence is your edge out
A good
there.
forager
You
knows when
test
to
the
push
whistle
on and
again,
when to head
soft
back.
and sharp, and the
The
others
sun's
nod,
nearing its
mimicking
peak,
it.
warming
It's not
your back
perfect,
as
but
you
it'll do.
work.
You
Find
trace
a
the
patch of
map
clover,
again, pointing
its
out the
leaves
river
tender
bend,
enough to eat
where
raw.
deer drink
You
at
nibble
first
one.
light.
Its mild flavor,
The
a nice
plan's
change
simple.
from the leek's bite.
2 of
So
you
gather
flank
a
the
handful,
herd.
thinking
One
of the
drives
kids
them
who'll
toward
munch
the river,
like candy.
and the last,
Foraging's
probably
slow
you takes
work,
the shot with a
but
spear.
it's satisfying.
Historians
find a piece
still
of the
argue
clan's
whether
survival
early human
puzzle.
hunts were
You're
meticulously
not just gathering
planned,
food,
or more opportunistic,
you're gathering security.
but you're leaning
buffer
hard into
against the lean
preparation
days.
tonight. You've
As
seen
you head
hunts
back
go
toward
wrong,
the cave,
a boar
you take a detour
goring,
past
a hunter,
fruit-heavy
a deer
elderberry bush.
bolting too fast,
The dark
and you're
berries
not
tempt
risking
you,
it.
but you
You
hesitate
glance at
too
your
many
flint
raw,
knife still
and you'll
hanging
be
from your
sprinting
neck,
for the bushes.
and feel its weight, a
You
reminder
pick a
of
few,
the tools you'll need
planning
sharp
to dry them for
and
later.
ready. Grug
forest
suggests
taught you
charging
patience,
straight in like
a
warriors.
lesson you're still learning.
You roll your eyes, tapping the
You
map.
glance at the sky,
Warriors with
judging the
broken
time.
spears, maybe.
clan will be waiting,
We trap
hungry
them
for your
first.
haul, and the
The
rabbit
others
from
agree,
earlier.
sketching out
You
paths
adjust
to
the
cut off
basket,
escape routes.
feeling its weight,
You
and start the
assign
trek
roles,
home.
Grug, and
The
another
forest's
hunter will
hum
flank
fading
using
behind
bushes
you.
for cover.
You're back at the
A
cave
wiry
now.
kid,
The
barely
forest's
grown,
bounty
will drive
tucked
the
safely
deer
in
by
your basket.
shouting.
The rabbit
wait at the
still
river
swinging
spear
from your
ready.
belt.
The kid's
sun's
nervous
climbing,
eyes wide,
casting long
but you
shadows
clap their
across the
shoulder.
rocky clearing.
You'll be fine.
And the clan's buzzing
Just don't
with morning
trip.
tasks.
They grin.
Your next job
and
is
the
to
group
craft
feels
tools
tighter
sharp,
focused.
reliable
You
ones to
stand
keep the clan
stretching
fed,
and lead the
clothed,
group to
and
check
safe.
gear.
You settle on a
Spears are
flat
piled
stone near the
cave wall.
cave's mouth.
Their tips fire
air
hardened
sharp with
or
the scent of
flint-tipped
smoke
from your
and earth.
morning's work.
Your hands
you
are
test
already
one,
itching
balancing
to
it
work
in your hand,
to turn
feeling
raw
its
flint
heft.
into something deadly.
It's good, but
This
you
isn't
spot
just
a
busy
crack
work.
in another.
In
and
this
set it
world, a
aside,
dull blade
cursing
means an
under your
empty
breath.
stomach, or worse.
No one checked this, you mutter.
You grab a chunk of
grabbing
flint
fresh
from a
shaft
pile
from
the
the
clan
pile.
scavenged.
The others
its glassy
follow your
surface
lead,
cool against your
inspecting
palm.
their weapons,
The stone's
tightening
heavy,
bindings.
full of potential,
You remember the
but
rabbit
its stubborn
hunt, how
one
a good
wrong
throw
strike,
saved the day,
and it'll
no
shatter
tomorrow's
into useless
prey won't be
shards.
so small. The fire's
Mainstream
low,
archaeology
now
shows that
coals
early
glowing
humans,
like embers of your
like
plan.
those in the upper
You grab a hide
Paleolithic,
and drape it over the map,
mastered
preserving it
flint
for
napping,
dawn.
creating
The
razor-sharp
cave's
blades
quiet,
for hunting
save
and
for
cutting.
the elders' snores.
You
and the
select a
kid muttering in
hammerstone,
their
a
sleep.
smooth river rock
You
that
glance
fits
at your
grip,
basket from the
and
morning's
start tapping,
forage.
testing the
leeks
flint's
and
weak
berries
points.
untouched for now.
Flakes chip off,
And think of the feast a
glinting
deer
in
could
the
bring.
sunlight like tiny
The
obsidian
clan's been
tears.
lean lately.
Here's
and
a quirky
big kill
tidbit.
would lift spirits.
Some archaeologists
Maybe earn
found
you a
evidence
nod
that
from the
Neanderthals
elders.
might via use birch tar as
smirk,
glue to fix
picturing
stone tips to
Grug,
wooden spears.
trying to claim
Prehistoric
credit for the whole
superglue
thing.
cooked from tree
A
bark.
hunter suggests
Imagine
adding
you,
traps,
hunched over a
pits
smoky
or
fire,
snares near the river.
stirring a gooey
You
mess
nod,
like a
liking
caveman
the idea,
chemist,
but warn,
hoping it'll hold your
takes
spear
time
together.
we might not have.
You smirk, picturing
You
Grug
compromise,
trying to
set
improve
one
the
simple
recipe
snare
and ending
tonight,
up with tar
just
in
vines
his beard.
and a heavy rock
Sticky
to test
situation.
the spot.
A Grug?
You step outside
You
the
mutter,
night air,
chuckling
biting
as
your
you strike
skin
the
and work
flint
together
again,
to rig it,
sending another
tying
flake
vines
flying.
to a low branch.
The rhythm of
The
napping
stars are
pulls you
sharp overhead,
in tap,
and a wolf's
crack,
howl in
pause,
the distance makes you
assess,
pause.
while
You
sculpting,
grip your
not
spear,
just chipping,
scanning the dark,
aiming for a
but
blade
nothing
thin enough
moves.
to slice hide,
Hurry
but
up, you
sturdy
whisper,
enough to scrape bone.
and the snares done,
Historians still
blending into
argue
the
whether
shadows.
toolmaking was a
Back
specialized
inside, you huddle
skill,
again, refining details.
passed down like a trade
You
or something
mimic the
every clan
deer's
member
likely
learned.
path,
You're no
crouching
master,
to show how you'll hide
but you've
behind
got
a
the
boulder.
basics. Learn
Grug
through trial
insists on
and
practicing
plenty of
his
error.
battle cry, and
Like
you
that time
shush
you
him,
thought a bigger
laughing.
hammerstone meant
You'll scare
faster
the
work
deer to the
spoiler.
next valley.
It meant a
The others
smashed
chuckle,
thumb
and the
and a week of
tension
grumbling.
eases. Planning's
A
as
kid
much
toddles
about
over,
trust as
wide-eyed, watching
tactics.
your
You're
hands.
betting your lives on each
You
other.
slow down,
You
showing
glance
them
at
how
the
to
kid
angle
still
the
clutching
strike.
their spear, and offer
See,
a quick story
it's
about your
soft.
first hunt.
Let the
How you
stone do the
missed,
work,
but
you
learned.
say, voice
They
low,
relax,
like you're sharing
and you
a
feel
secret.
the group solidify.
The kid
The
nods,
cave shadows
mimicking
deepen, the
you with a
fire's
pebble,
glow barely
and you
reaching the
grin.
walls.
Teaching's
You
part
wrap
of
up,
survival. Your
assigning a
clan's
night
only as
watch
strong
to
as
keep
its
the
next
fire going.
generation.
Can't
Nudge
risk
the
it
kid back to
dying
their
before
mom,
dawn.
refocusing on
You
the flint.
volunteer for the
The blade's
first
taking
shift,
shape,
knowing
its
you're
edge
too
wickedly
wired
sharp.
to sleep.
You
The
test it
others
on your
head to
arm
their
hair,
furs.
shaving and
Grug
patch clean,
snores,
not
starting
bad.
before he
Caves
even
alive
lies
around
down.
Usoan's pounding
You
roots.
smirk,
and
poking
others
the
hauling
fire,
wood.
and think of the
You
morning's
glance at your
hunt,
basket,
the
the
rabbit,
leeks and berries from
the
earlier
tools,
peeking out,
the shelter,
a
all
reminder
leading
of
to
the
this.
morning's haul.
You're not just
Tools like
planning
this
a
blade
kill.
will help process
You're
that
planning
food,
the clan's
turning
future.
tough roots into
You
something
settle by the
chewable.
fire spear
You
across
set
your
the
lap
finished knife
and watch
aside
the coals
and grab
pulse.
another flint,
The cave
this
feels
time aiming
smaller
for a
now,
scraper
a
to clean
cocoon against
hides.
the wild outside.
The process is slower,
You picture the
more
deer,
precise.
its antlers catching
Each strike a
dawn's
gamble.
light, and your spear
A bad
finding
one
its
sends a
mark.
crack spidering through
The
the
clan's
stone,
counting
and
on you,
groan.
and you feel that
Come on,
weight,
don't betray me
heavy
now,
but
you
steady.
whisper, half joking.
You lean back, the stone
The sun's
cool
heat
against
prickles your
spine,
back, and you
let
wipe
the
sweat from
fire's
your
hum
brow,
anchor you.
smearing dirt across your
Tomorrow's
face.
a gamble.
You don't
But
care you're a
tonight,
walking
you've got
canvas
a
of
plan,
grime out here.
a team, and
A
a
bird
fire
screeches
to keep
nearby
the dark
and you
at bay.
pause,
You're
scanning
up
the
before
tree
dawn,
line.
the cave still cloaked
No threats,
in shadow.
just the
The fire, a
forest's
faint
usual
glow
chatter.
of coals from your night
Still,
watch.
you keep your
The
spear
hunting
close,
plans etched in
tip
your
glinting
mind,
beside you.
and your spear's
Tools aren't
ready.
just for work.
Its flint tip,
They're your
sharp
defense
from
against a
yesterday's
world
napping.
that doesn't play
The
fair.
The clan's still snoring.
You remember that fox from the hunt,
hunters are stirring,
sleek and cunning,
slipping out
a good
to track
scraper
the deer herd
could turn
you
its
mapped
pelt
last
into
night.
a kid's cloak.
The air's crisp,
You switch to a
heavy
smaller
with the scent of
hammerstone,
dew and
aiming
pine,
for finer
and
flakes.
the forest's quiet.
The scraper's edge
Save for the
curves,
soft crunch
perfect
of
for
leaves
stripping fat
underfoot.
from hides.
You're on the hunt now.
You test it on a
following
scrap of
trails
deer
to the
skin,
river bend.
the blade
Every
gliding
step
smooth,
a test of stealth
leaving a clean
and
surface.
instinct. You lead
Satisfaction
the group eyes
hums
scanning
through
for
use.
signs, broken
This tool's a
twigs,
keeper.
scuffed
You
dirt,
add it to your
anything
pile,
to confirm the
already
deer are
picturing
where
the
you
clan's
expect.
gratitude when they're
Mainstream
not wrestling
archaeology
with dull
shows
blades.
that early
You're not just
humans,
making
like
tools,
those in the Upper
you're making life
Paleolithic,
easier,
were
one chip
skilled
at a time.
trackers, reading
Shadow
subtle
falls over
clues
you,
in the
Brooke,
landscape to locate
looming with
prey.
his usual mix of
You
curiosity
spot a fresh
and bad
hoofprint,
ideas.
its edges
Make me a
crisp in
bigger
the muddy
knife,
bank,
he says,
and
flexing
crouch,
like it'll
signaling
impress
the
the
others.
flint.
They're
You
close.
roll your eyes,
You
tossing him a
whisper,
pebble.
pointing to a
Bigger,
trail of nibbled
ego
ferns
first,
leading toward the river.
Maybe? He
Your
laughs,
heart's
but
steady,
you're only half
but there's
kidding.
a buzz in your veins.
You hand
This
him a
is what
flint
you
to
train
try,
for.
knowing
Here's
he'll
a quirky
botch it.
tidbit.
Sure
Some
enough, his
researchers
first strike
think
splits the
Neanderthals
stone
might have
clean
used
in
animal
half.
dung to predict
You
prey
snort.
movements,
Nice one,
sniffing
Grub.
out fresh
That's
droppings
a great door
to
stop.
gauge how recent a
Grumbles.
herd
It
passed.
sticks around, watching
Picture
you
you
work.
nose wrinkled
The
inspecting
pile
a pile
grows
of deer
to knives,
pellets,
a scraper,
like a
and a
caveman
half-finished
detective,
point for a
while
spear.
Grug gags
Your hands
dramatically
ache,
behind
knuckles scraped from
you.
stray
You smirk,
flakes,
nudging
but
him.
it's a good ache.
Smells
kind
like
earned.
dinner, Grug.
Stretch,
Get used to
feeling
it.
the kinks in your
He
shoulders.
mutters something about fancy
The
trackers.
clan's tools are your
but
legacy.
you're already moving,
Proof
following
you're
the
pulling
trail,
your
the
weight.
faint whistle from
You
last
glance
night's
at the
planning
kids
session,
playing nearby,
ready on your lips.
one pretending to
the
nap with a
forest's
stick.
waking up birds chirping
Maybe they'll
faintly,
be better than you someday.
but you keep low blending
For
into
now,
the shadows.
You're the one keeping the
The
blades
river's hum
sharp.
grows louder,
You wrap
and you
up
spot
as the
the
sun
clearing
nears
where the
its
deer
peak.
should drink.
The clearing now bathed in
Historians
golden
still
light.
argue whether early hunters
You
used
gather
terrain
your
to their
tools,
advantage,
tucking
or
them into a
relied
leather
purely on
pouch,
speed
careful
and
not to nick
spears.
yourself.
But you're all
The
about
flint's
strategy.
edges are traitors if you,
You
get
signal
careless.
Grug and the other
You stand,
flanker
brushing
to circle
dust from
wide
your
their
knees,
steps,
and head
silent
toward the
as they
cave to
vanish into
stash
the
your
brush.
haul. The
The
clan's
kid
waiting,
tasked with
their
driving the
tasks
deer
piling up
waits
hides
behind
to
you,
scrape,
clutching
food
a
to
stick,
prep.
their eyes
Your
nervous
tools
but
will make their
determined.
work smoother.
You give them
Maybe
a nod.
earn you an extra berry or
You've
two
got
tonight.
this. You creep
You
to your
pause
spot
at the
behind
cave's
a
mouth,
boulder,
glancing
spear
back
gripped
at your
tight
work
its weight,
spot.
familiar from the rabbit
The
hunt.
ground's littered with
The
flint
river
flakes,
sparkles in the
a
pre-dawn
glittering
light,
record of your
and you
morning.
scan for
You
movement.
feel a quiet pride,
A twig snaps,
not the loud
and your
kind
pulse
Grug
spikes.
chases,
Then a deer
the
steps
kind that
into view,
settles deep.
its
You're
antlers
not just
catching the
surviving,
first
you're building
rays.
one tool at
Another
a time.
follows,
A
then a
life for this
third,
clan.
their heads
The
dipping
forest
to drink.
hums beyond,
You hold your breath,
calling you to
waiting
the
for
next
the kid's
task.
signal.
but for
A
now,
faint shout
you're
echoes
content,
right on cue,
ready to hand
and
over
the
your
deer
blades and see
startle,
what the
bolting
day's got
toward you.
next.
Grug's
Hey
whistle
guys,
cuts through
tonight
the air,
we slip
sharp
into the rugged,
and clear, guiding
untamed
the herd
world
your
of
way.
cavemen,
The ground
where every
trembles
dawn is a
as the
gritty
deer
fight to
charge their
survive.
hooves.
Picture
a dull
this:
thunder.
you're curled up on a
You
bed of
steady
furs,
yourself, spear
the
raised,
air thick with the
picking your
musky
target, a
scent
young
of
buck,
earth and smoke.
fast but close.
Outside, a
The
wolf
kid's
howls,
shouts grow louder,
and the first
and
rays of
Grug's
sunlight
crashing through
creep
the
into your
brush,
cave,
funneling the herd.
painting the walls
You
in a
step from
soft
cover,
golden glow.
arm cocked,
Your stomach
and
growls
throw.
loud enough to
The
scare off
spear
a
flies
saber-toothed
true,
cat,
striking the
probably.
buck's flank, but it
You're
stumbles
about to live a
and
day in
keeps
the
running.
life of a caveman.
You curse
And
under your
spoiler
breath,
alert,
sprinting
you probably
after it, the
won't
others
survive this
converging.
without some serious luck.
Don't lose it.
So before you get
You yell,
comfortable,
dodging
take a moment
roots,
to like the
your
video
lungs
and
burning.
subscribe,
The buck's
but only if
slowing
you
blood
genuinely
trailing from
enjoy
the
what I
wound.
do here.
But it's not down.
Drop a comment with your
Yet.
location and local time.
You spot
I love
Grug ahead,
knowing
his
where you're
spear
chilling
ready,
as we dive
and he
into this
lands a
prehistoric
second hit the
vibe.
buck, collapsing in a
Now,
heap.
dim the
You
lights,
skid to a stop,
maybe turn
panting,
on a
and check the
fan for
kill.
that soft background
It's
hum,
clean, the spear's
and let's
deep,
ease into tonight's
and you nod
journey
at
together.
Grug, who's grinning
You
like
blink
he
awake,
single-handedly
your breath
saved
fogging
the
in the
clan.
chilly cave air,
Nice throw, you say,
It's
clapping
dawn,
his shoulder.
and your
Then
body's
turn to
already
the kid
on
who's
high
panting
alert,
and wide-eyed.
tuned to the sounds
drove
of the
them
wild
perfect,
beyond
you
the
add,
rocky walls.
and they beam,
No.
clutching their stick like a
No
trophy.
snooze button
You
here,
kneel by
just
the
the
buck,
distant roar
its
of a
warmth
cave lion
fading
to
under your
kickstart your
hands.
heart. You roll
The
off
clan
the
will
furs,
eat well meat
your
for
bare
days,
feet hitting the
plus
cold
hide
stone
and bone
floor,
for tools.
and stretch.
You pull
feeling
out your
every
flint
ache
knife,
from yesterday's
its
hunt.
edge still razor
Your
sharp from your
clan's still
crafting,
snoring,
and
their
start
shapes
field
barely
dressing,
visible in the dim
slicing
light.
carefully to save the
First
pelt.
things first,
The others
You need to
help
get
their
moving,
hands quick the
warm
air
up,
filling with the
and
coppery
figure out
scent
what's
of
on
blood.
today's survival to-do list.
You work fast.
Cavemen
Predators will
didn't
smell
have
this
coffee,
soon,
but they
and you're
had
not
their own
sharing.
morning rituals to shake
The
off the
forest's
grogginess.
quiet again, but you
You
feel
shuffle
eyes
to the cave's
watching.
mouth,
Maybe
squinting
wolves,
at the pink streaked
maybe just
sky.
your nerves.
The mainstream historical fact is that early
rigging
humans,
it to a sturdy branch,
like those from the Upper Paleolithic,
it's heavy, but the
lived
four
in
of you
small,
managed
tight-knit
Grug,
groups,
taking the lead for once,
often in
not
caves
complaining.
or temporary shelters.
You glance at the snare
relying on
you
their
set
wits
last
to survive.
night, empty, but
You
no
grab
loss.
a stick and poke at the embers of last
more
night's
than
fire,
enough.
coaxing
You
a
think of the
flicker of
cave
flame
the
back
kids'
to life.
faces when they see this haul,
It's not just for
and the
warm
elders'
fires your
nods of
lifeline,
approval.
scaring off predators
The
and
morning's
signaling your
forage,
clan's
the
presence.
shelter repairs, the fire
Now, here's a
tending,
quirky tidbit.
all of it led to this moment.
Some archaeologists
a
found
win
evidence
for the
that
clan.
Neanderthals might
The sun's
be chewed on
rising
resinous
now,
bark,
painting the
like
forest
a prehistoric
gold,
gum,
and you start
possibly
the trek
to freshen their
back
breath
the
or
buck,
soothe their gums.
swaying between you.
Imagine you're
Your
chomping on
muscles
some
ache,
sticky tree
but there's a
sap,
lightness in
the
your
bitter
step.
taste waking you up
You pass the
faster than
river,
any
its
espresso
banks
shot.
still
It's
marked
not
by
exactly minty
hoofprints,
fresh,
and
but it's
spot a
better than
cluster of
yesterday's
wild
mammoth
mint.
breath.
You grab
You
a
spit it
sprig,
out,
tucking it
chuckling
into
at
your
the thought
belt
of your
beside the
clanmate
rabbit
Grug,
from yesterday,
who swears it
thinking
makes
it'll
him
freshen the
irresistible
cave's
to the
air.
ladies. Spoiler,
Grug
it
starts
doesn't.
humming off key as always.
You step outside,
and you roll your eyes.
the dew-soaked grass tickling
Save it for
your
the
toes.
feast you tease.
The world's
and
alive,
the others
birds
laugh,
chirp,
the mood high.
a river gurgles
the cave's
nearby,
in sight.
and
Its
something
entrance
rustles
sturdy
in the
from your
bushes.
repairs, and you
Could
feel
be
a surge
breakfast,
of pride.
something that sees you
The
as
clan's
breakfast.
waiting. Their tasks
You grab a
paused
crude
as they
wooden
spot you.
spear, its
A
tip
kid runs
blackened
out
from
shouting,
fire hardening,
"They got
and
one,"
scan the horizon.
and the others crowd around,
Historians
touching the
still
buck,
argue whether
chattering.
early humans were
You
more
lower it to the
scavengers or
ground,
active hunters at
wiping
this
sweat
stage.
from your brow.
But one
and
thing's
catch an
clear.
elder's eye.
Not
They
waiting for
nod a
food to
rare
stroll into your
smile,
cave.
And you know
Your
you've
morning
done
routine
good.
ISNT just
The
about
hunt's
waking
not
up at
just
S about
food.
preparing for
It's
whatever the
proof
day throws
the
at you.
clan's strong together.
You crouch by
You
the
step
stream,
back, letting
splashing
the others take
icy
over,
water on your
and
face.
sit on a rock, catching your
The
breath.
shock's brutal,
The
but it
spear
sharpens
still
your
in your
senses.
hand, bloodied but
You
unbroken.
scoop a handful of
A
clay from the
reminder of
bank and
tools
smear
you
it on your
crafted, the
arms.
plans you
A
made.
trick your clan
You
swears
think
keeps
of the
bugs
fire
at bay.
waiting inside, the
Does
stories
it work?
you'll tell tonight,
Probably not.
and the kids who'll
But it
mimic
makes you
this
feel like a
hunt
warrior,
tomorrow.
so you go with it.
The forests
You
behind
glance
you,
back at the cave,
clan's ahead,
where the others are
and
stirring,
for now,
their grunts and
you're
yawns
exactly
echoing like
where
a
you need to
prehistoric
be.
orchestra.
the weight of the day.
Next,
a
you check your
steady
gear.
anchor. You're trudging
Your
back
flint
toward
knife,
the cave.
chipped to a razor's
the buck's
edge,
weight still
hangs
heavy
from a
on your
leather
shoulders
thong
from the
around your
hunt,
neck.
though the clan's
You test its
cheers linger in
sharpness,
your mind.
nicking your thumb
The
yep.
sun's climbing,
Still good.
casting dappled light
You
through
also
the
grab a
forest
woven
canopy,
reed basket,
and the air's
perfect for
thick with
carrying
the
whatever
scent of
you
pine
scavenged
and
today.
fresh blood.
These tools aren't
Your
just
spear's
objects,
bloodied but
or
intact,
extensions of you,
propped against your
crafted
shoulder,
with hours
and
of
the rabbit
sweat
from
and
dawn
curses when
still
the flint
dangles from
splintered
your
wrong.
belt.
You
Now,
smirk,
with the deer
remembering the
secured,
time you tried to
you've got a
upgrade your
new
spear with a
task,
fancy bone
practicing
tip,
your spear
only for it
throwing
to
for
snap
tomorrow's
mid-throw.
hunts. A missed throw
Live
could
and
mean
learn,
hunger,
right?
and you're not
The
letting
clan's
that
awake now,
buck's success
and the
make you
cave
cocky.
buzzes with low
You
chatter.
veer off the main
Kids
path,
toddle
heading
around,
to a
mimicking
clearing
your
the
spear
clan
grip,
uses for
while
training.
the elders mutter
The
about
ground's
the weather.
flat,
You
scattered
take a
with
moment to
old
stretch
targets,
again,
logs
loosening
and
your shoulders for
stones,
the day's
marked
work.
with charcoal
A
from
caveman's
past
life
sessions.
is physical every
Mainstream
task,
archaeology
from hunting
shows
to
that
hauling
early
wood,
humans like those in
demands
the Upper
strength and
Paleolithic
stamina.
honed their hunting
You
skills
jog in
through
place,
repetitive
your
practice,
breath puffing in the
often
crisp
using
air,
atlatls
feeling the
or
blood
simple
pump through your
spears to
veins.
perfect their aim.
It's not CrossFit,
You set
but
down
it's
your
close
gear,
enough.
keeping the
Duh.
flint knife
Before
from
heading
your
out,
morning's
you
napping
share a
close,
quick meal-dried
and
berries
pick a target,
and a strip of
gnarled
smoked
log
venison
about
from
20
last
paces
week's kill.
away. Its
It's
bark
chewy,
chipped from
tough,
countless
and
throws.
tastes vaguely
Here's
of
a quirky
ash.
tidbit.
It's fuel.
Some researchers think
You toss a
Neanderthals
berry
might
to
have
a kid
practiced
who's
on
staring
moving
at you with
targets,
wide eyes,
like rolling logs
earning
to
a giggle.
mimic fleeing prey.
These moments of
Picture
connection,
you chasing
small
a
as they
wobbly
are,
log down
glue
a
your
hill,
clan together.
spear flailing.
You're not just
while
surviving
Grug
for
laughs
yourself.
so hard,
You're
he
keeping
trips
this
over his own
ragtag
feet.
family alive.
You
As
smirk,
the sun climbs
muttering,
higher,
bet Grug
you feel the
couldn't hit a
day's weight
sleeping
settling
mammoth.
in.
You grab
There's no
a spare
clock,
spear
but the
from
light tells
pile,
you it's time
its
to
tip
move.
fire
Sling the
hardened,
basket over
and
your
test its
shoulder,
balance,
grip your spear,
spinning
and
it in
head
your
toward the
hands.
forest's edge.
It's lighter
The
than
others
your
will
hunting
follow
spear,
soon,
perfect for
each
practice,
with their own tasks,
but still
gathering,
deadly if you
hunting,
aim true.
or guarding the
You
cave.
step back, back, squinting at the log, and take a
one
stance.
last look at the fire.
Knees bent, weight
Its
forward.
smoke curling like a
The
promise
clearing's
of safety.
quiet, save for a
Then
distant
you step
bird
into
call
the wild,
and
ready
the
to
rustle of
face whatever's
leaves.
waiting.
Historians
You're
still
trudging
argue
through the
whether
forest,
early hunters
the
trained
morning mist
individually
curling
or in
around your
groups.
ankles like a
But you
clingy
prefer
ghost.
solo for now.
The air's
focusing
alive
without
with
Grug's
sounds,
inevitable helpful
crickets
commentary.
humming, leaves
You
whispering,
draw your arm back,
and the sharp
eyes
snap
locked on
of
the
a
target,
twig
and
that makes
throw.
your pulse jump.
The
You're
spear
hunting
arcs,
breakfast.
thudding into the log's edge.
Not some epic
not
mammoth
center,
chase,
but close.
but a small prize
You
to
nod,
quiet the clan's
satisfied,
growling
and
stomachs.
jog to retrieve it.
Your spear's
feeling
heavy
the
in your
strain
hand,
in your shoulder from
its
the morning's
fire-hardened
hunt.
tip,
You
a
reset
trusted
aiming
ally.
for the log's heart this
You're
time.
after something
The throw's
manageable, a
smoother,
rabbit,
the spear
maybe a
sinking
pigeon,
deep,
something to
quivering
keep
in
the
wood.
kids from whining
You
till
grin,
lunch.
picturing the buck
Out
from
here,
earlier.
though, the forest
Your aim
doesn't
was
care about
good
your
then,
plans.
but practice
One wrong
keeps it
step,
sharp.
and you're lunch instead.
You think of the kids back at the cave,
the
mimicking
forest
your
floor is a
throws with
mosaic of
sticks,
shadows and
decide
sunlight.
to bring them
You
here
move
soon.
deliberately,
They
eyes
need
scanning
to learn
for any
this
hint
just
of life.
like you did.
You're not just
cursing every
walking, you're
miss
decoding
until
the
your
world.
arm felt like
Scuffed
stone.
patch of dirt might signal a
You
deer
pull
trail.
the spear free,
Hoffet and fern
checking
could
its
mean a
tip
hare's
for cracks, and set
Mainstream
up again.
archaeology
The rhythm
shows
takes
early
over,
humans
step,
like
aim,
those in the
throw,
Upper
retrieve.
Paleolithic
Each toss
often hunted
refines
small
your form,
game for quick
your
lowers
muscles
protein,
remembering the motion.
saving the big hunts for special
You adjust your
days.
grip,
You
trying
spot
a
a pile of
slightly higher
droppings,
arc,
still fresh
and
and
the spear
glistening.
lands dead
Rabbit,
center.
definitely.
That's more
Your
like
stomach
it.
rumbles,
You
loud
mutter,
enough to
wiping
startle a
sweat
squirrel.
from your brow.
You mutter,
The forest's
"Quiet,
alive around you.
or
A
we'll both
squirrel
starve."
darting up a tree.
Hear us a
But
quirky
you're
tidbit.
in your own world.
Some researchers
target your
suggest
only
Neanderthals
focus.
might use bright
You think of the
feathers as
flint
decoys,
tools you crafted, how their precision made
waving
the
them
hunt
to lure
possible,
curious birds or
and feel
small
a
animals.
quiet pride in your work.
Imagine you,
Grug's voice
twirling a
breaks your
feathered stick
trance,
like a
shouting from
caveman
the
con
path.
artist.
Practicing
hoping a sparrow
without me.
takes the bait.
He lumbers
You give
into
it a
the
try,
clearing, carrying his
feeling
own spear,
ridiculous as you
looking
flick the
smug.
stick back and forth.
You roll your
Nothing
eyes,
bites,
tossing him a
and you
spare.
toss it aside.
Try not
grumbling.
to hit a
Guess I'm
tree
not
this
charming
time.
birds today.
You tease,
You
remembering
laugh
his
softly,
last
picturing
epic
Grug
throw
trying the same
that
trick
nearly speared
and
a
tripping
bush.
over his own ego.
He laughs,
I
taking a
see.
stance, and hurls his spear. It grazes the log, skittering into the dirt, and you snort. Nice one, Grug. The log's terrified. He grumbles, but you're both grinning.
Following faint
the
rabbit
banter
tracks
lightening
toward a
the work.
clearing,
You take
there a
turns
quick
trading,
flash of brown
throws each
fur
one a
darts
chance
through
to
the tall
tweak your
grass.
form. Grug's
freeze,
stronger,
breath
but his
shallow,
aim's sloppy.
muscles
And
taut
you
like a
coach him,
bowstring.
showing how to shift his weight.
The rabbit pauses,
Less muscle,
nose
more
twitching,
focus.
unaware
You
of you
say,
blending
demonstrating
into the
a
ferns.
clean throw that hits the
You
log's
raise
center.
your spear,
He tries
aim
again.
carefully,
Better
and let it
this time.
fly.
And you nod,
Thud the spear grazes a
clapping his
bush,
shoulder.
missing by inches.
The clan's only
The
as
rabbit
good as its
bolts,
weakest hunter,
and you curse
and
under
you're
your
not
breath,
letting Grug
jogging
drag you
after it.
down.
Historians still
teamwork
argue
on
whether
the deer
early
hunt, how
humans
every
leaned more
roll
on
mattered.
endurance hunting,
You
running
know this
prey
practice
to
is
exhaustion,
building
or
that
stealthy
trust.
ambushes like
You
this
switch
one.
targets,
Right now
aiming
you're
for a
batting
smaller
0, and
stone
it stings.
perched on a stump.
The chase
It's
takes you
trickier,
past a
forcing you
patch
to
of
tighten
wild
your aim.
strawberries, their
Your
red
first
jewels
throw
peeking
misses,
from
kicking
the
up
undergrowth.
dirt, and you
You
curse
kneel,
softly,
popping a
jogging
few
to
into
grab
your
the
mouth,
spear.
their tartness a
Grug's
sharp
next
wake-up
throw
call.
clips the stone,
You stuff a
sending
handful
it
into
tumbling,
your reed
and he
basket,
whoops like he's
knowing the
slain
kids
a
will
mammoth.
wrestle for them back at
Beginner's
the cave,
luck, you
the
say,
forest,
but
your
you're
pantry.
impressed.
But it's
You
a
reset the
dangerous one a
stone,
while.
determined, and
Just the
throw
chance
again.
of a boar deciding
This
you're
time,
trespassing.
it connects
Smirk,
the stone,
imagining
cracking in half.
explaining to the clan how you got
pump a
chased by a
fist,
pig over a
feeling
berry
the
snack.
thrill of a perfect shot.
A rustle
The
stops
sun's
you dead.
higher now,
not the
warming your
rabbit, something
back, and your
heavier.
arms starting to
You
ache.
duck behind a
You
gnarled
keep
oak,
going,
peering
knowing
through the leaves.
endurance matters
Fox
as much as
slinks past,
accuracy.
a limp
You
vole
picture
in its
tomorrow's
jaws.
hunt, maybe another
Clever
deer,
fox, you think.
maybe something bigger,
You're not here to
and
steal
channel
its
that
meal.
into each throw.
You note its path
The
for later
spears
wear.
pile up in
There's
the
one
log,
snack.
a
There's
bristling
usually
forest
more.
of your efforts.
You adjust
You
your
glance
spear,
at the rabbit on
its
your
blackened
belt,
tip,
its blood
catching a
dried
stray
now,
sunbeam.
and think
This
of the
spear's your
cave's
lifeline,
fire,
crafted
the
with
meal
sweat
waiting.
and a few choice grunts when the wood
Practice
split
isn't
wrong.
just for you.
You pat it,
It's for the
whispering.
clan.
Let's not
Every
mess this up
spear
again.
a promise of food.
The trail
You
leads to a
wrap up
babbling stream.
as the light shifts,
its muddy
the
banks
forest
soft
glowing
underfoot.
gold.
You spot fresh tracks,
You and
rabbit,
Grug
maybe
collect
a
the
pair.
spears,
You
checking
kneel,
for damage,
studying the
and
prints like a
stack
puzzle,
them neatly.
feeling like the
Your
Sherlock
hands
of
are
the Stone
scraped,
Age.
your shoulders screaming,
The water's
but you're
crystal
sharper
clear,
now,
tempting.
ready for whatever
But
the
you know better than
wild
to
throws
drink.
at you.
Last time you spent a day
You grab
regretting
your
it
hunting
with a stomachache
spear,
from hell.
its flint flat tip
You
still
splash your
bloody
face
from the
instead,
buck,
the
and
cold
sling it over
snapping
your
your
shoulder.
senses awake.
The
A
clearing's
bird
quiet
calls
again.
above, and you glance
the target
up,
scarred,
half expecting
but
it to
standing
jeer
a
at your empty
testament to
basket.
your work.
Then,
You head back toward
movement.
the cave, Grug,
Across the stream, a
still
rabbit
bragging
munches on
about his one
clover,
good
its
throw.
ears flicking lazily.
You let him
You
talk,
wade into the water,
half listening
grimacing
your
as the
mind on
icy
the clan
current
the
bites
kids
your
who will eat.
calves.
Because of your aim,
Step
the
by
elders
cautious step,
will nod at
you
your
close
haul.
the distance.
The
Spear at
forest
the ready.
hums around you alive
The rabbit
with
tenses,
possibility,
sensing
and you
danger.
feel grounded. Your
You
spear
hold your breath,
a steady weight.
arm poised.
You think of the morning's
This
forage,
time your throw's
the shelter
perfect.
you patched,
The spear
fire.
pins the
You
rabbit to the
tended all
bank with a
part of
soft
this
thud.
life, this cycle.
You let
The
out a
cave's
quiet
close
whoop,
now.
then
It's
cover your
smoke
mouth,
curling into
scanning
the
for
sky,
predators drawn
and you're
by the
ready to
sound.
rest.
The
But
forest
not
stays
before
silent,
you've earned it.
just you and
You're
your
trudging
prize.
back to the cave,
You
the weight
retrieve
of the
rabbit,
morning's
its
deer
warmth
hunt,
fading
and your
against your
spear
palm.
throwing practice
Small, but
settling
enough to
into your
feed a few
muscles.
hungry mouths.
The
Tie
forest
it to your
path
belt,
is
blood
dappled
smearing
with
your
late
fingers,
morning light.
and rinse them in the
The
stream.
air sharp with pine.
The kill's no grand
and the
trophy,
faint musk
but
of
it
the
feels
buck
like a
now
triumph.
slung
You're
across
not just
Grug's
eating,
shoulders.
you're proving you can
Your
keep the clan
spear's
alive
propped
another
against
day.
your shoulder.
You
its
check the
flint
sky.
tip still
The
flecked
sun's
with
higher
blood,
now,
and the
urging you to
rabbit
head
from
back
dawn
before the
swings
forest
at your
gets too
belt.
lively.
The clan's
On
waiting,
the return,
and your
you
next
grab more
task is grim,
strawberries,
but
and a sprig
vital,
of wild
skinning
mint Grug's
and
breath
butchering the
could use
deer
the help.
to turn it into
You
food,
weave through the
clothing,
trees, the
and
rabbit
tools.
bouncing at your hip.
You
Your
step into
steps
the
lighter
cave's
now.
clearing,
Caves close,
the fire's smoke
and you picture
curling
the kids'
upward,
grins
and
when they
get
see
to
the
work.
haul.
The clan
You'll
gathers
skin the
kids
rabbit
peeking
later.
from behind furs,
Maybe save the pelt
elders
for a kid's
muttering
cloak.
approval as
For
you
now,
and Grug
you're content.
lower the buck
The
to a
forest's
flat
hum
stone
fading as you
slab
near
near the
home,
fire.
ready to
The
share
air's
the morning's
thick with
small
anticipation and the
Hey
faint
guys,
tang of blood.
tonight we slip into the rugged,
Mainstream
untamed world
archaeology
of
shows that
cavemen,
early humans,
where
like
every
those in
dawn
the
is a
Upper
gritty fight to
Paleolithic,
survive.
were meticulous
Picture this,
butchers,
you're curled up
using
on a bed
every
of
part
furs,
animal meat
the air
for
thick with
food
the
hides,
musky scent of
for
earth
clothing,
and smoke.
bones,
Outside,
for
a wolf
tools.
howls, and
You
the
pull out
first
your
rays of
flint knife,
sunlight
its
creep
edge
into your
honed
cave,
from your crafting
painting
session,
the walls
and
in a
tested on a
soft
scrap
golden
of
glow.
hide. It
Your stomach
slices
growls
clean,
loud
and
enough
you
to
nod,
scare off
ready
a
to begin.
saber-toothed cat.
Here's a quirky
probably.
tidbit. Some
You're about to
researchers
live a
found
day in the
evidence that
life of a
Neanderthals
caveman.
might have used
And
animal
spoiler
teeth
alert,
as
you
makeshift
probably won't
awls,
survive this
punching
without some
holes in
serious luck.
hides for
So
sewing.
before you get comfortable,
Picture you
take a
wielding
moment to
deer
like the
tooth
video
like a
and
caveman
subscribe,
tailor,
but only
while
if you
Grug
genuinely
tries to
enjoy
help
what I do
and
here.
pokes his own thumb,
Drop a comment
yelping
with your
loud enough
location
to
and
wake
local
the
time.
dead.
I love knowing where you're
You
chilling
smirk,
as we dive into
muttering
this prehistoric
stick
vibe.
to carrying Grug
Now,
as you
dim the
kneel by
lights,
the buck
maybe
knife
turn
in
on a
hand.
fan for that soft
He's
background
hovering
hum,
predictably,
and let's ease into
but you
tonight's
wave
journey
him off,
together.
needing focus for
You
the
blink
delicate
awake,
work ahead.
your breath fogging
You
in the
start with a
chilly
shallow
cave
cut
air.
along the buck's
It's
belly,
dawn,
careful
and your
not
body's
to pierce
already
the
on
guts
high alert,
and taint the
tuned
meat.
to the sounds of the
The
wild
hide
beyond the
peels
rocky
back,
walls.
revealing muscle and sinew, and you
No
work
snooze
slowly,
button here, just
your
the
hands
distant
slick
roar
with
of a
blood.
cave lion to kickstart your
Historians
heart. You
still
roll off
argue
the
whether
furs,
early
your
humans
bare
divided
feet hitting the
butchering
cold
tasks
stone
by
floor,
skill or just
and
jumped in
stretch,
together.
feeling every
But you're
ache
leading
from
this one,
yesterday's
your
hunt.
knife steady.
Your
The
clan's
clan
still snoring,
watches, some helping to
their
hold the
shapes barely
hide,
visible in
taut,
the dim light.
others collecting scraps.
First things first,
You glance at the
you
kids,
need to get moving,
their eyes wide
warm
but
up,
curious,
and figure out what's
explain.
on today's
See
survival
slow
to-do
cuts.
list.
Keep the hide whole.
Cavemen didn't
They
have
nod,
coffee,
learning
but
just
they had
like
their
you
own
did
morning
years ago.
rituals to shake
The
off
hide
the
comes off in
grogginess.
one piece, a
You
prize
shuffle
for
to the
clothing
cave's mouth,
or shelter.
squinting at the pink
You
streaked
set it
sky.
aside, wiping your brow.
The mainstream
and move to the
historical
meat
fact
carving
is that
slabs
early
from the
humans,
haunches,
like those from
knife's
the
edge
Upper
is perfect,
Paleolithic,
gliding through
lived in
muscle,
small,
and
tight-knit
you feel
groups,
a quiet pride in
often
the
in
tools you make.
caves or temporary
You
shelters.
think of the morning's
relying
forage,
on their
those
wits
leeks
to
will pair
survive.
well with this venison.
You grab a
and the
stick and
fire
poke
you
at the
tended,
embers
ready
of
to
last
roast
night's
it.
fire,
Every
coaxing a
task
flicker of flame
connects,
back to
building
life.
the clan's survival.
It's not just for warm
pass a
fires
small
your
cut to
lifeline,
an
scaring
elder
off
who chews it
predators and
raw,
signaling your
grinning
clan's presence.
toothlessly.
Now,
Tough,
here's
but
a
good,
quirky
they say,
tidbit.
and you laugh.
Some
Grug's
archaeologists
tasked
found
with
evidence
breaking
that
the bones from
Neanderthals
marrow,
might be chewed
his
on
strength
resinous
finally
bark,
useful.
like a prehistoric
He swings
gum,
a heavy stone,
possibly to freshen
cracking a
their
femur,
breath or soothe
and
their gums.
scoops out the rich rich marrow.
Imagine you're
smearing
chomping
it
on
a flat
some
rock
sticky
for the
tree
kids.
sap. The bitter
They pounce,
taste waking you
giggling,
up
their
faster
fingers
than any
greasy.
espresso shot.
You shake your
It's
head
not exactly
amused
minty
and
fresh,
focus
but
on
it's better than
separating
yesterday's
tendons for
mammoth
sinew
breath.
thread.
You
The work's
spit it
messy,
out,
your hands
chuckling at
caked
the
with
thought
blood
of your
and fat,
clanmate Grug,
but it's
who
satisfying
swears
each
it
piece
makes
a
him
step towards
irresistible to
security.
the ladies.
You hum
Spoiler,
softly,
it
a
doesn't.
tuneless habit. and
You
catch a
step
kid
outside,
mimicking you,
the dew-soaked
their
grass
voice high and
tickling
off
your
key.
toes. The
Keep
world's
practicing,
alive,
you
birds
tease
chirp,
ruffling their hair.
a river
The
gurgles
air grows
nearby,
heavier, the
and
scent of
something
blood
rustles in
drawing
the bushes.
flies.
Could
You
be
wave them
breakfast,
off, wishing for
something
that
that
clay
sees you as
bug
breakfast.
repellent from your shelter work.
You grab a crude wooden
A
spear,
kid brings a
its
basket
tip
of water
blackened
from the stream,
fire hardening,
and you rinse your
scan
hands
the
the
horizon.
cold, shocking your skin.
Historians still argue
You
whether
carve
early
out the
humans
liver,
were more
a
scavengers or
nutrient-packed
active hunters
treat,
at this stage.
and hand it to a
But
pregnant
one
woman,
thing's clear.
knowing she needs
You
it most.
not waiting for food
She
to stroll
nods
into your
grateful,
cave.
and you feel the
Your
clan's
morning routine
trust,
ISNT
heavy,
just about waking
but
up at
warm.
S about preparing for whatever the
Butchering's
day
not
throws
just
at
about
you.
meat. It's about
You crouch
caring,
by the stream,
sharing, surviving
splashing
together.
icy water
you
on
move
your
to the
face.
smaller bones, snapping
The
them
shock's
for tools.
brutal,
A
but it
shoulder
sharpens
blade
your
could be a
senses.
shovel. A
You
rib
scoop a
might make
handful
a
of
needle.
clay from the bank and
You set
smear
them
it on your
aside,
arms.
thinking of the
A
hide
trick
you'll
your
tan
clan
later,
swears keeps
maybe
bugs
for a
at bay.
kid's cloak.
Does it work?
The buck's
It's
giving
probably
everything
not.
food, warmth,
But it makes you
utility,
feel like a warrior,
and you're
so you
making
go
sure
with it.
nothing's wasted.
You glance back
You
at the
glance at
cave,
the fire.
where the
It's
others
cold,
are stirring,
perfect for
their
roasting,
grunts and
and
yawns
start
echoing like a
skewering meat
prehistoric
chunks on green
orchestra.
sticks.
Next,
The kids
you
hover
check your
hungry,
gear.
and you shoo them back,
Your flint knife
joking.
chipped to a razor's
Wait,
edge
you'll
hangs
eat
from
the
a leather
sticks,
thong
too.
around your neck.
They scatter them
You
laughing.
test its sharpness,
Grug struggling with a
nicking your
tough
thumb
joint,
yet.
his stone slipping.
Still good.
You take
You
over,
also
showing
grab a
him how
woven
to
reed
angle the
basket,
cut.
perfect for
Like
carrying
this,
whatever
not like
you
you're fighting a
scavenged
bear,
today.
you say.
These tools
And he
aren't just
grumbles,
objects,
but learns.
they're extensions of you,
You're not just
crafted
butchering,
with
you're
hours
teaching,
of sweat
ensuring
and
the
curses when the
clan's
flint
skills
splintered
grow.
wrong.
You think
smirk,
of the hunt,
remembering
how
the time you
Grug's
tried to
second
upgrade your spear with a
sealed the
fancy
kill,
bone tip,
and give him a nod.
only for it to snap
Good work
mid-throw.
out there, you say. And he
Live
straightens
and learn,
proud.
right? The
clan's
clan's
a
awake
team,
now,
and moments
the
like
cave
this
buzzes
keep it
with
tight.
low chatter.
The slab's nearly
Kids
clear
toddle around,
now.
mimicking
the
your
buck
spear
reduced
grip,
to neat piles,
while the elders mutter about the
meat-hide
weather.
bones,
You take a
sinew.
moment to stretch again.
You wipe your knife
loosening
on a
your
leaf, checking
shoulders
its
for the
edge,
day's work.
still sharp, a
A
testament to your
caveman's
napper.
life is physical,
The
every
clan's
task,
bustling, some
from hunting
prepping
to
the
hauling
fire,
wood,
others sorting
demands strength and
scraps.
stamina.
You feel the day's
You
rhythm
jog in
hunting,
place,
practicing
your
now,
breath
this all
puffing in the
weaving
crisp
together.
air,
The
feeling
kid
the
tries
blood
to
pump
lift a
through
heavy
your
bone
veins.
toppling over.
It's not
You
CrossFit,
laugh,
but
helping
it's
them
close
up.
enough.
Smaller ones
Before heading
first
out,
champ, you say,
share a quick
and they
meal-dried
try
berries
again,
and a
stubborn
strip of
and
smoked
eager.
venison
The
from
sun's
last
dipping,
week's kill.
casting long shadows
It's chewy,
across the clearing.
tough, and
You wrap
tastes
the hide
vaguely
in
of
leaves
ash.
to keep it
but it's
fresh for
fuel.
tanning, and
You
stack
toss
the
a berry
bones
to a
for
kid
later.
who's staring at you with
The
wide
meat's
eyes,
ready for the fire.
earning a
its
giggle.
rich smell already
These
tempting.
moments of connection,
You
small
think of
as
the
they are,
cave's
glue
warmth,
your
the
clan
stories
together.
you'll share tonight,
You're not just
and the
surviving
kids
for
who'll
yourself.
sleep full
You're
because
keeping
of
this
work.
ragtag family alive.
Your hands
As the
ache,
sun
stains
climbs
red,
higher, you
but
feel
you're
the day's
content.
weight settling
The
in.
buck's gift.
There's
a
no
bridge
clock,
to
but the
tomorrow.
light tells you it's
step
time
back,
to move.
letting the clan
Sling
take
the basket
over,
over
roasting,
your shoulder,
and sit on
grip
a
your
rock,
spear, and
catching
head
your breath.
toward the forest's edge.
The spear's
The
beside
others will
you,
follow
its tip
soon,
cleaned, ready for
each
the
with
next
their own
hunt.
tasks,
You
gathering,
glance at the
hunting,
forest,
or guarding
its
the
edge
cave.
dark
You
now,
pause,
and
taking
feel
one
the
last look at
clan's
the fire,
pulse around you,
its
busy,
smoke
alive
curling
together.
like a promise of safety.
The day's been long.
Then you step
but
into
every
the
cut,
wild, ready to
every
face whatever's
task
waiting.
is for them.
You're trudging through
You
the
lean
forest,
back, the
the
stone
morning
cool
mist
against
curling
your
around
spine,
your ankles
and
like a
watch
clingy
the fire
ghost.
flare the cave.
The air's alive with
against
sounds,
the wild
crickets
night
humming,
ahead. You're
leaves
settled
whispering,
by the cave's fire.
and the sharp snap of a twig
Now the
that makes
buck's
your
meat
pulse jump.
neatly butchered
Your hunting
and
breakfast.
stacked its hide and bones,
Not some
set
epic
aside
mammoth
for later.
chase,
The
but a small
evening air's
prize to
cool,
quiet the
carrying
clan's
the
growling
rich scent
stomachs.
of blood.
Your
and
spear's
earth,
heavy in your
but
hand,
the fire's warmth
its fire-hardened
pushes it
tip,
back.
a
its
trusted
coals
ally.
glowing steady from your
You're after
earlier
something
tending.
manageable, a rabbit,
Your flint knife's
maybe a
clean,
pigeon,
tucked
something to
back on
keep the
its
kids
thong,
from whining
and the
till
rabbit
lunch.
from Dawn's hunt
Out
is
here, though, the
finally off
forest
your
doesn't
belt,
care about your
handed to an
plans.
elder for prep.
One wrong step, and your
Now
lunch
it's
instead.
time to cook, to turn the day's haul
The
into
forest
a meal
floor is a
that'll
mosaic
fill the
of
clan's
shadows and
bellies
sunlight,
and lift
and
their
you move
spirits.
deliberately, eyes
You grab a
scanning for any
skewer
hint
of deer
life.
meat and start
You're not just
roasting
walking,
the
you're
fire's
decoding
heat,
the world.
kissing your face.
Scuffed patch
The
of dirt
flames
might
crackle,
signal a deer
spitting
trail.
sparks as you
Hoffet
hold the
and
skewer
fern
over
could
the
mean a hare's
coals.
nearby.
The meat sizzles
Mainstream
fat,
archaeology
dripping into
shows
the
early
fire,
humans like
sending
those
up
in the
a savory
upper
aroma
Paleolithic
that makes your stomach
often hunted
growl.
small game for quick
Mainstream
low-risk protein,
archaeology
saving the
shows
big
that
hunts
early
for
humans,
special
like
days.
those in the upper
You
Paleolithic,
spot a pile of droppings,
cooked with fire
still
to make
fresh and
food
glistening.
tastier and easier
Rabbit
to
definitely.
digest.
Your stomach
Unlocking
rumbles,
nutrients raw
loud enough
meat
to
couldn't
startle a
offer.
squirrel.
You turn the
You
skewer,
mutter,
watching the
"Quiet,
venison
you,
brown,
or we'll
and
both
sprinkle on a
starve."
pinch of crushed
Here's a
wild
quirky
herbs,
tidbit.
mint and thyme
Some
from your
researchers
morning's
suggest
forage.
Neanderthals might
The clan's
use
watching
bright
kids
feathers
inching
as
closer,
decoys,
their eyes locked on the prize.
waving them to lure
Here's a
curious
quirky
birds or
tidbit.
small animals.
Some researchers
Imagine
think
you
Neanderthals might have
twirling
used
a
hot
feathered
rocks
stick
to
like a
boil
caveman
water in
con
hide
artist,
pouches,
hoping
a
a sparrow
prehistoric
takes the
soup
bait.
pot for stews.
You give it a try.
Picture you
feeling
balancing a
ridiculous
steaming
as you
rock
flick
like
the
a
stick back
caveman
and forth.
chef, while
Nothing
Grug
bites,
tries
and
to
you toss it
taste test
aside,
and
grumbling.
burns his
Guess I'm
fingers
not charming
yelping
birds
loud
today.
enough to scare the birds.
You laugh softly,
You smirk,
picturing Grug trying
muttering
the same
patience,
trick
Grug,
and tripping
or
over
you'll
his
eat
own
charcoal.
ego. I see.
He's hovering, predictably sniffing the air like a wolf, and you wave him off, focusing on the meat. The herb's sharp scent blends with the smoke, promising a meal worth the day's work.
Following
you check
faint
the
rabbit
fire,
tracks
adding a
toward a
log to keep
clearing.
the coals hot.
There are quick
The
flash
cave's
of
alive
brown
with
fur
chatter
darts
kids
through the
giggling,
tall grass.
elders swapping
You freeze.
stories,
Breath
someone
shallow,
humming off key.
muscles taut like a bowstring.
Historians still argue whether
The
early
rabbit
humans
pauses,
seasoned their food
nose
deliberately
twitching,
or just
unaware of you
stumbled into
blending
flavor
into the
combos.
ferns.
But you're intentional,
Raise your
crushing
spear,
more herbs
aim
between
carefully,
two stones
and let it fly.
and rubbing them into
Thud
another
the spear
skewer.
grazes a bush,
You think of
missing
the
by
leeks
inches.
from your forest
The
haul,
rabbit bolts,
perfect for
and
roasting,
you curse under your
and
breath,
toss a few
jogging
onto a
after
flat
it.
stone by the coals.
Historians still argue whether
They
early
hiss their
humans
sharp
leaned more on
tang,
endurance hunting,
mingling with
running
the
prey
venison's
to
richness.
exhaustion or
A
stealthy
kid tugs
ambushes
your
like
arm,
this
pointing
one.
at the
And now
sizzling
you're
meat.
batting zero. And
When's it
stings.
ready, they whine, and you
The chase
grin,
takes you
ruffling
past
their
a patch
hair.
of wild
When it
strawberries,
stops
their
trying
red
to run
jewels
away,
peeking from
you
the
tease,
undergrowth.
turning the skewer for
You
show.
kneel, popping a few
You show
into
them
your
how
mouth,
to watch.
their
for the
tartness
meat's
a
color,
sharp wake-up call.
explaining brown.
You stuff a handful
outside
into your
soft.
reed basket, knowing the kids
Inside,
will
that's the
wrestle for them
trick.
back at the cave.
They nod,
the
mimicking
forest,
your
your
grip
pantry.
on a stick.
But it's a
And you
dangerous
feel that
one
familiar
Oz.
weight of teaching.
Just the chance of a
Cooking's
boar
not
deciding
just
you're
feeding,
trespassing.
it's passing
Smirk.
down the clan's
Imagining
survival,
explaining to the clan
one
how you got
roasted
chased
haunch
by
at
a pig
time.
over a berry
You pull a
snack.
skewer off, testing a small
A rustle
piece.
stops you dead.
It's tender,
Not the
the
rabbit,
herbs
something
cutting
heavier.
through the gamey bite.
You duck behind
and
a
you nod
gnarled oak,
satisfied.
peering through the leaves.
You pass it to an elder
Fox
who takes a
slinks
slow
past,
bite
a
and
limp
grunts
roll in its
approval.
jaws.
Better than
Clever
Grug's
fox,
dirt
you
stew,
think,
they say.
But you're not
and the
here to
clan
steal
laughs.
its meal.
Grug included,
You note its
his
path
face
for later
red,
wear.
but grinning.
There's one snack.
You hand
There's
out
usually
more
more.
skewers, making sure the kids
You adjust
get
your
smaller
spear.
pieces
Its
easy
blackened
to chew.
tip, catching
The
a stray
cave
sunbeam.
fills with the
This
sound of
spear's your
eating,
lifeline,
smacking
crafted with
lips,
sweat and a few choice
contented
grunts when
sighs,
the wood split
and
wrong.
you feel a quiet
You pat
pride
it,
the
whispering,
hunt's reward now
"Let's not
shared.
mess this up again."
You grab a leak from the stone.
The trail leads
its
to a
edges
babbling
charred,
stream.
and bite into
its
it.
muddy banks
The flavor
soft
sharp,
underfoot.
but warm.
You spot fresh tracks, rabbit.
You offer one
maybe
to a
pair,
kid who wrinkles
and
their
you,
nose,
studying
but
the
tries
prints like
it,
a puzzle,
then begs for
feeling like
another.
the Sherlock of the Stone Age.
See, not just
The water's
meat,
crystal
you say,
clear, tempting,
and they giggle, running
but
to
you
show
know
their
better than
mom.
to drink.
You think
Last
of
time
the
you spent
fire
a day
you tended
regretting it
earlier,
with a stomach
how
ache
its
from
steady
hell.
heat makes this
You
possible.
splash your face
and
instead,
the tools you crafted
cold snapping
slicing
your
the meat
senses
clean.
awake. A bird
Every
calls
task
above,
weaves
and you
together,
glance up,
hunting,
half
foraging,
expecting it to jeer at
butchering
your
into
empty
this
basket.
moment the clan
Then,
fed and happy.
movement.
Grug's trying
Across
to help
the stream,
now
a
poking at
rabbit munches
skewer
on clover,
and nearly dropping
its ears
it into the
flicking
ash.
lazily.
Careful,
Wade into
chef,
the
you
water,
say, snatching
grimacing
it
as the
back.
icy current bites
We're
your
eating, not
calves.
starting a firefight.
Step by
He
cautious
laughs,
step,
grabbing
you
a piece
close
of
the
meat
distance,
and chewing
spear
loudly,
at the ready.
claiming it's his best
The rabbit
work.
tenses,
You
sensing
roll your
danger.
eyes, joking.
You hold your breath,
Yeah, your
arm
best
poised.
work was carrying the buck.
This time your throw's
the clan
perfect.
chuckles.
The spear
and you
pins
toss
the
him a
rabbit
leek,
to the bank
daring
with a
him to
soft
try
thud.
it. He does
You
grimacing,
let out a quiet
and you
whoop,
laugh the mood
then
light
cover your
despite
mouth,
the day's
scanning
grind.
for predators
You
drawn by the
experiment
sound.
with another skewer,
The forest
wrapping the
stays
meat
silent,
in a broad
just
leaf
you and your prize.
from the forest.
You
to
retrieve
trap
the
the
rabbit,
juices.
its warmth fading
It's
against
a trick
your
you
palm.
learned from an elder,
Small, but
and it
enough
works.
to feed
The
a
meat's
few hungry
moist,
mouths.
bursting with
Tie
flavor.
it to your belt, blood
You
smearing
pass
your
it
fingers,
around, earning
and rinse
nods
them
from
in
the
stream.
hunters who joined
The
you
kill's
on the
no
deer
grand
kill.
trophy, but it
Better
feels
than
like a
raw, one
triumph.
says.
You're not just
And you
eating,
smirk,
you're proving
thinking
you
of
can
the
keep the
buck's
clan alive
blood on your
another
hands
day.
now
You
transformed
check the
into
sky.
this feast.
The sun's higher now,
The fire's
urging
glow
you to head
paints
back
the cave
before the
walls,
forest
turning
gets too
rough
lively.
stone into a
On the
warm
return,
haven.
you grab
and
more
you feel the
strawberries
clan's
and a
heartbeat
sprig
in
of
every
wild
bite.
mint grug's
A
breath.
kid
Could
spills
use
their
the help.
meat crying, and you
You
kneel,
weave through the
salvaging it from
trees,
the
the
dirt.
rabbit bouncing at your hip.
5-second rule,
Your
you say,
steps
brushing
lighter
it
now.
off and hand
Caves
it back
close,
with a wink.
and you picture
They
the kids'
smile,
grins
eating
when they see
again,
the haul.
and you think of the
You'll
kids you
skin the
taught to
rabbit
weave
later.
reeds, their
Maybe
clumsy
save the pelt
mats,
for a kid's
now
cloak.
scattered by the furs.
For now, you're content.
Cooking's like that part,
The
skill
forests hum
part,
fading
care
as you
all
near
for
home,
them.
ready
You
to
glance
share
at
the
hide
morning's
from
small
the buck,
victory.
waiting for tanning.
You're back in
And
the
know this
forest,
meal's
the
just
rabbit
start
from
of
your
its
earlier
gifts.
hunt still
The fire's
dangling
lower
from your
now.
belt,
Coals
but now your
pulsing like a
focus
slow
shifts to
heartbeat.
gathering nature's pantry.
You add a stick, keeping it alive.
The sun's higher,
and check the
burning
last
off the
skewers,
morning
pulling
mist,
them off as they
and
finish.
the air's thick with
The
the scent
clan's
of
full,
pine and
leaning
damp
back
earth.
on furs.
Your
Their
basket
faces
swings
soft
at your
in the
side,
firelight.
half filled with those tart
You sit
strawberries.
finally, eating your own share.
But you need more roots,
The venison
nuts,
warm and
anything
rich.
to stretch the
The
clan's
herbs
meals.
a sharp contrast.
The forest is generous,
You think of the
but it's
morning's
also a
rabbit,
maze of risks.
the forest's berries,
Thorns,
the
snakes,
shelter you patched,
or worse,
leading
a
to
rival
this, a
clan
moment of
eyeing the
plenty
same bounty.
in a world that's rarely
You step
kind.
lightly,
You
eyes
lean
darting
back,
every
the
sense
stone
tuned to the
cool
wild's
against your
rhythm.
spine, and watch
You
the
weave through
clan
towering
settle.
ferns,
The
their
kids
fronds
are
brushing
yawning,
your
curling
shoulders
up
like
their
nosy
bellies
neighbors.
full.
The
The
ground's a
elders
carpet
murmur
of moss
thanks
and
their
fallen
voices
leaves,
low,
cushioning
and you
your
nod,
steps.
feeling the day's
Mainstream
weight lift.
archaeology
The
confirms that
spears
early
beside
humans,
you cleaned,
especially
ready for
during the
tomorrow's hunt,
Paleolithic,
and your knife
relied
secure,
heavily on
its
foraging.
edge still true.
with plant
The
foods
cave's
making
a
up a
cocoon,
huge chunk
the
of their
fire its
diets,
heart,
sometimes
and you're
more
its
than
keeper
meat.
for now.
You spot a patch
take
of
a
wild
final
leeks,
bite,
their green tips
savoring
poking through
the
the
taste,
soil.
And
Kneeling,
let the
you
night's
dig with a
quiet
sharpened
wrap
stick,
around you,
unearthing
the
their
clan's
bulbous
safe
roots.
and fed.
The
You're
smell's
lounging by
sharp,
the fire,
almost
the clan's
eye-watering,
belly's
but
full
you know
from the
they'll add
roasted
flavor to
venison
tonight's meal.
and charred
Here's a quirky
leeks,
tidbit.
the cave humming with
Some evidence
satisfied
suggests
murmurs.
Neanderthals might have
The
used certain
fire's glow
plants,
bathes the stone
like
walls,
chamomile, for
and the
more than
air's
just food,
thick with the scent of smoke
possibly
and
as a
herbs.
crude tea to calm
Your
nerves
spear
or aid
rests
sleep.
nearby, cleaned from the
Picture
deer
you
hunt,
prehistoric
and your flint
forager
knife hangs from
extraordinaire,
its thong, still
steeping
sharp
leaves
from
in hot
crafting.
water like a Stone Age
The buck's
barista.
hide carefully
You
skinned
chuckle,
during
imagining
butchering,
Grug sipping
lies,
herbal tea,
folded in a corner,
claiming it makes
waiting
him
for its
zen.
next
Yeah,
life.
right, Grug's about as zen
Now
as a
it's time to
starving boy.
craft clothing
Tuck a
from
few
that
chamomile sprigs into
hide-turning
your
raw
basket,
pelt
just in
into
case the
something
elders
to
want to
keep the
experiment
clan
later.
warm against
You move
the
deeper into the
creeping chill
forest,
of night.
spotting a
You
cluster
grab
of
the hide, its
hazelnuts nestled
surface
under
still
a shrub.
supple, but
You
stiffening,
crack one open
and
with a rock,
spread it on a flat
nutty
rock
scent
near
making
the
your
fire.
mouth water.
The clan's
Into the
watching
basket they
kids
go,
peeking over
but not
furs,
before you munch a few,
an elder
savoring
nodding
the
as you
crunch.
begin. Mainstream
Foraging's not just
archaeology
about
shows
survival,
that
it's a
early
treasure
humans,
hunt.
like those in
Every
the Upper
find a
Paleolithic,
small win.
used animal
Historians
hides
still
for
argue whether
clothing,
early humans planned their
meticulously
gathering
scraping
routes or
and
wandered
tanning them to
opportunistically.
make durable garments.
But you're methodical,
You pull out
sticking
your
to
flint
spots the
scraper,
clans raided
one
before.
you napped days
No
ago,
sense reinventing
and
the
start
wheel.
working the hide's
Well,
inner side,
the basket.
shaving off fat
A rustle
and
in the
membrane.
bushes stops you cold.
The scraper
You grip your
glides,
spear,
leaving a
heart
smooth
thumping.
surface, and
Could
you
be a
settle
deer.
into the rhythm,
Could be
your
trouble.
hands steady.
You crouch,
Here's a quirky
peering
tidbit.
through the foliage, but it's just a
Some
bird
researchers
flitting away.
think Neanderthals
You
might
exhale,
have chewed
shaking
hides
your
to
head,
soften them using
getting
their
jumpy.
teeth,
Huh?
like prehistoric leather
Half to
conditioners.
yourself, half to the forest.
Picture you gnawing on a pelt.
The
like
wilds
it's
taught you
jerky,
paranoia
while
as a
Grug
survival
tries
skill,
to help,
but
and
it doesn't mean
complains
you
about
enjoy the
taste,
adrenaline
spitting
spikes.
dramatically.
You straighten,
You smirk,
scanning
muttering
for more
stick
goodies.
to hunting
Your
Grug
basket
as you
growing
scrape
heavier
the
with
hide's
leeks,
texture, softening
nuts,
under your tool.
and a handful of
He's nearby,
blackberries you couldn't
predictably
resist.
trying to look busy by
The
stacking
blackberries
wood.
are a
But you
risk
catch him
thorny
sneaking
brambles guard them
glances,
like
curious
nature's
despite
barbed
himself.
wire. You reach
The
in,
scraping
wincing
slow,
as a thorn
your
nicks your
arms
finger.
aching from the day's
Blood
hunt
beads and you
practice
suck it clean,
and butchering.
grumbling about nature's
You
page
pause to
play
stretch Stretch the fire's heat, easing your muscles.
The berries are worth
think
it.
of the morning's
Their sweetness
forage.
a rare treat.
Those berries,
Imagine the kids'
now a
faces
sweet
stained
memory
purple
in the
and
clan's
grinning when you bring
stomachs.
these back.
Historians still
pick
argue
carefully,
whether hide
filling
working
a
was a
corner of the
specialized
basket,
skill
leaving
or
room
a
for
shared
more.
task.
The clan's picky eaters
everyone
looking at
pitches
you.
in, though
Grug will
you're
have
leading
to
tonight.
deal with whatever you haul home.
You show a kid how
Spot
to
a
hold the
gnarled
scraper
root sticking
guiding
out
their
of the
small
soil,
hand.
a parsnip maybe.
Light
You
strokes,
dig the
like
earth
petting a
crumbling
wolf,
under your
gently, you say,
fingers and yank
and
it
they
free.
giggle, trying
It's
it,
ugly,
their effort,
knobby,
clumsy,
but edible
earnest.
once roasted.
The hide's cleaner, now
You
ready
toss
for
it
tanning.
in, brushing
You grab
dirt
a handful
from your
of ash
hands.
from the fire pit,
The
mixing it
forest's
with
a
water
grocery
from a
store
nearby
with no
basket
labels, and you're
to
learning
make a
on the
paste.
fly what's safe.
The elders swear
Last
by
week,
this
someone
ash
ate a dodgy
softens
mushroom
the
and
hide
spent the night
and
regretting
keeps it from rotting.
You smirk,
You smear
remembering
it on the
Grug's
paste,
dramatic
cold
groans
and gritty,
echoing through the cave.
and work it in your fingers
Lesson
stained
learned,
gray.
stick to what
The
you
cave's
know.
quiet, save
distant
for the
howl
fire's
freezes
crackle
you.
and a kid's yawn.
Wolves,
And
maybe?
you feel the weight of the
Or
task
just the wind
clothing
playing tricks?
isn't just warmth.
Tighten your grip
It's
on the sphere,
protection
scanning
fought
the
as
trees.
survival.
The
You think of
forest
the shelter
beauty
you
hides its
patched,
teeth
keeping
predators,
the clan
poison
safe,
plants,
and know this
or
hides
slip
another
into a
layer
hidden
of
ravine.
defense. You flip the
move
hide,
toward a
checking for
clearing
missed spots,
where sunlight
and start
pools
stretching
like
it,
liquid gold.
pulling it taut to
There,
keep it flexible.
you find dandelion greens.
Grug lumbers over,
Their jagged
offering to
leaves
help,
a familiar
and
sight.
you let him hold one end.
You pluck a bunch,
Warning,
knowing they're
don't rip
bitter
it,
but nutritious.
or you're wearing it as a hat.
The elders swear
He
by
laughs,
them, claiming they
pulling too
clean
hard,
the blood,
and you nudge
whatever
him,
that means.
keeping the tension even.
You pause by a stream
the
to
hide's
rinse your
taking
hands,
shape,
the
soft
water
enough for
icy
a cloak
against your
or
skin.
tunic. Maybe
A
for
fish
kid
darts
who's
past,
outgrown
too
their
quick to
last
catch,
one.
but it reminds you to
picture
check
them
the clan's
strutting
fish
around
traps later.
proud, and
For
smile
now,
the
you focus
firelight
on
catching
plants.
the sweat on
You
your
spot
brow.
a cluster of
You
wild
grab
garlic.
a bone needle from the
Its
pile
pungent
of buck
smell
bones.
unmistakable.
Its point
You
whittled
dig up a few
sharp,
bulbs,
and
adding
some
them to your
sinew
haul.
thread from the
Do-
butchering.
The basket's
The needle
getting
small,
heavy,
tricky
tugging
to
at your
grip.
shoulder, but you're not
But
done.
you've done this before.
A good forager
You start
knows when to
punching
push
holes
on and
along
when
the
to head
hide's
back.
edge, spacing
sun's
them
nearing
evenly
its
for
peak,
stitching.
warming your back
The
as
work's
you work.
finicky, your
Find a
fingers
patch of
cramping, and you
clover,
prick your
its
thumb
leaves
wincing.
tender enough to eat raw.
Stupid
You nibble
needle, you
one.
mutter,
Its
sucking
mild
the blood
flavor,
away,
a nice
then
change
laugh,
from the leek's bite.
catching a kid
You gather a
mimicking your
handful,
scowl.
thinking of the kids who
Keep
munch
practicing,
them like candy.
and you'll bleed too. you
Foraging's
tease,
slow work,
and they scamper
but it's
off
satisfying.
giggling. The clan's
Each find a
settling
piece
now,
of the
some
clan's
cleaning
survival
skewers
puzzle.
from the meal.
You're not
Others
just
curling
gathering
up on
food.
furs.
You're gathering
You thread the
security,
sinew, stitching the
buffer
hide
against
into
the
a
lean
rough
days.
tunic shape. Each loop
As you
a
head back
promise
toward
of
the
warmth.
cave, you take a
You think of the
detour
deer
past a
hunt, how the
fruit-heavy
buck's
elderberry
life
bush.
fuels the clan meat
The dark
tools
berries
now.
tempt you,
Clothing.
but you hesitate too many
Every
raw,
task
and you'll be
connects from the
sprinting for
rabbit
the
you caught
bushes.
at dawn to the
You pick
fire
a few,
you tended its
planning to
coals,
dry them for later.
still roasting the
The
last of
forests
the leeks.
taught you patience,
You
a
hum
lesson
softly
you're
a
still
habit
learning.
and notice an
You
elder
glance at the
nodding
sky,
along their
judging
eyes
the
half
time.
closed.
The clan will be
but
waiting,
approving.
hungry for
You
your
test
haul.
the tunic, holding
and
it
the
up to a
rabbit from
kid
earlier.
who's still awake, measuring
You
it
adjust
against
the
their
basket,
small frame.
feeling its weight,
It's big,
and start the
but
trek
they'll
home.
grow into it.
The
And
forest's
the
hum
hide
fading
soft,
behind
durable.
you. Hey
Yours
guys,
soon, you
tonight
say.
we slip into the
And they
rugged,
grin,
untamed
touching the
world of
stitches.
cavemen,
You
where
think of
every
the
dawn is a
forest,
gritty
where
fight
you
to
found the
survive.
mint now
Picture
tucked in
this.
your belt.
You're curled
Its
up on a
scent
bed of
faint,
furs,
but
the
grounding.
air thick with the
The
musky
hide's
scent
not
of
done
earth
more
and
tanning
smoke.
tomorrow.
Outside,
a
a wolf
start,
howls,
a shield
and the
against
first
the
rays
cold
of sunlight
nights ahead.
creep into your cave,
You fold it carefully,
painting the walls in a
setting it by the
soft golden
fire
glow.
to dry, and
Your
wipe
stomach
hands,
growls
ash,
loud enough to
and
scare
fat
off a
smearing your
saber-toothed
skin.
cat,
Grug's
probably.
back, trying to inspect
You're about
your
to live a
work,
day in
and
the
you
life
toss him
of
a scrap of
caveman.
hide.
And
Make
spoiler
your own
alert,
big guy,
you
say,
probably won't
smirking.
survive this without some
He fumbles
serious
with
luck.
it, pretending
So before
to
you get
stitch,
comfortable,
and the clan
take a
laughs,
moment
his
to like the
clumsy
video and
fingers tangling
subscribe,
the sinew.
but only if you genuinely
hunter,
enjoy what
not
I
a
do
tailor.
here. Drop
He
a
grumbles,
comment with your
but he's
location and
grinning,
local time.
the
I love knowing
firelight
where you're
softening
chilling
his
as we
rough
dive into this
edges.
prehistoric vibe.
You shake your head,
Now,
joking, good
dim
thing,
the lights,
or we'd all
maybe
be
turn on a
naked.
fan for that soft
The
background
moods
hum,
light the
and let's
clan's
ease into
warmth
tonight's
wrapping
journey
around
together.
you like the hide
You
you're
blink
crafting.
awake, your
The
breath
fire's
fogging
low
in the
coals
chilly cave
pulsing,
air,
and you add a stick,
dawn,
keeping it alive.
and your body's already on
You
high
glance at
alert,
your spear,
tuned to
its
the
flint
sounds
tip,
of the wild
a reminder
beyond the
of the
rocky
tools
walls.
that made this
No.
possible, and
No
feel
snooze
the
button
day's rhythm,
just the
hunting,
distant roar
cooking
of a
now
cave
this.
lion to kickstart your heart.
A kid's fallen
you roll
asleep,
off the furs,
clutching a reed
your
mat
bare
from your
feet hitting the
childcare
cold
session,
stone floor,
and you smile,
and
tucking
stretch,
fur over them.
feeling every ache
The
from
tunic's a
yesterday's
small
hunt.
victory, But
your
it's for
clan
them,
still
for
snoring,
the clan, for
their shapes
survival.
barely visible in the dim light.
You lean back, the stone
First things
cool
first,
against your spine.
you need to get moving,
and let the caves
warm
quiet,
up,
settle
and
the
figure
night
out what's on
outside held
today's
at bay.
survival to-do
You
list.
stand stretching and check the hide
Cavemen
one last
didn't have
time.
coffee,
Its surface
but they had their
smooth
own
under your
morning
fingers.
rituals to shake off the
clan's
grogginess.
dozing, the fire's glow
You shuffle
fading.
to the cave's
But you're
mouth,
content,
squinting
the day's
at the
work
pink streaked
woven into
sky.
something tangible.
The mainstream
Your knife
historical fact
secure,
is that
your
early
spear
humans,
ready for tomorrow.
like those from the
cave's a
Upper
haven,
Paleolithic,
its walls strong
lived in
from your
small,
repairs.
tight-knit groups,
You think of the stories
often in
you'll share the
caves or
kids
temporary shelters,
who'll wear this hide
relying on their
and
wits
feel
to
grounded.
survive.
The fire's
You grab
hum,
a stick
steady
and poke
pulse.
at the embers of last
The
night's
night's
fire,
deep now,
coaxing a
but
flicker
you're
of
ready.
flame back to
the clan's
life.
future stitched
It's not
into
just for
every
warmth
scene.
fires, your
You're back in the
lifeline,
cave,
scaring off
the
predators and
fire's embers
signaling your
casting a
clan's
soft
presence.
glow across the stone
Now,
walls.
here's a quirky tidbit.
The air heavy with the lingering
Some
scent
archaeologists
of
found
roasted
evidence that
venison and
Neanderthals
herbs.
might be chewed on
The
resinous
tunic you
bark.
stitched
It's like a
is
prehistoric
folded neatly
gum,
by the
possibly
fire
to freshen their breath
and the
or soothe their
clans
gums.
settled their murmurs, fading
Imagine you're
into
chomping on
snores.
some sticky tree
Your
sap,
spear leans
the
against
bitter
wall.
taste waking
Its
you up
flint tip
faster than any
cleaned,
espresso
and your
shot.
knife hangs from
Not
its
exactly
thong
minty
sharp
fresh,
as ever.
but it's better than yesterday's
Now,
mammoth
as dusk
breath.
deepens outside,
You spit
you
it
turn
out,
to a different
chuckling at the
task,
thought of your
painting the
clanmate
cave
Grug,
walls,
who
creating
swears
art
it makes him
that tells the
irresistible
clan's
to the
story.
ladies. Spoiler.
You grab a
it
chunk of
doesn't.
ochre and a reed brush,
You step outside,
ready to mark the stone
dew-soaked
with
grass
images of the
tickling your
day's
toes.
triumphs.
The world's
The
alive,
cave's
birds
walls are
chirp,
rough, pitted
a
with
river
natural
gurgles
grooves,
nearby,
but there's a
and
smooth
something
section
rustles in
near
the
the fire,
bushes.
perfect for painting.
Could be breakfast.
You kneel
something
the
that
stone
sees you
cold
as
against your
breakfast.
knees and
You
grind
grab
the
a
ochre
crude
with a
wooden
flat
spear,
rock,
its tip
mixing it with
blackened
water
from fire
from a nearby
hardening,
basket
and scan the
to make a
horizon.
thick red paste.
Historians still argue
Mainstream
whether early
archaeology
humans were
shows
more
that early
scavengers
humans, like
or
those in
active
the Upper
hunters at this
Paleolithic,
stage.
created
But
cave
one
art
thing's
to
clear.
record hunts rituals,
You
or
not
maybe
waiting for
just to
food to
express
stroll into your
themselves using
cave.
pigments
Your
like
morning
ochre
routine
and charcoal.
ISNT just about waking
You
up
dip
at
the
S
reed
about
into the
preparing for
paste,
whatever the
its
day
tip
throws at
heavy,
you.
and start
You crouch
sketching
by
the
the
outline of a
stream,
deer,
splashing
inspired by
icy
the
water
morning's
on your
hunt.
face.
Here's a quirky tidbit.
The shock's brutal.
Some
but
researchers
it
think
sharpens your
Neanderthals
senses.
might have blown
You
pigment
scoop a
through
handful
hollow
of clay
bones
from the
to
bank
make
and
stenciled
smear it on your
handprints,
arms,
a
a trick your
prehistoric
clan
spray
swears
paint
keeps bugs at
technique.
bay.
Picture you
Does it
puffing
work?
ochre like
It
a
probably
caveman
not.
graffiti artist,
But it makes you
while
feel like a
Grug
warrior,
tries it
so you go with
and
it.
ends up with a
You
face
glance
full of
back at
red
the cave,
dust,
where
coughing
the others are
dramatically.
stirring, their grunts and
smirk,
yawns echoing like a
muttering
prehistoric
stick to
orchestra.
hunting Grug
Next,
as you trace
you check
the
your
deer's
gear.
antlers, the
Your
reed
flint knife chipped
scratching
to a razor's
softly.
edge hangs
He's
from a
dozing
leather
nearby,
thong around your
thankfully
neck,
sparing you his
You test
artistic
its
input for
sharpness,
once.
nicking
The deer
your thumb
takes
nip.
shape, its
Still
legs
good.
sharp against the stone.
You also grab a
and
woven
you add a
reed
spear,
basket,
your
perfect
spear
for
piercing
carrying
its
whatever
flank,
you
a
scavenge
nod
today.
to the buck's fall.
These tools aren't just
Clan's
objects,
quiet,
or extensions
but
of
kids
you,
watching their eyes
crafted
wide
with
in the
hours of
firelight.
sweat and curses
You
when the
beckon
flint
them over,
splintered wrong.
handing them a smaller reed.
You smirk, remembering
Try
the time
a
you
line
tried to
say,
upgrade your
guiding
spear
their
with a
hand
fancy bone
to add a
tip,
curve to the deer's
only for it
back.
to snap mid-throw.
They grin proud, and you feel that
Live and
familiar
learn, right?
teaching weight,
The
like when you
clan's
showed
awake
them
now,
reed weaving.
and the cave buzzes with low
Historians still
chatter.
argue whether
Kids
cave art
toddle
was
around
sacred
mimicking your
practical
spear grip,
or just
while
creative.
the elders mutter about
But
the
for
weather.
you, it's
You take
memory,
a moment to stretch
a
again,
way to keep the hunt
loosening your
alive.
shoulders for the
You
day's
switch
work.
to charcoal,
A
sketching
caveman's
hunter.
life is
Maybe you,
physical
maybe
every
Grug
task.
with a raised
From
arm.
hunting to hauling wood,
The lines are rough,
demands
but
strength
the fire's
and stamina.
glow makes them dance
You
almost
jog in
alive.
place, your
You
breath
think of
puffing in the
morning's
crisp
forage,
air,
the
feeling
leeks
the
and
blood
berries
pump
that
through your
fueled you,
veins.
and the fire
not
you
CrossFit,
tended,
but
now
it's close
lighting
enough.
your work.
Duh. Before heading
Every
out,
task
you share a
connects
quick
hunting,
meal-dried berries
cooking,
and a
crafting
strip
into
of
this
smoked
moment
venison
the clan
from last
story
week's kill.
etched in stone.
It's chewy,
You add
tough,
a second deer
and tastes
smaller to
vaguely
show
of
the
ash,
herd,
but
and
it's fuel.
smudge the charcoal for
You
depth.
toss a berry
Your
to a
fingers
kid who's
blackened,
staring at you with
but
wide
steady.
eyes,
The
earning
kid's
a
still
giggle.
beside you, mimicking your
These
strokes.
moments of connection,
their own
small as
scribbles
they
a
are,
chaotic
glue
herd
your
of
clan
shapes.
together.
Good
You're
start,
not just
you
surviving
say,
for yourself,
ruffling their hair. more.
You're keeping this
Keep
ragtag
practicing,
family alive.
and you'll paint better
As the
than
sun
Grug.
climbs higher,
They
you
giggle,
feel the day's
and you
weight
glance at him
settling in.
sprawled on a fur,
There's no clock,
snoring
but the
loud
light
enough to
tells you
wake
it's
a
time to
bear.
move. You sling
shake
the
your
basket
head,
over your
joking to
shoulder,
yourself.
grip your spear,
At
and
least
head
his
toward the
snores
forest's edge.
inspire
The others will
wind
follow
in my
soon.
art.
each with
The
their own
cave's
tasks,
warm, the fire's
gathering,
hum grounding,
hunting, or guarding
and you feel
the
a
cave.
quiet pride.
You pause,
Your
taking
hands
one last
weaving
look
the
at the
clan's
fire,
past
its
into
smoke
something
curling
lasting.
like a promise of
You grab
safety.
a chunk of yellow ochre,
Then you step
grinding
into
it
the
a
wild,
paler
ready to
paste,
face whatever's
and add
waiting.
highlights to the deer's
You're trudging
flank,
through the
making
forest,
it gleam.
the morning mist
The
curling
work's
around
slow,
your ankles
your
like a
wrist
clingy
aching from
ghost.
scraping hides earlier.
The air's
But
alive
it's
with sounds,
meditative.
crickets
Each
humming,
stroke, a piece
leaves
of the day.
whispering, and the
You
sharp
think of the
snap of a
buck's
twig
hide,
that
now
makes
a
your
tunic,
pulse jump.
and the
You're
meat that
hunting
fed the
breakfast.
clan its
Not
bones
some epic
waiting
mammoth
for tools.
chase, but a
The
small
art's
prize
another
to
use, a
quiet
way
the
to
clan's
honor the
growling
animal
stomachs.
to say,
Your spear's
"You
heavy in your
sustained us."
hand, its
You hum
fire-hardened
softly
tip,
a habit,
a trusted ally.
and notice the kid copying
You're after
you.
something
Their
manageable, a
voice,
rabbit,
a high echo,
maybe a pigeon,
a faint howl
something to keep
outside
the
makes
kids
you
from
pause,
whining till
hand
lunch.
hovering over the wall.
Out here,
You
though, the
glance at
forest
the
doesn't care about your
reinforced from your
plans.
shelter work,
One
and
wrong
relax
step,
the
and
fire's
you're lunch
light keeps
instead.
predators at bay.
The forest
You add a
floor is
wolf
a
to the
mosaic
painting,
of
its eyes
shadows
sharp,
and
a
sunlight.
reminder of the wild
You move
beyond.
deliberately,
The
eyes
kid
scanning
points,
for any
whispering,
hint of life.
scary.
You're not
and
just
you
walking,
nod,
you're decoding
softening
the world.
wolf's lines.
Scuffed patch of dirt might
Scary,
signal a
but
deer
we're
trail.
stronger, you
Hoffet
say.
and fern could mean a
And they
hare's
smile,
nearby.
clutching their reed.
Mainstream archaeology
Teaching
shows
them
early
art
humans
is
like
teaching
those
them
in the Upper
courage,
Paleolithic
just like the hunt
often hunted
or
small
fire
game
tending.
for quick low-risk
You step
protein,
back,
saving the
studying
big hunts for
scene.
special days.
Deer hunter wolf,
You spot a pile
all
of
linked
droppings,
by your lines.
still fresh and glistening.
The fire's low coals
Rabbit,
pulsing,
definitely.
and you add a
Your
stick
stomach rumbles,
to keep it alive.
loud
Its
enough to
light
startle a
crucial for your
squirrel.
work.
You
The
mutter,
clan's asleep
quiet
now.
you,
Their fur's
or
a
we'll both
patchwork
starve.
of shadows.
Here
and you
us
feel
a quirky
the day's
tidbit.
weight. Hunting,
Some researchers
practicing,
suggest Neanderthals
butchering,
might
cooking,
use bright
crafting.
feathers as decoys,
This art's a pause, a chance
waving
to
them
reflect,
to lure curious
make sense
birds
of
or
it
small
all.
animals.
You think of the
Imagine you,
spear-throwing practice,
twirling a
how your
feathered
aim
stick
brought
like a
the
caveman
buck
con
down,
artist,
and add a
hoping a
second
sparrow
spear
takes
to the
the bait.
hunter, a nod
give it
to
a try.
Drug's help. You
feeling
experiment
ridiculous as you
mixing
flick the
ochre
stick
and
back and
charcoal
forth.
for a darker
Nothing
shade,
bites, and you
and
toss
paint
it
a tree,
aside,
its
grumbling.
branches framing
Guess
the
I'm
scene.
not charming birds today.
It's not perfect,
You laugh
but
softly,
it feels right
picturing
tying the
Grub
hunt
trying
to
the
the
same
forest.
trick and
You
tripping
think of
over
the
his own
mint
ego.
sprig in your
I
belt,
see.
its scent faint now, and the berries that stained the kids' faces. The art's a story not just of the hunt, but of the clan's life, your life. You show the kid how to blend colors, their small
Following
hand,
faint rabbit tracks
smudging
toward
the
a
tree's
clearing,
edge, and
there are
laugh
quick
when it
flash
looks
of
more
brown
like a
fur
bush.
darts through the tall grass.
Art's messy, you say,
You freeze,
and they nod
breath shallow,
undeterred.
muscles
The
taut
cave's
like a
shadows
bowstring.
deepen the fire's
The
glow,
rabbit
fading,
pauses,
but you keep
nose
painting,
twitching,
driven by something
unaware of you
deeper
blending
than
into
need.
the ferns.
You add a handprint,
You raise your
pressing
spear,
your palm into
aim
the ochre,
carefully,
and
let it
stamping
fly.
it beside the deer.
Thud
a
the
mark
spear
of you.
grazes a bush,
The
missing
kid
by
copies their
inches.
tiny
The
print
rabbit
beside
bolts,
yours,
and you
and you
curse
feel a
under your
surge
breath,
of connection
jogging
to them,
after it.
to the clan.
Historians
to the
still argue
countless
whether
hands
early
that'll see
humans
this
leaned more
wall.
on endurance hunting, running
You clean
prey
your
to
fingers in the
exhaustion
water
or
basket,
stealthy
the
ambushes
cold
like this
grounding,
one. Right now you're
and
batting
sit back,
0, and it
the
stings.
stone, cool
The
against your
chase takes
spine.
you past a
The
patch of
painting's done
wild
for now, a
strawberries,
snapshot
their
of
red
today's
jewels peeking
triumph.
from the undergrowth.
You set the reeds
You
and
kneel,
ochre aside,
popping a
checking
few
your
into
knife
your
and
mouth,
spear ready
their
for
tartness
tomorrow.
a sharp wake-up
The
call.
clan's safe.
You stuff
the
a
fire's
handful
steady,
into your reed
and your
basket,
art's a quiet
knowing the
gift,
kids will wrestle
a
for them
story
back
for
at
the
the
future.
cave. The forest
You
your
think of
pantry.
the shelter you patched,
But it's
the
a
meal
dangerous
you cooked,
one,
the
O
kids
Isles.
you taught.
Just
all
the chance of a
woven into
boar
these
deciding
lines.
you're trespassing.
The night's
Smirk,
deep, but the
imagining
cave's
explaining
warm,
to the
and
clan
you're
how you got
content,
chased
the
by a
clan's
pig over a
heartbeat.
berry snack.
In every stroke,
A rustle
the
stops
wild
you
held
dead.
at bay
Not
for
the rabbit,
another
something
day.
heavier.
You're still in the
You
cave.
duck behind a gnarled oak,
The
peering
fire's
through the
embers,
leaves.
casting a faint
Fox
glow
slinks
on
past,
the freshly painted
a limp
deer,
vole in its
and
jaws.
hunter on the wall.
Clever
Their
fox,
ochre
you
lines
think,
flickering
but
like
you're
a
not
living
here to steal
story.
its meal.
The clan's
You
asleep.
note its path
Their
for later
snores
wear.
blending with
There's
the
one
soft
snag.
pop of the
There's
fire
usually
you tended
more.
earlier.
You
Your
adjust
hands
your
are still
spear,
smudged with
its
pigment.
blackened tip,
Your flint
catching
knife
a stray
secured at your
sunbeam.
neck.
This
and the
spear's your
spear
lifeline,
rests
crafted with
nearby its
sweat
tip,
and a few choice
gleaming
grunts
from
when
the
the wood
buck's
split
hunt.
wrong. You
The
pat
night's
it,
deep,
whispering,
now stars
Let's not mess
piercing the
this up
sky
again.
beyond the entrance.
The trail leads to
And
a
it's time
babbling
for a
stream.
shamanic
Its muddy
ritual,
banks soft
a ceremony
underfoot.
to
You
honor
spot
the
fresh tracks,
spirits of the
rabbit,
wild
maybe a
under
pear.
the starlight.
You kneel, studying the
You grab
prints
a
like
bundle
puzzle.
of herbs,
feeling like the
step
Sherlock
outside
of the
the
Stone
cool
Age.
air sharp against
The
your
water's
skin.
crystal clear,
The clearing's quiet.
tempting,
The forest,
but you know better
a
than to
dark
drink.
wall around you.
Last time you spent
Its
a day
whispers
regretting it with
carrying
a
the scent
stomach
of
ache from
pine
hell.
and damp earth.
You splash your
You
face
kneel
instead,
by a small
the
stone
cold
circle,
snapping your
a
senses
sacred
awake.
spot the
A
clan
bird
uses for
calls
rituals,
above, and you
and
glance
light a
up,
bundle of
half
dried sage
expecting
from
it
the
to
morning's
jeer at your
forage.
empty basket.
Its smoke
Then
curling upward like a
movement.
prayer.
Across the stream, a
Mainstream
rabbit
archaeology
munches on
shows
clover,
that early
its
humans, like
ears
those in the
flicking
Upper
lazily.
Paleolithic,
You wade into the
likely
water,
performed
grimacing as
rituals
the
to
icy
connect
current
with
bites
nature
your calves.
or appease spirits,
Step by
using
cautious
chants,
step,
dances,
you close the
or
distance,
offerings.
spear at the ready.
You fan the smoke,
The rabbit
its sharp
tenses,
tang
sensing
grounding you,
danger.
and begin a low
You
chant,
hold your breath,
a
arm
wordless
poised.
hum passed down by the
This
elders.
time your throw's
Here's
perfect.
a quirky tidbit.
The spear pins
Some
the rabbit to
researchers
the
think
bank with a soft
Neanderthals
thud.
might have used eagle feathers
You let out a
in
quiet
rituals,
whoop,
believing they
then
carried
cover your
messages
mouth,
to the sky.
scanning for predators
Picture
drawn
you
by
waving
the
a
sound.
feather like a caveman
The forest
mystic,
stays silent,
while Grug
just you and
tries to
your prize.
join in and
You
gets
retrieve
tangled
the
in his own
rabbit,
cloak,
its warmth
tripping
fading
into the
against your
sage.
palm. Small,
smirk,
but enough to feed
muttering,
a few hungry mouths.
Stay asleep.
Tie it to your belt,
Grug,
blood
grateful
smearing your
he's
fingers,
snoring back
and
in the
rinse them in the
cave.
stream.
You tuck a
It
feather
kills
into your
no
belt.
grand trophy,
Its softness,
but it feels like
a contrast to the mint
You're not just
sprig
eating,
still there,
you're proving
and
you can keep the
continue
clan
chanting.
alive another
The
day.
smoke weaving
You check
through
the
starlight.
sky.
The
The
ritual's
sun's higher
simple,
now,
but
urging
heavy
you to
away
head
to
back
thank
before
the
the
deer
forest
for
gets
its
too
life
lively.
and ask the forest
On the
for
return,
strength.
you grab more
You
strawberries
sprinkle ash
and
from
a
the
sprig
fire
of
into
wild
the
mint
stone
Grug's
circle,
breath,
an
could use the
offering
help.
to the earth,
You
and
weave
feel
through
the
the trees,
clan's
the
hopes
rabbit
resting
bouncing
on
at your
you.
hip. Your steps lighter
Historians
now.
still argue
Caves
whether
close,
these ceremonies were
and you picture
spiritual
the kids'
or practical,
grins when they see
meant
the
to
haul.
ensure good hunts,
You'll skin the
or just
rabbit
unite
later.
the group.
Maybe
But
save
for
the
you,
pelt for a kid's
it's
cloak.
both a moment to
For
feel
now,
the world's
you're
pulse.
content. The
You
forest's
think the
hum
buck's
fading
hide
as you
now,
near home,
a tunic,
ready
and the
to
meat
share the
that
morning's
fed the
small
clan,
victory.
and let the chant
You're back in the
rise
forest,
your voice steady
the
in the
rabbit from
night.
your earlier
A
hunt
kid's
still
silhouette
dangling
appears
from
at
your
the
belt,
cave's mouth,
but now
rubbing
your
their
focus
eyes
shifts
drawn
to
by the
gathering
smoke.
nature's pantry.
You beckon them over,
The sun's
softening
higher,
your chant,
burning
and
off
show
the
them
morning
how to
mist,
wave the
and
sage.
the air's thick with the
For the
scent of
spirits,
pine and
you
damp
whisper,
earth.
guiding their small hand.
Your basket
Their
swings at your
face
side, half
serious
filled
in the
with those
starlight.
tart strawberries.
They mimic you,
But you need
clumsy
more
but
roots,
earnest,
nuts,
and you smile,
anything to stretch
remembering
the clan's
teaching them
meals.
to paint earlier.
The forest is generous,
Rituals like
but it's also
art
a maze of
are
risks.
lessons tying the clan
Thorns,
to something bigger.
snakes, or
You
worse,
think of the shelter you
a rival
patched,
clan
keeping
eyeing
them
the same
safe,
bounty.
and feel the day's
You
threads
step
hunting,
lightly,
crafting,
eyes darting,
cooking,
every
woven
sense
into this
tuned to the
moment.
wild's rhythm.
You stand stretching
You weave
and lead
through
the kid
towering
in a slow
ferns,
dance,
their fronds
stepping
brushing
around
your
the stone
shoulders like
circle,
nosy
your feet
neighbors.
soft on the earth.
The ground's a carpet
The
of moss
stars
and
seem
fallen
to
leaves,
watch their light
cushioning
cold,
your steps.
but steady.
Mainstream
point out a bright
archaeology
one,
confirms
saying,
that early
"That's
humans,
the hunter's
especially
star
during the
guiding us."
Paleolithic,
The kid
relied
nods,
heavily on
awed,
foraging.
and you feel that teaching
With plant
weight
foods
again,
making up a
shaping
huge
their
chunk of
courage.
their diets,
The sage
sometimes
burns
more
low,
than
its
meat.
smoke thinning.
You spot
and
a
you add
patch of
sprig
wild leeks, their
chamomile from
green
your
tips
forage.
poking through the
its
soil.
sweet scent
Kneeling, you
mingling
dig
with, the
with a
night.
sharpened stick,
The ritual's not about
unearthing their
magic.
bulbous roots.
It's about respect
The
for
smell's
the wild,
sharp,
for the
almost
clan, for
eye-watering.
life.
But
A
you know
wolf's
they'll add
howl
flavor
cuts
to
through
tonight's
the dark,
meal.
distant,
Here's a
but
quirky
sharp,
tidbit.
and you pause hand
Some
on your
evidence
spear.
suggests
The
Neanderthals
kid
might have
tenses,
used certain
clutching
plants,
your arm, and you murmur,
like
"Just
chamomile,
talking
for
to
more
the
than just
stars
food,
like us."
possibly
They
as a
relax,
crude tea
and
to
you
calm
resume the
nerves
chant
or
louder.
aid sleep.
Now, claiming
Picture
the night.
you prehistoric
You think
forager
of the fire
extraordinaire,
inside its glow, holding
steeping
the
leaves in
clan,
hot water
and the
like a
tools
Stone
you
Age
crafted
barista.
their edges true.
You chuckle,
The
imagining
ritual's a
Grug
shield,
sipping herbal
not
tea,
against wolves,
and claiming it
but
makes him
against
zen.
fear, binding
Now, right
you to
Grug's
the
about
world
as
that
zen
gave
as
you
a
the
startled
buck.
boar.
The
Tuck a
berries, the
few
cave.
chamomile sprigs
You
into
kneel
your
again,
basket,
scattering a
just in
handful
case
of
the
dirt
elders
into the
want to
circle,
experiment later.
an offering for
You
tomorrow's
move deeper
hunts.
into the forest,
The kid copies
spotting
their
a cluster
tiny
of
pile
hazelnuts nestled
lopsided,
under a shrub.
and you grin, ruffling
You crack
their
one
hair.
open with a rock,
Good
the
enough,
nutty
you
scent
say,
making your mouth
and they
water.
beam proud
Into
to
the
be
basket
part
they
of this.
know, but not before you munch a few,
art, the deer
savoring
you
the
painted,
crunch.
and how this ritual
Foraging's not just about survival, it's a treasure hunt. Every find, a small win. Historians still argue whether early humans planned their gathering routes or wandered opportunistically.
For another
but
day.
you're methodical,
the sage is
sticking to spots the clans
gone,
raided before.
And you stamp
no
out
sense
the embers,
reinventing the wheel.
stone circle dark, but
the basket.
warm. You lead the
A
kid
rustle
back
in the
to the
bushes
cave,
stops you cold.
their steps
You grip
sleepy,
your spear,
and tuck
heart
them into their
thumping.
furs, their
Could be a
eyes already
deer.
closing.
Could be trouble.
The fire's
Crouch,
low coals
peering
pulsing,
through the foliage,
and you
but
add a
it's just a
stick,
bird
its
flitting
crackle
away.
a quiet comfort.
You exhale, shaking
You
your
think
head,
of the hunt, the
getting jumpy.
spear-throwing
Huh?
practice,
You
the
mutter.
meal you cooked,
Half to yourself,
all leading
half
to
to the
this, a
forest.
moment of connection under
The
the
wilds
vast
taught you
sky.
paranoia is a
The
survival
night's deep,
skill,
but you're not
but it doesn't
alone.
mean you
The
enjoy the
clan's
adrenaline
heartbeat in every
spikes.
breath.
You
sit by the fire, the
scanning
spear
for more
beside
goodies.
you. Its
Your basket
flint
growing
tip, a
heavier with
reminder of
weeks.
your work.
Nuts.
The kid
and a
snoring
handful
now
of
curled up,
blackberries
and
you
you feel a
couldn't
quiet
resist.
pride.
The
Not just for the
blackberries
ritual,
are a risk
but
thorny
for the
brambles
day,
guard
hunting,
them like
teaching,
nature's
painting.
barbed wire.
You
reach in
glance at the
wincing
cave
as a
wall,
thorn nicks
the
your
deer's
finger.
outline faint
Blood
but
beads and you suck
enduring,
it clean,
and think of
grumbling
the
about
stories
nature's
you'll share
pay-to-play
the kids
policy.
who'll dance under the
Still,
stars.
the berries are
The
worth it.
forest
Their
hums
sweetness a rare
outside
treat.
alive with
You imagine the
secrets,
kids' faces
and you
stained
lean
purple
back
and
the
grinning when you
stone,
bring these
cool
back.
against your spine.
You pick
The
carefully,
fire's glow,
filling a
a
corner of the
steady
basket.
anchor. You check your
leaving room
knife,
for
its
more.
edge true, and think
The
of
clan's
tomorrow.
picky eaters
More
looking at
hunts,
you.
more
Gruggle have to
tasks,
deal with whatever
more
you haul
rituals.
home. You
The
spot a
clan's
gnarled
safe,
root
the
sticking out of the
cave
soil
strong
on
from your
parsnip,
repairs,
maybe.
the fire
You
alive
dig the
from your
earth
care.
crumbling under your fingers.
You hum the chant
and yank it
again,
free.
softer now, letting
It's
it fade
ugly,
into the night.
knobby,
The stars
but
are
edible
still out
once
there
roasted.
watching, and you feel their
toss it
weight,
in,
not heavy
brushing
but
dirt
vast,
from your hands.
tying you to the wild.
The forest's
to
a
the
grocery
clan,
store
to the
with no
life you're
labels, and
building.
you're learning on the fly
You close
what's
your
safe.
eyes just for a moment.
Last week,
and
someone
let the
ate a dodgy
cave's
mushroom
warmth
and spent the
hold
night
you ready
regretting
for
it.
whatever dawn
You
brings.
smirk,
You're back
remembering
inside the
Grug's
cave.
dramatic groans
The ritual
echoing through the
sage
cave.
smoke still clinging
Lesson
to your skin.
learned,
The
stick
fire's
to what
faint
you know.
glow warming the stone
A distant
walls.
howl freezes you.
The clan's asleep. Their
Wolves,
soft
maybe?
snores
Or
mixing
just the
with the
wind
crackle
playing
of
tricks.
coals you stoked
Tighten
after
your
the
grip
ceremony.
on the spear, scanning the
Your
trees.
spear rests against the
The
wall.
forest's beauty
its flint
hides
tip
its
sharp
thief
from the
predators,
buck's hunt,
poison plants,
and your knife hangs
or a
secure
slip
at your
into a
neck.
hidden ravine.
The ochre deer
You
on
move
the wall
toward a
watches
clearing,
over you,
where
a
sunlight
silent nod
pools
to
like liquid
yesterday's
gold.
art.
There,
Now,
you
as
find
night settles
dandelion
deep,
greens.
you turn to tool
Their jagged
repair,
leaves a
mending
familiar
spears
sight.
and blades
You pluck
to
a
keep the
bunch,
clan ready
knowing
for
they're bitter
tomorrow's
but
challenges.
nutritious.
You grab a
The
broken
elders swear
spear
by
from the
them,
pile,
claiming they
and settle
clean the
by
blood,
the fire.
whatever
The
that
air
means.
thick with smoke.
You pause
and
by a
quiet
stream to
purpose.
rinse your hands,
The spear's shaft
water
is
icy
cracked,
against your skin.
split from a bad
A
throw
fish
during
darts
the deer
past,
hunt,
too quick to
and its
catch,
flint
but it
tips
reminds you to
chipped
check the
duller
clan's
than your
fish traps
patience with
later.
Grug's snoring.
For now, you
You
focus
pick up
on
a fresh
plants.
wooden shaft
Spot a
from
cluster of
stack
wild
near
garlic.
the entrance.
Its
Its
pungent
grain
smell
smooth under your
unmistakable.
fingers.
You dig up a few
Mainstream
bulbs, adding them to
archaeology
your haul.
shows that
Dope,
early
dope,
humans, like those in the
basket's
Upper
getting heavy.
Paleolithic,
Tugging at your shoulder,
regularly
but you're
repaired
not done.
tools, recycling
The
flint
good forager
and
knows
wood
when to push on
to
and
save
when to
effort
head back.
in a world where
The
resources
sun's
were
nearing
hard
its
won.
peak, warming
you
your
test
back
the old
as you
tip,
work.
prying
Find
it
a patch
free
of
with
clover,
your knife, and
its leaves
inspect
tender
it,
enough to
hoping
eat
to
raw.
salvage
You
the
nibble one.
point.
Its mild
It's
flavor, a
usable
nice
barely,
change from the leek's
and you
bite.
start reshaping
gather
it
a
with a
handful,
small
thinking of the
hammerstone.
kids who will
Here's a
munch
quirky
them like
tidbit.
candy.
Some
Foraging is
researchers
slow work,
think
but it's
Neanderthals might have
satisfying.
used animal sinew
Each
to
find a
bind
piece of the
broken
clan's
tools,
survival puzzle.
soaking it in water
You're not
to
just
make it
gathering
sticky
food,
like prehistoric
you're
duct
gathering
tape.
security.
Picture
a
you
buffer
wrapping sinew
against
like
the
a
lean
caveman
days.
engineer, while
As
Grug
you head
tries
back
to
toward the
improve the
cave,
repair by
you take a
slathering it
detour
with
past
tree
a
sap,
fruit-heavy
gluing his hand
elderberry
to the
bush.
spear. You
The
smirk,
dark berries tempt
muttering,
you, but you
"Sleep on
hesitate too
Grug,"
many raw,
as you thread
and you'll be
sinew from the
sprinting for
bucks,
the bushes.
butchering through the new
You
shaft,
pick a few,
tying the flint
planning
tight.
to dry them for later.
He sprawled nearby,
The forests
thankfully,
taught you
out
patience,
cold sparing
a
you his
lesson
usual
you're
chaos.
still learning.
The repair's slow,
You glance at
your
the
hand
sky,
steady,
judging
but
the time.
tired from
Clan
the
will
day
be
hunting,
waiting,
painting,
hungry for
chanting
your
under the
haul,
stars.
and the rabbit from
You tap
earlier.
the flint, flaking off
You
tiny
adjust the
shards
basket,
to sharpen
feeling
the edge,
its weight,
each
and start
strike
the trek
precise, to
The
avoid
forest's
ruining it.
hum fading behind you.
Historians still
You're back
argue
at the
whether
cave
tool
now,
repair was
the
a
forest's
specialized
bounty tucked
craft
safely in your
or a
basket.
shared duty.
The rabbit
But
still
in your
swinging
clan,
from your belt.
it's on whoever's others awake
The sun's
and
climbing,
willing.
casting
You
long
glance at
shadows
the
across
kids
the rocky
first,
clearing,
remembering how you
and the
taught them
clan's
to weave
buzzing
reeds,
with morning tasks.
and know they'll learn this
Your
too.
next job is to craft
One
tools
mended
sharp,
spear
reliable
at a
ones
time.
to keep the clan fed,
The fire's
clothed,
light dances
and
on the
safe.
flint, making
You
it
settle on a
gleam.
flat
You
stone
feel
near
a
the cave's
quiet
mouth,
focus.
the air sharp with the scent of smoke and earth.
Your only company.
Your hands are already itching to work,
it in your hand,
to turn raw
give it
flint
a gentle
into something
thrust.
deadly.
The binding holds
This isn't
the
just
tip
busy
firm,
work.
and you nod.
In this
setting it
world, a
aside.
dull blade means an empty
Next
stomach
is a cracked
or
scraper.
worse.
Its edge
You grab a
blunted
chunk of
from
flint from a
hide-working.
pile the clan
You grab
scavenged.
another flint from
Its
your
glassy
napping pile,
surface
the
cool
same
against your
batch you
palm.
used for the bucks,
The stone's
butchering
heavy,
and start
full of
shaping
potential,
a replacement.
but its
The
stubborn one wrong
hammerstone's rhythmic
strike,
tap
and it'll
echoes
shatter into
softly,
useless shards.
And you think of the morning's forage.
Mainstream archaeology
Those leeks
shows that
now
early
roasted their
humans,
scent,
like
gone,
those in the Upper
but their
Paleolithic,
fuel in your veins.
mastered flint
Every
napping,
task
creating
builds on the
razor-sharp
last, from
blades for
hunt
hunting and
to
cutting.
meal. To this,
You select a
keeping the clan
hammerstone,
strong.
a smooth river
A
rock
kid
that
stirs,
fits your grip,
mumbling in their sleep,
and start tapping,
and you pause,
testing the
softening your
flint's weak
strikes to keep the
points.
cave calm.
Flakes chip off.
You think of the ritual,
Glinting
how
in the
you showed them
sunlight
to
like
wave
tiny
sage
obsidian
and
tears.
smile their small handprint
Here's a quirky
beside yours
tidbit.
on the wall.
Some archaeologists
Tool
found
repair's less
evidence that
poetic,
Neanderthals
but
might
it's
via
just as
use
vital.
birch tar as glue to
Without
fix
sharp
stone
spears,
tips to
the
wooden
next hunt
spears.
fails,
Prehistoric
and the clan
superglue
goes
cooked
hungry.
from tree bark.
You reshape
Imagine
the
you,
scraper.
hunched over
its
a smoky
curve,
fire,
perfect for tanning,
stirring a gooey
and
mess like a
tested on a
caveman
scrap
chemist,
of hide from the buck.
hoping it'll hold your spear
It
together.
glides clean
You
and
smirk,
sharp,
picturing
and
Grug
you add
trying
it
to
the
improve the
growing pile,
recipe
your
and
hands
ending up
dusted
with tar in
flint
his
flakes.
beard.
The fire's
Sticky
low
situation,
coals pulsing,
a Grug,
and you add a stick.
you mutter,
its crackle
chuckling
a
as
steady
you strike
companion.
the flint again,
You glance
sending
at
another
the entrance
flake flying.
reinforced from your shelter
The rhythm
work,
of napping
and
pulls
feel
you
the cave's safety
tap,
a fortress
crack,
against
pause,
the night's howls.
assess, while
You
sculpting,
pick up
not
another
just
spear,
chipping,
this one
aiming
with
for a
loose
blade
binding
thin enough
and
to slice
rewrap it
hide,
with sinew,
but sturdy
soaking
enough to
the
scrape
thread in
bone.
water to tighten
Historians
its grip.
still argue whether
It works
toolmaking was
finicky,
a
your fingers
specialized
stiff from
skill,
painting, but
passed
you keep
down like a
going,
trade or
thinking of
something
the
every
deer's
clan member
meat
learned.
now,
You're
a
no
memory
master,
in the
but you've got
clan's
the
full
basics.
bellies, and the
Learned
tunic
through
you
trial
stitched, waiting
and
for
plenty
a
of
kid to
error.
wear. Too.
Like that time you thought a
hitch,
bigger
and you
hammerstone
freeze,
meant
half
faster
expecting him
work
to
spoiler.
barge in with a bad idea.
It meant a smashed thumb
He settles,
and a week of
and you
grumbling.
chuckle, imagining
A
him
kid
fixing
toddles
a
over
spear
wide-eyed
by
watching your
whacking it
hands.
against a rock.
You slow down,
You'd break the forest,
showing them how
you
to
mutter,
angle the strike.
tying off the sinew with a firm
See,
knot.
it's soft.
The spear's solid,
Let
now
the
ready
stone
for
do the
tomorrow's
work.
hunt.
You say,
And you lean it against
voice
the
low,
wall,
like
its
you're sharing a
silhouette
secret.
joining the others.
The kid nods,
You think of the spear
mimicking you
throwing
with
practice,
a pebble,
how
and
your
you grin.
aim saved the day.
Teaching's part
and
of
know
survival.
these
Your
repairs
clan's
are
only as strong
insurance
as its
keeping
next
that
generation.
skill alive.
You nudge the
You
kid
move
back to
to
their
a
mom,
bone needle cracked from
refocusing on the
stitching the
flint,
tunic,
at the
and
blades
whittle a
taking
new
shape,
one from the
its
buck's
edge
ribs
wickedly
using
sharp.
your knife's edge.
You test it
The
on your
bone's
arm
tough,
hair,
splintering
shaving
under
a patch
pressure,
clean, not
and
back.
you curse softly
Caves
when it
alive
nicks your
around
finger.
you, someone's pounding roots.
Not again,
And
you
others
grumble,
hauling wood.
sucking the
You
blood
glance
away,
at your basket,
then laugh,
the leeks and
remembering the
berries
kid
from
who
earlier
mimicked your
peeking out.
scowl while
A
painting.
reminder of the morning's
You
haul.
shape the needle its
Tools
point
like this
fine
blade
enough
will
for
help
hide,
process that
and
food,
test it on a
turning
scrap,
tough roots
the
into
whole
something
clean.
chewable.
It's
You set the
small,
finished knife
but it'll
aside
stitch the
and
next
grab another
cloak,
flint,
keeping the clan
this
warm.
time aiming for
The
a
cave
scraper to
shadows
clean
deepen
hides.
the fire's glow, barely
The process
reaching the
is
painted
slower,
deer.
more
You
precise.
think of the ritual stars,
strike a
their
gamble.
cold light guiding you.
A bad one
You feel
sends a crack
connection to the
spidering
tools,
through the stone,
the cave,
and you've grown.
the clan.
Come on,
You
don't
check the
betray
pile,
me now.
3
You
spears,
whisper, half
2
joking.
scrapers, a needle,
The sun's
all
heat
mended
prickles
or
your back,
remade.
and you wipe sweat
Your
from
hands
your brow,
ache scraped
smearing
and
dirt across
dusty.
your face.
But the work's done. The
You don't care
clan's
you're a
arsenal
walking canvas
stronger.
of grime out here.
You sweep the flint
A bird
flakes into a
screeches
pile,
nearby, and you
saving
pause,
them for smaller
scanning the
tools,
tree line.
and lean back
No
the
threats,
stone,
just the
cool
forest's
against your
usual
spine.
chatter.
You glance at the basket
Still,
from your
you
forage,
keep your
empty
spear
now.
close,
But for a
its tip
sprig of
glinting
mint,
beside you.
its scent
Tools
faint,
aren't just for
but
work.
grounding.
They're your
The
defense
day's been
against a
long
world
hunting,
that doesn't play
teaching,
fair.
painting, chanting.
You remember
now
that
this.
fox from the hunt,
But each task is a
sleek and
thread in
cunning,
the clan's
a
survival.
good scraper, could
You
turn
think
its
of the
pelt
kids,
into a kid's cloak.
asleep with their reed
You
mats,
switch to a smaller
and the elders
hammerstone,
trusting you
aiming
to
for
keep
finer
the tools
flakes.
sharp.
The scraper's
fire's
edge
steady,
curves,
the
perfect
cave
for
safe,
stripping fat from
And you
hides.
feel a quiet pride,
You
not
test it
loud,
on a scrap
like
of deer skin.
Grug's boasts.
The blade
You
gliding
but
smooth,
deep, anchoring
leaving
you
a clean
to this
surface.
life. You stand stretching
Satisfaction
and check the
hums through
spears
use.
one last time.
This tool is
Their
a keeper.
tips glinting in the
You add
firelight.
it to your pile, already picturing the clan's gratitude
and you're ready to
when they're
rest
not
your knife
wrestling
and
with
spear
dull blades.
close the cave.
You're not just
haven.
making tools, you're
You
making
think of the
life
stories
easier,
you'll tell the
one
hunts
chip
to
at a
come.
time. Shadow
and the
falls
kids
over
who will
you,
carry
Brooke,
these tools.
looming with his usual
The
mix
night's
of
deep, the
curiosity
forest
and bad
alive
ideas.
outside.
Make
But
me a
you're
bigger
content.
knife, he
The
says,
fires
flexing
hum
like
a
it'll
steady
impress
pulse.
the flint.
The clan's
You roll your
future
eyes,
mended in your
tossing him a
hands.
pebble.
You're nestled
Bigger,
in the cave.
ego
The fires
first,
glow dim
maybe?
but steady,
He laughs,
casting
but
soft
you're only half
shadows
kidding.
over the ochre deer painted
You hand
on
him
the
a
wall.
flint to try,
The
knowing
clan's
he'll botch
asleep.
it.
Their snores,
Sure enough,
a
his
low
first
hum
strike
against
splits the
crackle
stone
of coals
clean in
you fed
half.
earlier.
You
Your
snort.
spear leans
Nice one,
nearby,
Grug.
freshly
That's a
repaired
great
its flint
doorstop.
tip,
He grumbles,
sharp
but
from
sticks
last
around,
night's work.
watching you work.
And your knife hangs
The
secure
pile
at your
grows
neck.
to knives, a
The buck's
scraper,
hide,
and
now
a
a
half-finished
tunic,
point for a
rests folded
spear.
by the fire.
Your
And
hands
the day's
ache,
labors,
knuckles
hunting,
scrape from
cooking,
stray
crafting,
flakes,
linger in your aching
but it's a
muscles.
good ache, the kind earned.
Now,
You stretch,
as the night deepens,
feeling the kinks
it's
in
time
your
for
shoulders.
storytelling. By
The clan's
firelight,
tools are your
recounting
legacy,
the day's hunt
proof you're
to
pulling
keep
your
the
weight.
clan's spirit
You
alive.
glance at the kids playing nearby,
You settle on a fur,
one
the stone
pretending to nap with
floor,
a stick.
cool beneath you.
Maybe
and
they'll be
begin
better
your
than you
voice,
someday.
low and
For
warm.
now, you're the
Kids
one
stir,
keeping the
drawn
blade
by
sharp.
your words.
You
their
wrap up
eyes
as the
glinting
sun
in the
nears its
fire's
peak,
flicker.
the
A
clearing
few
now
elders
bathed in
crack
golden
open
light.
sleepy eyes, and even
You gather
Grug
your
sprawled
tools,
nearby,
tucking them into a
quiets his
leather
snores
pouch,
to listen.
careful not to nick yourself.
Mainstream archaeology
The
shows
flint's
that
edges are
early
traitors
humans like
if you
those
get
in the Upper
careless.
Paleolithic
You stand,
used
brushing
storytelling
dust
to
from your
pass
knees,
down knowledge,
and head toward the
strengthen
cave to
bonds,
stash your
and
haul.
make sense of their
The
world,
clan's
often
waiting,
around the
their
fire.
tasks piling up,
You
hides
start with
to
the
scrape,
deer hunt,
food to
painting
prep.
the scene.
Your tools will
dawn
make their work
mist,
smoother.
The hoof
Maybe
prints by
earn
the
you an
river,
extra berry or
the
two
buck's
tonight.
antlers catching
You
first
pause
light.
at the cave's mouth,
We crept
glancing
low,
back
you
at your
say,
work spot.
mimicking the crouch hearts
the ground's
pounding
littered
like
with
drums.
flint flakes,
Here's a quirky
a
tidbit.
glittering record of your
Some
morning.
researchers think
You feel a quiet
Neanderthals might have
pride,
used rhythmic
not the
grunts
loud kind
or
grunt
claps in their
chases,
stories, adding
the kind
drama
that
like
settles deep.
prehistoric
You're
sound
not just
effects.
surviving your building. one
Picture
tool
you
at a
thumping your
time.
chest for
A
emphasis,
life for this
while
clan.
Grug tries to
The
join
forest
in
hums
and
beyond,
claps so loud
calling you to the
he
next
startles
task.
a kid who yelps
But for
like
now,
a spooked hare.
You're content,
You smirk,
ready to hand over your
muttering,
blades
"Easy,
and see what the
Grug.
day's got next.
You're not the star," and tap the
Hey
floor
guys,
lightly.
Tonight we
keeping
slip into
rhythm
the
subtle.
rugged,
He
untamed
grins,
world of
settling
cavemen,
back, and you
where every
continue
dawn is a
describing the
gritty
kid's
fight to
shout
survive.
that drove the deer
Picture
your spear's
this.
arc.
You're curled
Grug's
up on a
final
bed of
throw sealing
furs,
the kill.
the air
You
thick
lean
with the
forward,
musky scent
fire's
of earth
warmth
and smoke.
brushing your face,
Outside,
and
a
describe
wolf
the buck's
howls,
fall,
and the first rays of
exaggerating just
sunlight
enough to make
creep
the
into your
kids
cave,
gasp.
painting the
It
walls
ran,
in a
but
soft
we were
golden
faster.
glow. Your
You say
stomach
pausing
growls
for
loud
effect,
enough to scare
and the
off a
forest gave us
saber-toothed
its
cat,
gift.
probably.
The kids lean
You're
in
about to
one,
live a day in the
clutching
life
a reed
of a
mat
caveman.
from your childcare
And
lesson.
spoiler alert,
Their eyes
you
wide.
probably won't survive this without
Historians
some
still
serious
argue
luck.
whether these stories
So before
were
you
purely
get comfortable,
practical teaching
take a moment to
survival
like the
or
video and
carried
subscribe,
spiritual weight,
but only if you
honoring the
genuinely
animals.
enjoy what I do
For
here.
you, it's
Drop
both a
a
lesson
comment
in
with your
hunting
location
and a
local
nod
time.
to the
I love
deer's
knowing where
life
you're
now
chilling
woven
as we
into the
dive into this
clans. You
prehistoric
gesture
vibe.
to the cave wall where the
Now,
ochre deer stands
dim the
proud,
lights,
its
maybe
painted
turn on a
spear
fan for that
matching
soft
your tail.
background hum, and
See,
let's ease into
that's
tonight's
us right there,
journey
you
together.
say. And a
You
kid
blink
points,
awake,
whispering,
your breath fogging
"I
in the
helped you
chilly
nod,"
cave air.
ruffling their hair.
It's dawn.
You did, little
and
artist.
Your body's already
You
on
think of
high
the ritual
alert,
under the
tuned
stars,
to the sounds
the
of
sage
the wild
smoke
beyond the rocky
rising
walls.
and weave it into
No.
the story,
No
describing
snooze
how you
button here,
thanked the
just
spirits for
distant
the
roar
hunt.
of a cave lion to
The kids
kickstart
listen
your heart.
rapt,
You roll off
and you
the
feel the
furs,
weight of
your
teaching
bare
like when you
feet
showed
hitting
them
the
to
cold
track
stone
or
floor,
weave,
and
passing
stretch,
the clan's
feeling
heart
every
forward.
ache from
The
yesterday's
fire
hunt.
pops, sending a
Your
spark
clan's still
skyward,
snoring,
and you fan the
their shapes
smoke,
barely
keeping it
visible
clear.
in the dim light.
You describe
First
the
things
butchering, how
first.
your knife
You
crafted
need to
days
get
ago
moving,
sliced
warm
clean,
up,
turning the
and
buck
figure out
into
what's on
meat, hide,
today's
and bone.
survival to-do list.
Every part matters.
Cavemen
You say,
didn't
holding
have
up
coffee,
your knife, its
but they
flint
had their own
glinting.
morning rituals
The
to
kids
shake off the
nod while
grogginess.
mimicking your grip, and you
You
smile,
shuffle to the
remembering
cave's
their
mouth,
clumsy attempts
squinting
at
at the pink
scraping
streaked
hides.
sky.
You
The
think of
mainstream
meal, the
historical
roasted
fact
venison,
is that
and
early
leeks,
humans,
and add
like those
that
from the
feast
Upper
that was us
Paleolithic,
working together.
lived in
The
small,
clan's
tight-knit
quiet.
groups.
But their eyes
often
say
in
they feel it
caves
too.
or temporary
Grug
shelters,
shifts, muttering,
relying on
"I
their
threw the
wits to
best spear,"
survive.
and you roll your eyes,
You grab a
tossing
stick and
pebble
poke
him.
at the embers of last
Sure,
night's fire,
and I'm the best cook
coaxing
you
a
tease,
flicker
drawing
of
laughs.
flame back to life.
You describe his role,
It's
giving
not just
credit.
for warmth fires,
He
your
did land
lifeline,
that second
scaring off
spear,
predators
and he
and
puffs
signaling
up,
your
grinning.
clan's presence.
The story's not just
Now,
yours.
here's a quirky
It's the
tidbit.
clan's every hunter.
Some
every
archaeologists
hand that
found
helped.
evidence that
You
Neanderthals
think
might
of the
be
shelter
chewed on
you
resinous
patched,
bark,
the fire you
like
tended,
a prehistoric
all
gum,
tying into
possibly
this
to
tale,
freshen their breath
making
or
the
soothe their
cave a
gums.
home.
Imagine
You
you're
lower your
chomping
voice,
on some
drawing
sticky
them in.
tree sap,
But the
the
forest,
bitter taste waking you
never
up
lets
faster
you
than
rest.
any espresso
You weave
shot.
in a lesson
It's not
describing how
exactly
you
minty
read the
fresh,
hoofprints,
but it's better
how
than
silence
yesterday's
saved the
mammoth
hunt.
breath.
Watch the
You
ground.
spit it out,
Listen.
chuckling at the thought of your
Wait.
clanmate Grug,
You say.
who swears it
kids
makes him
nod, soaking it
irresistible
up.
to the ladies.
You think of the
Spoiler,
spear-throwing
it
practice,
doesn't.
how it sharpened your aim.
You step
and
outside,
add a bit about
the
missing
dew-soaked
the
grass
first throw,
tickling your
making them
toes.
giggle.
The world's alive,
Even
birds
hunters mess
chirp,
up, you say,
a
winking.
river gurgles
but we try
nearby,
again.
and something
The
rustles in the
elders
bushes.
smile, their faces soft
Could
in
be
the
breakfast,
firelight.
or something
And you
that
feel the
sees you as
story
breakfast.
binding you all a thread.
You
through
grab
the
a
day's
crude wooden
chaos.
spear,
A
its
kid
tip
yawns,
blackened
clutching
from
their
fire
fur,
hardening,
and you soften
and
your
scan
tone,
the horizon.
easing the tale toward calm.
Historians still argue
You
whether early
describe the
humans
cave
were
at
more
dusk,
scavengers
how the
or active
fire's
hunters
glow
at this
held you.
stage.
How the buck's
one thing's
meat
clear.
filled your bellies.
You not waiting
We're
for
here
food to
because
stroll
we work
into your
together.
cave.
You say, gesturing
Your morning
to the painted
routine
wall,
ISNT
the
just about
tools,
waking up at
the
S about
furs.
preparing for whatever the day
The kids are
throws at
sleepy
you.
now. Their
You
heads
crouch
heavy,
by the stream,
but they're listening,
splashing
dreaming
icy
of
water
hunts
on your
they'll
face.
join someday.
The shock's
You
brutal,
think of the ritual
but it sharpens your
stars,
senses.
the forests
You
hum,
scoop a
and
handful
feel
of clay
the
from the
clan's
bank and
pulse,
smear it on your
steady
arms.
and
A
strong.
trick your clan
You wrap
swears
the
keeps
story
bugs at bay.
describing the night outside the
Does it
stars,
work? It
watching
probably
like
not.
ancestors.
But it makes you
They
feel
see
like
us,
a
keep
warrior,
us.
so you go with it.
You say, voice a whisper.
You glance back
and
at the
kids
cave,
sigh,
where
settling
the others
deeper
are
into
stirring,
their furs.
their grunts and yawns
You add a
echoing
final
like a
stick to the
prehistoric
fire.
orchestra.
Its crackle a
Next,
soft lullaby.
you check your gear.
And think of the morning's rabbit.
Your flint knife chipped to a
berries, the
razor's
hide
edge
you stitched.
hangs from a leather thong
Every
around
task,
your neck,
hunting, crafting,
You test its
chanting
sharpness,
lives in this tale.
nicking your
a
thumb yet.
gift to the clan.
Still good.
You glance
You also
at
grab a
Grug,
woven
quiet
reed basket,
now, and
perfect for
smirk,
carrying whatever you
whispering,
scavenge today.
You're welcome for the
These tools
glory,
aren't just
big
objects.
guy.
They're
The fire's
extensions
low
of you,
coals pulsing
crafted
like the
with
clan's
hours of
heartbeat.
sweat and curses
And you
when
lean
the
back,
flint
the
splintered
stone
wrong.
cool against your
You
spine.
smirk, remembering the
Your
time you
spear's
tried
ready.
to upgrade your
knife
spear with a
sharp,
fancy
the
bone
cave
tip,
safe from your repairs.
only for it to snap
The
mid-throw.
story's done, but its echo lingers,
Live and
tying
learn,
the
right?
clan to the past.
The clan's
to
awake
each other.
now, and the cave
You
buzzes
think of the
with low
kids,
chatter.
their small hands,
Kids toddle
painting,
around,
tracking,
mimicking your
learning,
spear grip,
and know
while
they'll
the
carry
elders
this
mutter
forward.
about the weather. You
The
take a
night's
moment to
deep,
stretch
the
again,
forest alive
loosening your
outside.
shoulders for the day's
But
work.
you're content.
A caveman's
fire's
life
hum
is
a steady
physical
anchor.
every task.
The clan's
From hunting to
future
hauling
safe
wood
in your words.
demands strength
You
and
stand
stamina.
stretching and check the fire
You
one
jog in
last
place,
time. Its
your breath
glow faint,
puffing in the
but
crisp
enduring.
air, feeling the
The
blood
cave's a
pump
haven,
through your veins.
The painted deer.
It's
a
not
silent
CrossFit,
witness,
but it's
and
close
you feel
enough.
grounded the day's work.
Before heading
woven
out,
into the
you
story
share a
you
quick
told.
meal-dried
Your
berries
hands are
and a
tired,
strip of smoked
smudged
venison
with
from
ochre
last
and
week's
ash.
kill.
But the clan's
It's chewy,
stronger for it.
tough, and
You
tastes
settle
vaguely
near
of
the entrance
ash,
spear,
but it's
close
fuel.
ready for the night watch.
You toss a
The
berry to
stars
a kid who's
outside,
staring at you
a
with wide
reminder of
eyes,
the ritual,
earning a
the
giggle.
hunt, the life
These
you're
moments of
building.
connection,
The
small as they
cave's
are,
warm,
glue your
the
clan
clan's
together.
Safe,
You're
and
not
you're
just
ready
surviving
whatever
for
dawn
yourself.
brings.
You're
in the
keeping this
cave.
ragtag family alive.
The fire's faint
As the
glow,
sun climbs
casting
higher,
long shadows
feel the
across
day's
the
weight
painted deer on the
settling in.
wall. Its ochre
There's no
lines,
clock,
a
but the
quiet
light tells
echo
you
of
it's
your
time to
storytelling.
move. You sling
The
the
clan's
basket over your
asleep,
shoulder,
their soft
grip your
breaths
spear, and head
mingling with
toward
the
the
coal's
forest's
gentle
edge.
crackle.
The others will
A
follow
sound you've
soon,
kept steady since
each
tending
with
it
their own
earlier.
tasks,
Your spear
gathering,
rests
hunting,
against the stone,
or guarding the cave.
its flint
You
tip
pause,
sharp from repairs,
taking one last look at
and
the
your
fire,
knife hangs at your neck,
its smoke
ever ready.
curling like a promise of
The
safety.
buck's hide, now a tunic,
Then you step
lies
into the
folded
wild,
nearby.
ready to face
and the
whatever's
day's
waiting.
work, hunting,
You're
crafting,
trudging through the forest,
chanting,
the
teaching,
morning mist
sits
curling
heavy in
around your
bones.
ankles like a clingy
Now,
ghost.
as the night deepens,
The air's
it's time
alive
to
with
prepare for
sounds,
sleep,
crickets humming,
arranging
leaves
furs
whispering,
to make a cozy
and the sharp
bed for the
snap of a
clan.
twig that makes your
You
pulse
grab a
jump.
pile of pelts
You're hunting breakfast.
and start spreading them
Not
in
some
the
epic
cave's
mammoth
cool
chase,
air urging
but a small
you on.
prize to quiet
The
the
furs are a
clan's
mixed
growling
deerwolf,
stomachs.
even a bear
Your spear's
pelt
heavy
from
in
a
your hand,
long-ago hunt.
its
Their
fire-hardened
texture's
tip,
rough,
a trusted
but
ally.
warm. You
You're
shake
after
one
something
out, dust
manageable, a
and
rabbit,
ash puffing
maybe a
into the
pigeon,
firelight,
something to
and
keep
lay
the
it near
kids
the
from whining
coals
till lunch.
for a kid who's been shivering.
Out here, though, the forest doesn't
Mainstream
care about your
archaeology
plans.
shows that early
One wrong
humans,
step
like those in the
and you're
Upper
lunch
Paleolithic, used animal hides.
The forest floor
not
is a
just for
mosaic
clothing,
of shadows
but for
and
bedding,
sunlight.
creating
You move
insulated
deliberately,
nests
eyes
to
scanning for
survive
any hint of
cold
life.
nights.
You're not
You
just
fluff the
walking,
bear
you're
pelt
decoding
its
the
weight
world.
grounding,
Scuffed
and tuck
patch
it
of
around
dirt
a
might
sleeping
signal a
child,
deer
their
trail.
face easing
Hoffet
as
and
the
fern
warmth
could mean a
settles
hare's
in.
nearby.
Here's a quirky tidbit.
Mainstream
Some
archaeology shows
researchers
early
think
humans like
Neanderthals
those in
might
the
have
upper
stuffed hides with
Paleolithic
dried grass
often
for
hunted
extra
small game for
insulation,
quick lowers
like a
of protein,
prehistoric
saving
mattress
the big
topper.
hunts for special days.
Picture you cramming
You spot a
grass
pile of
into
droppings,
a pelt, like
still
a
fresh and
caveman
glistening.
interior decorator,
Rabbit
while
definitely.
Grug tries to help
Your stomach
and ends up
rumbles,
sneezing
loud
from
enough
the
to
dust
startle a
waking half the
squirrel.
clan.
You
You
mutter,
smirk,
"Quiet
muttering,
you,
keep
or
snoring.
we'll both starve."
Grug as you smooth a
Hear
deer
us a
pelt,
quirky tidbit.
grateful he's out cold
Some researchers
nearby,
suggest
sparing
Neanderthals
you
might
his usual
use
chaos.
bright feathers as decoys,
You add a layer of dried ferns to a kid's
waving them
bed,
to lure
their
curious
faint
birds or
scent
small
mixing with the
animals.
fire's smoke,
Imagine
and
you,
pat it down,
twirling a feathered
ensuring it's
stick like a
snug.
caveman
You
con
move
artist,
through the cave,
hoping
arranging
a sparrow
furs for
takes
the others.
bait.
Your hands
You give it a
steady
try,
despite the day's grind.
feeling ridiculous as you
The
flick
kids
the
are
stick
curled
back
up,
and
some
forth.
clutching reed
Nothing
mats
bites,
from your
and you
child care
toss it
lesson,
aside,
their small
grumbling,
forms
"Guess I'm not
dwarfed
charming
by the
birds
pelts.
today."
Historians
softly,
still argue whether
picturing
sleeping
Grug trying the
arrangements in
same
early
trick
human
and
groups were
tripping over his
communal
own ego.
or sectioned by
see.
family. But in your clan, it's a mix. Everyone's close, sharing warmth, but with enough space to avoid elbow wars. You adjust an elder's fur, tucking it under their chin.
Following
and they
faint
murmur
rabbit tracks
thanks,
toward a
half
clearing,
asleep, their trust,
there are quick flash of
quiet
brown
wait.
fur darts
The
through the
fire's
tall
low,
grass.
its coals
You
pulsing
freeze,
like a slow
breath
heartbeat,
shallow,
and you add a
muscles
stick,
taut like a
keeping it
bowstring.
alive for the night.
The rabbit
You
pauses,
think of the book's meat,
nose
now
twitching,
gone, and the
unaware of
hide
you
you
blending
stitched,
into the ferns.
now a bed, tying the
You
day's
raise your
tasks
spear,
together,
aim
hunting,
carefully,
cooking,
and let it
crafting.
fly.
You grab
Thud
a
the
wolf
spear
pelt, its
grazes a
fur
bush,
soft
missing
but
by
heavy,
inches.
and
The
spread it
rabbit
for
bolts,
yourself near the
and you
entrance,
curse under your
where
breath,
you'll take the first
jogging
watch
after it.
later.
Historians
cave
still argue
stone is
whether
cold,
early humans
but
leaned
the
more on
furs make
endurance
it
hunting,
bearable,
running
a
prey
shield
to
against the
exhaustion
night's
or
bite.
stealthy ambushes like
You
this
fluff
one.
yours,
Right now you're
smirking
batting
at the
0,
thought of
and it
Grug,
stings.
hogging the
The
best
chase takes
spot
you
if
past a
let him.
patch of wild
A kid
strawberries,
stirs
their
whining
red
about a
jewels
rock under
peeking
their
from
fur,
the undergrowth.
and you kneel,
You
sweeping the
kneel,
spot
popping
clear.
a few into your mouth.
Better you
their
ask,
tartness,
tucking
a
the
sharp
pelt
wake-up
back,
call.
and they nod,
You stuff a
yawning.
handful into your reed
You
basket,
think of the stories
knowing
you
the
told
kids
deer
will
hunt
wrestle for them
painted in
back at the
words and
cave.
ochre,
The forest's
and
your
how
pantry.
these furs are part
But
of
it's a
that
dangerous
tale,
one,
keeping
Wiles.
the clan safe.
Just the chance of a
You
boar
show the
deciding
kid how
you're
to layer a
trespassing.
thinner hide for
Smirk,
extra warmth.
imagining explaining to the
small
clan how
hands
you got chased
copying
by
you,
a pig
and
over a berry
smile.
snack.
You'll be a
A rustle
fur
stops
expert
you
soon,
dead.
you say,
Not the rabbit,
and
something
they
heavier.
giggle, settling back
You
down.
duck behind a
The
gnarled oak,
cave's shadows
peering
deepen
through the
the
leaves.
fire's glow, barely
Fox slinks
touching the
past,
walls.
a limp
You
foal
move
in
to
its
the
jaws.
elder's corner, adjusting
Clever
their
fox, you
beds,
think,
piling
but you're not here
furs
to steal
higher
its
for their
meal.
old bones.
You note its
One
path
mutters
for
about a
later
draft,
wear. There's
and you
one
check
snack.
the entrance reinforced
usually
from your
more.
shelter. Work,
You adjust
ensuring
your
it
spear.
holds.
Its
You think
blackened
of the
tip,
ritual's sage
catching a stray
smoke, how it
sunbeam.
lingered.
This spear's
and the
your
mint
lifeline,
sprig still in
crafted
your
with
belt.
sweat and a few
Its
choice
scent
grunts
faint,
when the wood
but
split
grounding.
wrong. You pat it,
Every
whispering.
task connects
Let's not
hunting,
mess
painting,
this up
chanting
again.
into this moment.
The trail
making
leads
the
to a
cave
babbling
a home.
stream, its muddy
You
banks
hum
soft
softly a
underfoot.
habit,
You spot
and
fresh
notice a
tracks,
kid
rabbit,
mimicking
maybe a
you,
pair. You
their
kneel,
voice a
studying the
sleepy
prints like
echo.
a puzzle.
You grab a final
feeling like
pelt,
the Sherlock
a
of the
deer
Stone
hide
Age.
from an older kill,
The water's
and
crystal
spread
clear,
it for a pregnant
tempting,
woman, making
but you
sure
know
it's
better than
thick
to
enough
drink.
to ease her
Last
back.
time you spent a day regretting
She
it with a
nods
stomachache
grateful,
from hell.
and you feel the
You
clan's
splash your
heartbeat,
face instead,
each fur,
the
a
cold
thread in
snapping
their
your senses
survival.
awake. A
You
bird
think of the
calls above,
spear-throwing
and you glance
practice,
up,
how it
half
sharpened your and your aim
expecting
for
it
the
to
hunt,
jeer at your
and
empty
the
basket.
tools you mended ready
Then
for tomorrow.
movement.
The
Across the
cave's
stream, a
warm, the
rabbit
fire
munches on
steady,
clover,
and you're
its
weaving
ears
comfort
flicking
into
lazily.
the night,
You
one
wade into
pelt
the
at a
water,
time.
grimacing as the
Grug
icy current
snores
bites your
hitch,
calves.
and you freeze, half expecting
Step
him
by
to stumble
cautious
over,
step,
demanding the
you
fluffiest
close the
fur.
distance,
He
spear at the
settles,
ready,
and you chuckle,
The rabbit tenses,
imagining him testing a
sensing
bed
danger.
by flopping on
You
it,
hold your
crushing
breath,
the ferns.
arm poised.
You'd break the cave,
This
you
time
mutter,
your throw's
smoothing
perfect.
another pelt.
The spear pins the
You check
rabbit to the
kids'
bank
beds
with a
tucking
soft
in
thud.
loose edges, and spot
You let
one
out a
clutching
quiet
a
whoop,
bone needle from
then
your
cover your
stitching
mouth,
lesson,
scanning for
asleep with it
predators
like a
drawn by
toy.
the sound.
You smile,
forest stays
keeping it
silent,
knowing they're
just you and
dreaming
your
of the
prize.
clan's work.
You retrieve the
fire's
rabbit,
coals
its
pulse,
warmth fading
and you
against
add
your
another
palm.
stick, its
Small,
crackle a
but
soft
enough
lullaby.
to feed a few hungry mouths.
You think of the meal
Tie
you
it to
cooked,
your
the
belt,
venison's
blood smearing
richness,
your fingers,
and the art
and
you
rinse them in the
painted
stream.
tying the clan to the
The
wild.
kill's no grand trophy,
These furs
but it
are
feels
another
like
link,
a triumph.
a soft
You're not
armor
just eating,
against the
you're
cold.
proving you can keep the clan alive.
You settle on your
another
own
day.
bed. The
You
wolf
check the
pelt,
sky.
warm,
The sun's
and
higher
test
now,
it lying
urging you to
briefly
head
check
back
its
before the
comfort.
forest gets too lively.
It's good, but
On
you're
the
not
return,
sleeping
you
yet.
grab more strawberries
Watch,
and a
duty
sprig of
calls.
wild mint grug's
You
breath.
sit up,
could
spear
use the help.
close, and glance at the
You
entrance.
weave through the
stars
trees, the
faint
rabbit
beyond.
bouncing at your
The
hip.
cave's a haven.
Your steps
its
lighter
walls
now.
strong
Caves
from your
close.
repairs. The
You
fire
picture the
alive
kids'
from your
grins
care.
when they see the hall.
You think of the kids,
You'll skin
their
the
small
rabbit
hands
later.
learning,
Maybe
and the
save the
elders
pelt for a
trusting your
kid's
work.
cloak.
The day's
now,
been long,
you're
hunting,
content.
teaching,
The
painting,
forests
mending.
hum fading
But
as you
each
near
task
home.
builds this
Ready to
moment,
share the morning's
this
small
quiet
victory.
safety.
You're back
you
in
check
the
your
forest,
knife, its edge
the
true,
rabbit from your
and
earlier
lean
hunt
back
still
the stone,
dangling from your
cool
belt,
against your spine.
but now your focus
The
shifts to
night's
gathering
deep,
nature's
the forest
pantry.
humming outside.
The sun's higher,
But you're content.
burning off the morning
the clan's
mist,
future
and
warm
the
in the
air's thick with
furs.
the scent of
You've
pine
laid ready
and
for the
damp
watch
earth.
ahead. You stand
Your
stretching
basket swings
and
at your
take
side,
a final
half filled
walk
with those
through the
tart
cave,
strawberries.
checking each bed.
But you need
The
more
kids
roots,
are snug,
nuts,
the elders
anything
comfortable,
to stretch the
and
clan's
the fire's
meals.
steady. Its
The
glow,
forest is
a
generous,
promise of morning.
but it's also a maze of risks.
You think of the stories you told the
Thorns,
rituals,
snakes,
stars, and the
or
hunt
worse,
that started it
a
all.
rival clan eyeing
Your
the same
spear's
bounty.
ready, your knife
You
sharp,
step lightly,
and the
eyes
cave's
darting,
a
every
fortress,
sense tuned to the
holding
wild's
the clan
rhythm.
tight.
You weave
You
through
settle
towering
by the
ferns,
entrance, the
their
wolf
fronds
pelt
brushing your
beneath
shoulders
you,
like nosy
and let the
neighbors.
fires hum.
The
anchor
ground's a
you.
carpet of moss and
The
fallen
night's
leaves,
chill kept
cushioning
at bay.
your steps.
The clan's safe
Mainstream
in your hands.
archaeology
You're perched at the
confirms
cave's
that early
entrance.
humans,
The wolf
especially
pelt
during the
beneath you.
Paleolithic,
Soft but
relied
cool.
heavily on
The
foraging.
fire's faint glow flickering
With plant
behind.
foods making up a huge
clan's
chunk of their
asleep.
diets,
Their snores
sometimes
a steady
more
hum
than meat,
against the crackle of
you
coals
spot a
you've
patch
kept
of
alive.
wild leeks, their green
Your
tips
spear's
poking
propped
through the
beside
soil.
you.
Kneeling,
its
you
flint
dig
tip
with a
sharp
sharpened
from
stick,
repairs, and
unearthing
your
their
knife
bulbous
hangs at your
roots.
neck, ever ready.
The smell's sharp,
The night's deep
almost
stars
eye-watering,
sharp in the sky,
but you know they'll
and the
add
forest
flavor to
hums
tonight's
with
meal.
distant
Here's
rustles.
a quirky tidbit.
Owls, maybe.
Some
or something
evidence
hungrier.
suggests Neanderthals
It's
might
your
have
turn
used
for
certain
night
plants,
watch, guarding the cave
like
from
chamomile, for
nocturnal
more than
dangers.
just food,
A duty as old
possibly
as
as
the
a
clan
crude
itself.
tea to calm nerves
You
or
settle
aid
in,
sleep.
eyes scanning the dark.
Picture you prehistoric
every sense
forager
tuned to the
extraordinaire,
wild. The air's
steeping
crisp,
leaves in hot
carrying
water
the
like
scent
a
of
Stone
pine
Age
and
barista.
damp earth, with a
You
faint
chuckle,
whiff of sage
imagining
from last
Grug
night's
sipping
ritual
herbal tea
lingering on your skin.
and claiming it makes him
You
zen.
grip your spear,
Yeah, right,
its
Grug's
weight,
about as zen as a
grounding,
startled boar.
and listen for
Tuck
anything
a
out
few
of
chamomile
place.
sprigs into your
A
basket,
snap,
just
a
in case
growl,
the elders want to
a
experiment
shadow
later.
moving wrong.
You move deeper into the
Mainstream
forest,
archaeology shows
spotting
that
a cluster
early
of
humans,
hazelnuts
like those in
nestled
the
under
Upper
a shrub.
Paleolithic,
You
often
crack
took
one open
turns
with a
keeping
rock,
watch,
the nutty
protecting
scent
their
making your
groups
mouth
from
water.
predators, like
Into the
wolves
basket they go,
or bears
but
drawn
not before
to
you munch a
firelight
few,
or food
savoring
scraps.
the crunch.
You glance at the
Foraging's
buck's
not
bones
just about
stacked
survival,
from
it's a
butchering
treasure
and
hunt.
know their scent
Every
could
find
lure
a small
trouble.
win.
Here's a quirky
Historians
tidbit.
still argue whether early
Some
humans
researchers
planned their
think
gathering routes or
Neanderthals might
wandered
have used
opportunistically.
smoldering herbs to repel
But you're
predators.
methodical,
Their smoke,
sticking to
a
spots
natural
the clans
deterrent.
raided before.
Picture
No
you
sense
tossing
reinventing the
chamomile
wheel.
sprigs into
Oh,
a small
the basket.
fire, like a caveman
A rustle
bouncer.
in the bushes stops
While
you
Grug
cold.
tries to help
You grip your
by
spear,
piling on
heart
wet
thumping.
leaves, creating a smoke
Could be a
cloud
deer,
that chokes you both.
could be trouble.
You
crouch,
smirk, muttering,
peering through the
"Good
foliage,
thing
but
you're
it's just a
asleep."
bird flitting away.
Grug, as you add a
You
dry
exhale,
stick to the
shaking
fire
your head,
pit outside,
getting jumpy.
its faint
Huh?
smoke
You mutter.
curling upward,
Half to
just just enough to mask
after
the
the
cave's
forest.
scent.
The wilds
snoring
taught you
inside,
paranoia
thankfully
as a
sparing you
survival
his
skill,
usual chaos.
but it doesn't mean you
adjust
enjoy
your
the
position,
adrenaline spikes.
the wolf pelt,
You straight,
cushioning the stone,
scanning for
and
more
scan the
goodies.
tree line.
Your basket growing heavier.
A rustle
with
makes
leaves,
your heart skip,
nuts,
but it's just a
and a
branch
handful of
swaying in
blackberries
the
you couldn't
breeze.
resist.
You relax
The
slightly,
blackberries
but
are
keep your
risk
spear
thorny
ready.
brambles
Its
guard
flint
them like
tip
nature's
glinting
barbed
in the
wire.
starlight.
You reach in, wincing.
Historians
as a thorn
still
nicks your
argue
finger.
whether night watch was a
Blood
formal
beads
role
and you suck it
or
clean,
just
grumbling
whoever
about
stayed
nature's
awake.
pay-to-play policy.
But in your clan, it's
Still,
shared.
the berries
And
are
tonight,
worth it.
It's yours.
Their sweetness a rare
You
treat.
think of the day's work.
Imagine the kids'
hunting the
faces stained
buck,
purple and
painting
grinning
the
when
deer,
you bring these back.
arranging furs. And
You
know
pick
this
carefully,
watch
filling
is
a
another
corner of the
thread
basket,
keeping the clan
leaving
safe
room
while
for
they
more.
dream. A faint
clan's
howl
picky
echoes
eaters looking
distant
at you.
but sharp.
Gruggle have
and
to
you
deal with
tense,
whatever you
peering
haul
into
home.
the dark.
Spot a gnarled root
Wolves
sticking
are
out of
bold
the
at
soil,
night,
wild parsnip.
and you've
maybe.
seen their tracks near
You
the
dig
river
the
where you
earth
hunted.
crumbling under your fingers.
You check the fire
and yank
pit,
it
adding
free.
another stick to
It's
keep
ugly,
the flames alive.
knobby,
They're light
but
a
edible
barrier
once roasted.
against the wild.
You toss it in.
You think of the
brushing
shelter you
dirt from your
patched its
hands.
sturdy entrance holding
The
firm.
forest's a
and the
grocery
fire
store
you
with no
tended, now
labels,
your
and you're
ally.
learning on the fly what's
The
safe.
cave's a fortress.
Last week,
but you're
someone
its
ate a
first
dodgy
line,
mushroom and spent
and
the
you
night
feel the
regretting
weight
it.
of every
You
sleeping
smirk,
breath behind
remembering
you.
Grug's
A
dramatic
kid stirs
groans
inside,
echoing through
whimpering,
the cave.
and you glance back, seeing
Lesson
their
learned,
small form shift
stick
under
to what
the
you
fur.
know.
You
A distant howl
remembering how you
freezes you.
tucked them in their reed mat,
Wolves,
clutched tight.
maybe? Or
You'd
just
rather
the
be
wind
telling
playing
stories
tricks?
or painting,
Tighten
but
your
this
grip on the
duty's just
spear,
as
scanning
vital.
the trees.
No watch, no
The
safety.
forest's beauty hides
no
its teeth
tomorrow.
predators, poison
You hum
plants,
softly the
or a
chant
slip
from the
into a hidden
ritual,
ravine.
keeping your voice
You
low
move
to
toward a
soothe the
clearing,
kid without waking
where
them.
sunlight pools
The
like liquid
forest's
gold.
alive. It sounds
There, you
a
find
chorus.
dandelion greens.
Crickets wind a
Their
distant
jagged
owl,
leaves a
and you
familiar
listen,
sight.
sorting harmless
You
from
pluck
threat.
a bunch,
You stand
knowing they're
stretching
bitter
and
but
pace
nutritious.
the clearing spear in
The
hand.
elders swear by them,
The stars
claiming
are
they
bright,
clean
the
the
hunter's
blood,
star.
whatever
you
that
pointed out
means.
during the ritual
You
still
pause by a
shining,
stream to
and
rinse
you
your
feel its
hands,
gaze
the water
steadying
icy
you.
against your skin.
You check the snare
A
from
fish
the
darts
hunt's
past,
planning,
too quick to
untouched
catch,
in the
but it
brush,
reminds you to
and
check the
reset it,
clan's fish traps
tightening
later.
the vines.
For now,
It's a
you
small
focus
task,
on plants.
but it
Spot a
connects
cluster
to the
of
morning
wild
strategy.
garlic.
The
Its
spear-throwing
pungent smell
practice the
unmistakable.
buck's kill.
You dig up a few
You think of
bulbs,
the
adding
mint
them to your
sprig
haul.
in your belt.
Dough,
Its scent
basket's
faint
getting
now,
heavy,
and the
tugging at your
berries that
shoulder,
fed
but
the
you're not
climb,
done.
all part of this
A good
life.
forager knows
A
when
shadow
to push
moves
on
at the
and when to
forest's
head
edge,
back.
and you
The
freeze,
sun's nearing
spear
its
raised.
peak, warming
heart
your back
pounds,
as you work.
but it's just a
Find
deer,
a patch of clover,
its eyes glowing
leaves
briefly
tender
before
enough
it
to eat
bolts.
raw. You nibble
You
one.
exhale,
Its mild
chuckling at
flavor
your
a nice
nerves.
change from the leek's bite.
Not tonight,
You
buddy.
gather a handful,
You whisper,
thinking
lowering
of
the
the kids who will
spear.
munch them like candy.
You think of Grug, who'd
Foraging's
probably
slow
charged the
work,
shadow,
it's
shouting,
satisfying.
waking the whole cave.
Each find a
You
piece of the
smirk,
clan's survival
imagining
puzzle.
him guarding by
You're
snoring
not just
louder
gathering
than a
food.
bear.
You're gathering
The fire's
security,
smoke curls
a
around
buffer
you,
against the
and
lean
you fan
days.
it gently, keeping it
As you
subtle
head back
to
toward
avoid
the
drawing
cave,
attention.
You take a
You settle
detour
back
past
on
a
the
fruit-heavy
pelt, the stone
elderberry
cold,
bush.
but
The
bearable,
dark berries tempt
and
you,
check your knife,
but you
its
hesitate
edge
too
still
many
true
raw,
from crafting.
and you'll be sprinting for the
The night's
bushes.
long, and your eyes
You
are
pick a
heavy
few,
from the day.
planning to dry
Hunting,
them for
teaching,
later.
painting, mending.
The forests taught
But you stay
patience,
sharp, the
a
clan's
lesson you're
safety
still
in your
learning.
hands.
You
think
glance
of
at the
kids
sky,
learning to
judging the
track,
time.
to weave,
Clan
to
will
paint,
be waiting,
and
hungry
know
for your
this
haul,
watch is
and the
for
rabbit
them,
from earlier.
for their dreams of tomorrow.
You adjust the basket, feeling
The
its
fire
weight,
pit's
and start
steady,
the trek
its
home.
smoke, a
The
thin
forest's
shield,
hum
and you
fading
feel
behind
a quiet pride, not
you. You're back
loud,
at the cave now,
but
the
deep,
forest's bounty
anchoring you
tucked
to this
safely in your
duty.
basket.
A low growl
The
sounds
rabbit's still
closer
swinging
now,
from your belt.
and you stand spear
The
gripped
sun's
tight.
climbing, casting
You
long
squint,
shadows
spotting
across
a pair
the
of
rocky
eyes glinting
clearing,
beyond the clearing.
and the clan's
a wolf,
buzzing with
maybe
morning
two.
tasks.
You step
next
toward
job
the
is
fire,
to craft
tossing in a
tools
handful
sharp,
of dry
reliable
sage,
ones to
the
keep the
smoke
clan
flaring
fed,
thick and
clothed,
sharp.
and safe.
The eyes vanish,
You settle
the
on a
growl
flat
fading,
stone near
and you
the
relax,
cave's mouth,
but only
the
slightly.
air sharp with the scent of
You
smoke
think of the
and
cave
earth.
art, the wolf you painted.
Your hands are
and
already
feel a
itching
strange
to work,
respect for
to
the
turn
wild.
raw flint
Its
into
dangers
something deadly.
as much a part of you as
This
the
isn't
clan.
just busy work.
You keep watch,
In this
the
world,
spear
a dull
steady the
blade
night
means
alive,
an empty stomach,
but held at bay.
or worse.
The hours creep
You
the
grab a
stars
chunk
shifting,
of flint from a
and
pile while the
pace
clan
again,
scavenged.
keeping warm.
Its
You
glassy
think of the
surface
stories
cool
you
against
told
your
the
palm.
bucks triumph,
The stone's
and the
heavy,
furs you laid,
full of
keeping
potential,
the clan cozy.
but its stubborn one
Every
wrong
task,
strike, and
hunting,
it'll shatter
cooking,
into useless
chanting
shards.
leads here to this quiet vigil.
Mainstream archaeology
You check the
shows that
entrance.
early
It's
humans,
logs
like those in
firm
the Upper
from your repairs.
Paleolithic,
and feel the
Mastered
cave's
flint
strength,
napping,
a
creating
haven you've helped
razor-sharp
build.
blades for hunting and cutting.
The kids sleep.
You
The
select a
elders rest,
hammerstone, a
and you're
smooth
their
river
shield.
rock that fits your grip,
The fires glow.
and start tapping,
your partner
testing
in the
the
dark.
flint's weak
You
points.
sit the wolf pelt soft
Flakes chip
and
off,
let the fires hum
glinting
anchor
in the
you.
sunlight like
Your
tiny
spear's ready,
obsidian tears.
your knife sharp,
Here's
and
a
the
quirky
clan
tidbit.
safe. Their future
Some
in your
archaeologists
watch.
found evidence
You
that
think of the
Neanderthals
ritual
might via
stars,
use birch
the
tar as
hunt's
glue to
thrill,
fix stone
and the
tips to
art
wooden
that holds
spears.
it all.
Prehistoric
The night's
superglue
deep,
cooked
the
from tree
forest's
bark.
pulse
Imagine
steady,
you, hunched
and you're
over a
content.
smoky fire,
The clan's heartbeat
stirring a
in
gooey
every
mess like a
breath.
caveman
The
chemist,
dawn, a promise
hoping it'll
you'll
hold your
guard
spear together.
until it breaks.
You
You're
smirk,
still at the
picturing
cave's
Grug
entrance,
trying to
the night
improve the
watch,
recipe and
stretching
ending up
along,
with tar
the
in his
wolf
beard.
pelt beneath you,
Sticky
a thin
situation,
buffer against
a
the
Grug,
cold stone.
you mutter,
The fire
chuckling
pit
as you
outside
strike the
flickers,
flint again,
its smoke
sending another
curling
flake
from the
flying.
sage you tossed.
The
to
rhythm
ward
of
off
napping
wolves.
pulls you
Their growls
in tap,
now,
crack,
a fading memory.
pause, assess.
Inside the
Now
clan
sculpting,
sleeps their
not just
snores,
chipping,
soft
aiming
against
for
the
a blade
coals
thin enough
crackle
to
you've
slice
kept alive.
hide, but
Your
sturdy
spear's
enough to
gripped
scrape
tight,
bone.
its flint tip
Historians
sharp from
still argue
repairs,
whether
and your
toolmaking was a
knife hangs at your
specialized
neck,
skill,
a steady weight.
passed
The
down like a
stars
trade or
burn
something
bright,
every
and
clan
the
member
forest
learned.
hums with
You're no
nocturnal
master,
life,
but you've got the
but
basics.
your mind's on the next
Learn
task,
through trial
planning a
and
seasonal
plenty of error.
migration to follow the herds.
Like that time you
and
thought a
escape
bigger
the coming
hammerstone meant
cold.
faster work spoiler.
You settle back,
It meant a
sketching
smashed
ideas in
thumb
the dirt.
and a week of
With a
grumbling.
stick, the cave's
A kid
safety
toddles over,
anchoring you.
wide-eyed, watching
The
your
air's
hands.
crisp, heavy with
You slow
pine,
down,
and the faint
showing them
mint
how to
from your
angle
belt,
the strike.
a remnant of the morning's forage.
See, it's
Migration's
soft.
a big move.
Let the stone
not
do
just
the work,
packing up,
you say,
but betting the
voice
clan's
low,
survival
like
on
you're
new
sharing
lands.
a secret.
Mainstream
The kid
archaeology
nods,
shows that
mimicking
early
you with a
humans, like
pebble,
those in the Upper
and you grin.
Paleolithic, migrated
Teaching's part of
seasonally
survival.
to
Your
track
clan's
game,
only as strong
or
as its
find
next
milder
generation.
climates,
You
moving
nudge the kid
camps
back
with
to
the
their
rhythms
mom,
of nature.
refocusing on the
You
flint.
trace a rough map in
blade's
the
taking
dirt,
shape,
marking the
its
river
edge
from the
wickedly
buck's
sharp.
hunt and the valley
You
where
test
deer
it on
herds
your arm
roam.
hair, shaving
South,
a patch
maybe
clean,
you
not
murmur,
bad.
picturing
Caves
warmer
alive
hills
around you,
where
so
the
one's
clan
pounding
could
roots.
winter. Here's
and
a
others
quirky
hauling
tidbit.
wood.
Some
You glance at
researchers
your
think
basket,
Neanderthals
the
might
leeks
have
and
used
berries
star
from
patterns to
earlier
navigate
peeking out.
migrations,
A reminder
reading
of
the
the
night
morning's
sky like a
Tools
prehistoric
like this blade will help
GPS.
process that food.
Picture you
turning
squinting
tough
at the
roots
hunter's
into
star
something
from your
chewable.
ritual,
You
trying to
set the
look
finished
wise,
knife aside
while Grug
and grab
claims
another
he can read
flint,
the stars,
this
but
time aiming
points at
for a
random
scraper to
cloud,
clean
confusing
hides.
everyone.
The process
smirk,
is slower,
muttering,
more precise.
"Keep dreaming."
Each strike a
Grug
gamble.
grateful he's snoring inside.
A bad one sends
not
a crack
muddling your
spidering
plans.
through the stone.
You
and
mark a
groan.
star's position on your dirt
Come
map,
on, don't betray
a
me
guide
now,
for the
you
journey, and
whisper,
feel the
half
night's
joking.
vastness urging you to get
The
this
sun's
right.
heat prickles
You
your back,
sketch the route,
and you wipe
factoring
sweat
in
from
water
your brow,
sources and known
smearing
trails
dirt
from
across your
past
face.
hunts. The clan's
You don't
small,
care you're a walking
maybe
canvas
20
of grime
strong
out
and
here.
moving, means
A
everyone
bird
carries
screeches
something
nearby, and
first
you
from your
pause,
bedding tools.
scanning the
You
tree
mended the
line.
hide you stitched.
No threats.
Historians
just the
still argue
forest's
whether
usual
migrations
chatter.
were planned months
Still,
ahead
you
or
keep your
decided
spear
on the
close,
fly.
its
But
tip
you're
glinting
leaning
beside
cautious,
you.
mapping
Tools
rest
aren't just for
stops and
work.
hunting grounds.
They're your
You
defense
think of
against
the
a
buck's
world that
meat
doesn't
now
play
gone,
fair.
and the berries
You remember that
fueled
fox from the
knowing
hunt,
the new
sleek
land
and cunning,
must offer
a
both.
good scraper
You draw
could turn
a
its
curve
pelt
for the
into a
river's
kid's
bend,
cloak.
a good spot
You
to
switch to a
camp.
smaller
A kid's
hammerstone,
cough from the cave
aiming for
pulls you
finer
back,
flakes.
and you glance
The
inside
scraper's
their
edge
small form,
curves,
curled
perfect
under
for
a
stripping
fur you
fat
laid.
from hides.
You soften, remembering
test it on a
teaching
scrap
them
of
to
deer
paint the
skin,
deer,
the
and
blade
know this
gliding
migration's
smooth,
for them,
leaving a
for
clean
a future
surface.
with full bellies.
Satisfaction hums
You
through
add a
use.
mark for a cave
This
you've heard
tool's
of
a
south,
keeper.
where the hills
Add it to your
rise its
pile,
entrance wide
already
like
picturing
this
the
one you
clan's
patched.
gratitude
The
when they're not
fire's
wrestling
smoke
with
curls
dull
around
blades.
you,
You're not
and
just
you fan
making
it
tools,
gently,
you're
keeping
making
it
life
low
easier,
to avoid
one chip at a
signaling
time.
predators.
Shadow falls over
The
you,
night's
Grug,
quiet again,
looming with
but
his
your
usual
alert,
mix
spear
of
ready to
curiosity
clan
and
safety
bad
your
ideas.
foundation. You stand
Make me a bigger
stretching
knife,
and pace
he
the
says,
clearing,
flexing like it'll
stick in
impress press the
hand,
flint.
refining the map.
You roll your eyes.
The stars
tossing
shift,
him a pebble.
and you check the hunter's
Bigger,
star, its position,
ego first.
a guide for the
maybe.
clan's path.
He laughs, but
You think
you're
of the
only
ritual
half kidding.
sage, its
You
smoke
hand him a
tying
flint to
you
try,
to the wild,
knowing he'll
and the
botch
tools
it.
you crafted ready to carry.
Sure enough, his first strike splits
Migration's
the
a gamble.
stone clean
New
in
lands,
half.
new
You
dangers.
snort.
But
Nice
staying
one, Grug.
means lean times
That's a
when the
great
deer
doorstop.
move on.
He grumbles,
You
but
crouch,
sticks around,
adding a
watching
mark
you
for a
work.
forest. You've
The
scattered
pile
rich
grows
with
to
nuts,
knives, a scraper,
like those you
and a
foraged,
half-finished point for
and
a
feel
spear.
the plan take shape,
Your hands ache,
steady as the fire.
knuckles scrape from
Grug
stray
snores
flakes,
hitch, and
but
you
it's a good
freeze,
ache,
half expecting
the
him to
kind
stumble
earned.
out,
You
suggesting
stretch,
a shortcut through a
feeling the
swamp.
kinks in your shoulders.
He settles,
The
and you
clan's
chuckle,
tools are your legacy.
imagining him leading
Proof
the
you're
clan
pulling
into
your
a
weight.
bog, flailing
You
in
glance
mud.
at the kids playing
You'd get
nearby,
us eaten,
one
you
pretending
mutter,
to nap with
sketching
a
a
stick.
safer path around
Maybe
the
they'll be
hills.
better than you someday.
You think of the spear throwing
now,
practice,
you're the
how
one
it
keeping
honed
the
your
blades
aim,
sharp.
and know the clan's
You wrap up
hunters
as the
must
sun
be
nears
sharp
its peak,
for the
the
journey.
clearing now bathed
You
in
mark a
golden
spot for
light.
practice along the route,
You gather your
ensuring
tools,
the kids
tucking
learn
them into
too.
a leather pouch,
Their small
careful
hands
not to nick
eager,
yourself.
like when you taught
The
them
flint's
to weave.
edges are
You
traitors
sit
if you
the
get
wolf
careless.
pelt soft,
You stand,
and add
brushing
details,
dust from your knees,
where to set snares,
and head toward the
like
cave
the one
to stash
from
your
the hunt,
haul.
where
The
to
clan's
gather
waiting,
herbs,
their
like the
tasks
mint
piling
in your
up,
belt.
hides to scrape,
The clan's
food to prep.
survival hinges on
Your
these
tools
choices,
will make their work
and you
smoother.
feel their trust,
Maybe
heavy,
earn you an extra
but
berry
grounding.
or two tonight.
You think of the
You
cave
pause at
art,
the cave's
deer
mouth,
you painted a story
glancing
to
back
carry
at
to
your
the
work
new
spot.
camp.
The
The fire
ground's
pit's
littered
low,
with flint
its
flakes,
smoke faint,
a glittering
and you add
record
a
of your
stick,
morning.
its
You feel a
crackle
quiet pride,
companion.
not the loud
The
kind
night's
Grug
deep,
chases,
but you're mapping a future,
but the
each
kind
line
that
in the
settles
dirt a
deep.
step towards
You're
safety.
not just surviving,
A
you're
rustle in the
building one
brush
tool at
makes
a
you
time.
pause,
life for
spear-raised
this clan.
eyes scanning.
The forest
It's
hums
just a hare
beyond,
darting past,
calling you
and
to
you
the
relax,
next task.
lowering the weapon.
But for now,
You think of
you're
the
content,
rabbit you caught at
ready
dawn,
to hand over
its
your blades
small
and see what the
victory
day's got
fueling the
next.
clan, and know
You're back
the
at the cave
migration
now,
must
the
bring
forest's
more.
bounty tucked safely
You add
in
a
your
mark
basket.
for a stream where
The
fish
rabbit's
traps
still
could
swinging
work
from
like
your
the
belt.
ones you checked during
The
foraging.
sun's climbing,
The
casting
plan's
long
growing a
shadows
web of
across the
roots
rocky
and
clearing,
resources,
and
and
the
you feel a
clan's buzzing
quiet
with
pride,
morning
not
tasks.
loud, like Grug's
Your next job is to
boasts,
craft tools
but
sharp,
steady, tying
reliable
you to the
ones
clan.
to keep the clan
You
fed,
kneel, refining the
clothed,
map,
and safe.
and think of the stories
You settle
told
on
by
a
the
flat
fire.
stone near the
The
cave's
buck's
mouth,
triumph, a
the
lesson
air
for the
sharp
kids.
with the scent of smoke
Migration's
and earth.
another story.
Your
One
hands
you'll
are
tell
already
in the new
itching
cave
to work,
under new
to
stars.
turn raw flint
You
into
glance
something
at the
deadly.
entrance, strong from your
This
repairs,
isn't just busy work.
and know you'll build another
In
shelter.
this world, a dull
another
blade
home.
means an empty
The
stomach,
fire's coals
or worse.
pulse, and you add another
You grab a
stick,
chunk of flint
keeping it
from a
alive.
pile the clan
The
scavenged.
clan's asleep,
Its glassy
their
surface
dreams
cool
safe
against
in
your
your
palm.
hands, and
The
you're
stone's
weaving
heavy,
their future
full of
one
potential,
dirt-etched line
but
at a
its
time.
stubborn one
You
wrong
stand
strike,
stretching,
and it'll
take a
shatter
final
into
look at the
useless
map,
shards.
its lines clear in the firelight.
Mainstream archaeology
Your spear's
shows
ready,
that early
your
humans,
knife sharp,
like those
and
in the Upper
clan's
Paleolithic,
strong, their furs warm
mastered
from your work.
flint napping,
The
creating
night's
razor-sharp
vast,
blades
the
for
forest
hunting
alive,
and cutting.
but you're content.
You select
The
a
stars,
hammerstone,
your
a
guide,
smooth river
the
rock
fire's
that fits
hum,
your grip,
your anchor.
and start tapping,
You think of the kids,
testing the flint's
their
weak
small
points.
hands learning, and
Flakes
the
chip
elders
off,
trusting your plan.
glinting in the sunlight
The migration's
like tiny
coming,
obsidian tears.
But for now, you're
Here's a
here,
quirky
guarding
tidbit.
the cave. The
Some
clan's
archaeologists
heartbeat
found
in every
evidence that
breath, the
Neanderthals
dawn,
might
a
via use
promise
birch
you'll
tar
carry
as glue
forward.
to fix stone
You're still
tips
at the
to wooden
cave's
spears.
entrance, the night
Prehistoric
watch,
superglue
stretching
cooked
into
from
the
tree
small
bark.
hours.
Imagine
the wolf
you,
pelt
hunched
beneath
over
you,
a smoky
damp
fire,
from the chilly
stirring
air.
a gooey mess like a
The
caveman
fire
chemist,
pit's embers
hoping
glow
it'll hold your
faintly,
spear together.
their smoke
You
curling
smirk,
from the
picturing
sage
Grug
you added
trying to
keep
improve the
predators at
recipe
bay.
and ending up with tar in his
Inside
beard.
the clan sleeps
Sticky
their snores,
situation.
a soft
Grug?
rhythm against the
You mutter,
forest's distant
chuckling
hum.
as you strike the flint
Crickets,
again,
owls, a faint
sending
rustle
another
of leaves.
flakes flying.
Your spear's gripped
rhythm
tight,
of napping
its flint
pulls
tip
you
sharp from repairs,
In tap,
and your
crack,
knife hangs
pause,
at your neck, a steady
assess,
companion.
while sculpting,
The
not
dirt
just
map
chipping,
from your migration
aiming for a
planning
blade
lies
thin
nearby,
enough to
its
slice
lines
hide,
etched under
but
starlight.
sturdy enough to scrape bone.
Now, with dawn hours
Historians
away,
still
you
argue
turn
whether
to trading
toolmaking was
with
a
neighboring
specialized
clan,
skill,
bartering tools
passed
for
down
goods,
like a trade
to
or
strengthen
something
your
every
group
clan
for the
member
journey
learned.
ahead.
You're no master,
You gather
but
a
you've
few
got the
flint
basics.
blades and head toward
Learn
a
through
meeting
trial
spot by the river.
and plenty of
The
error.
path's dark,
Like
lit
that
only
time
by
you
the
thought a bigger
stars,
hammerstone
and a
meant
small
faster work
torch.
spoiler.
You've kindled its
It
flame,
meant a smashed
flickering
thumb
against the
in a week of
trees.
grumbling.
The air's
A
thick
kid
with
toddles
pine,
over,
and
wide-eyed,
the
watching
faint
your
mint
hands.
from your belt.
You
A
slow down,
reminder of the morning's
showing them how
forage.
to angle the strike.
Mainstream archaeology
See,
shows that
play it
early
soft.
humans, like those in the
Let
Upper
the stone do the
Paleolithic,
work.
traded
You
goods,
say,
flint
voice
shells,
low.
hides
like you're
over
sharing
long
a secret.
distances, building
The
alliances
kid
that
nods,
boosted survival.
mimicking you with a pebble.
You clutch
and
3
grin.
sharp knives from your napping,
Teaching's part of
their
survival.
edges
Your clan's
honed for
only as
cutting
strong
or
as its
scraping.
next generation.
Perfect
Nudge the
for
kid back to their
bartering.
mom.
The neighboring
refocusing on
clans
the flint.
known for their woven
The blade's taking
baskets
shape,
stronger than
its
yours,
edge wickedly
and you're
sharp.
hoping for a trade to ease the
Test it
migration.
on your arm hair.
Here's a quirky
Shaving
tidbit.
a patch clean, not bad.
Some researchers
Caves
think
alive around you,
Neanderthals might have
someone's
traded
pounding
ochre
roots.
for ceremonial
And others
uses,
hauling wood.
valuing its bright
You
color
glance at your
like
basket.
prehistoric
The leeks
currency.
and berries from earlier
Picture you
peeking out.
offering a chunk of
A
red
reminder
ochre
of the
like a
morning's haul.
caveman art dealer.
Tools like this
while
blade will
Grug
help
tries
process
to
that
barter
food,
his
turning
lopsided
tough
spear,
roots into
claiming
something
it's one of a
chewable.
kind, only
You
to
set
be
the
laughed
finished
off.
knife aside
You
and
smirk,
grab another
muttering,
flint.
"Stay asleep."
This time aiming for a
Grug,
scraper to
glad
clean
he's snoring
hides.
back in the cave,
The process
not
is
botching
slower,
this deal.
more precise.
You adjust the
Each
knives
strike
in
a
your
gamble.
pouch, their weight
A
reassuring,
bad one sends a
and
crack
reach the
spidering
river
through the
bank
stone,
where a faint
and you
fire
groan.
glows,
Come
signaling
on, don't
the other
betray me now,
clan's
you
presence.
whisper,
You
half-joking.
approach cautiously, spear
The sun's
raised
heat prickles
torch,
your back,
casting
and you
jittery
wipe sweat
shadows.
from your brow,
A figure
smearing
steps
dirt
forward,
across your
a
face.
wiry hunter. Their
You don't
face
care
painted
you're a
with
walking
ochre,
canvas
like
of
the
grime
kind you
out
used
here.
for cave art.
A bird
You
screeches
nod,
nearby,
lowering
and you
your spear,
pause,
and
scanning
hold up
the
a
tree
flint
line.
knife, its edge catching the
No
firelight.
threats, just
For
the forest's
baskets,
usual
you say
chatter.
voice low but
Still,
clear.
you keep your spear
Mainstream
close,
archaeology
its tip
suggests
glinting
these
beside
exchanges
you.
were as much
Tools
about
aren't
trust
just for work.
as goods,
They're your
forging
defense
bonds to
against a
avoid
world
conflict.
that doesn't play fair.
The hunter inspects the
You
knife,
remember that
testing it on a
fox from the
reed,
hunt,
and nods,
sleek and cunning.
offering a tightly
A
woven
good scraper
basket.
could turn its
reed
pelt into a
smoother
kid's
than your
cloak.
client's.
You switch to
smile,
a smaller
feeling the deal's
hammerstone,
promise.
aiming
The
for
trade's
finer
small,
flakes.
but vital.
The scraper's
2
edge
knives for
curves,
2 baskets,
perfect for stripping
plus a
fat
small
from
pouch
hides.
of dried herbs. They
You
claim
test it on a
soothe
scrap of
aches.
deer skin,
You sniff
the blade
herbs,
gliding
their
smooth,
scent sharp,
leaving a clean
and
surface.
think of the chamomile from your foraging,
Satisfaction hums
wondering
through
if they're
use.
similar.
This tool's a keeper.
Historians still
You
argue
add it
whether
to your
early
pile,
human trade
already
was purely
picturing the clan's
practical
gratitude
or carried
when they're
social
not
weight
wrestling
like
with dull
diplomacy.
blades.
But
You're not
you
just
feel
making
both tools for
you're
the
making life
migration
easier,
trust
one
for the
chip
future.
At a time. Shadow
You
falls
think of the
over you,
buck's
Grug,
hide now at
looming
Tunic,
with his
and
usual
the
mix of
spears you
curiosity
mended
and
all
bad
strengthening
ideas.
the clan.
Make
This
me a
trade's
bigger
another
knife,
step easing
he
the journey
says,
south.
flexing like it'll
You sit
impress
by
the
their
flint.
fire sharing a strip
roll
of
your
dried
eyes,
venison from
tossing
the
him a
buck's
pebble.
hunt, a gesture
Bigger,
of goodwill.
ego first.
The hunter
Maybe.
offers a sip of
He
water
laughs, but
infused with
you're
berries,
only half kidding.
tart like the ones
You hand him a
gather,
flint to try,
and you talk
knowing
voices
he'll botch it.
low under the stars.
Sure enough, his first
They
strike
speak of
splits
their
the
own
stone
hunts,
clean in
a
half.
boar they took down,
You snort.
and you
Nice
share
one,
the
Grug.
deer story,
That's a
mimicking
great
the
doorstop,
spear's arc
he grumbles,
to make them
but sticks
laugh.
around, watching
You
you
think
work.
of the cave's painted
The
deer,
pile grows
the
to
ritual
knives, a
sage,
scraper,
and how
and a
these
half-finished
moments,
point for a spear.
storytelling, trading,
Your
tie
hands
clans
ache,
together,
knuckles scrape
like
from
the
stray
furs you
flakes,
laid for sleep.
but it's a good
A
ache.
rustle in the brush
kind
makes you both
you
pause,
stretch,
hands on
feeling the
spears,
kinks in your shoulders.
but it's just a fox.
The
Its
clan's
eyes
tools are your
glisten before
legacy,
it darts away.
proof you're pulling
You
your weight.
relax, chuckling.
You glance
and
at
the
the
hunter
kids playing
grins,
nearby,
offering a
one
third
pretending
basket
to
for your
nap
last
with a
knife.
stick.
You hesitate.
Maybe they'll be better than you
3
someday.
knives are a lot.
For
But
now,
the baskets
you're
are
the one
sturdy,
keeping the
perfect
blades
for
sharp.
carrying the kids'
You wrap
mats
up as the
or
sun
the
nears
elders'
its
herbs.
peak, the
You
clearing now
agree,
bathed
sealing
in
the trade
golden
with a
light.
nod, and feel a
You
quiet
gather your
pride,
tools,
not loud,
tucking them into a
like
leather
Grug's
pouch,
boasts,
careful not
but
to nick
steady,
yourself.
knowing these
The
baskets
flint's edges are traitors
will
if
lighten
you
the
get
migration's
careless.
load.
You
You stand
brushing
stretching
dust from your
and
knees,
check the torch,
and
its
head toward the
flame low,
cave to stash
but
your
holding.
haul. The clan's
The hunter
waiting,
mentions a
their
cave
casks
south
piling
near your
up,
planned
hides to
route,
scrape,
and you
food
nod,
to prep.
thinking of the dirt
Your
map
tools
you
will make their
scratched.
work smoother.
Good shelter,
Maybe earn you an
ask,
extra berry or
and they
two tonight.
confirm, describing
You
its
pause at the
wide
cave's mouth,
like the one
glancing
you
back
patched.
at your work spot.
You think of the kids
ground's
learning
littered
to
with
track,
flint flakes,
and the tools you
a
crafted
glittering
now
record of
traded
your
for
morning.
goods that'll
You feel
help
a
them.
quiet pride,
The trade's
not
done,
the loud kind
and you
Grug
clasp
chases,
4 arms,
but the
a
kind
silent
that settles
promise
deep.
of peace.
You're not just
The
surviving, you're
fires
building
glow,
one tool at a
binding
time.
you like
A
the
life
clans.
for this clan.
You head back pack.
The forest
Torch,
hums
guiding your
beyond,
steps.
calling you to the
Basket
next
slung
task.
over your shoulder.
But for
their
now,
weight lighter than
you're
the
content,
buck, but
ready to
just as
hand over
vital.
your blades and see what the day's
forest's
got
alive.
next.
It sounds a chorus.
You're back in the
and
forest,
you move quietly.
the rabbit from your earlier
Spear
hunt
ready to
still
night's
dangling
dangers
from your
ever
belt.
present.
But now your
You think of
focus
the
shifts to
ritual
gathering
stars,
nature's
the
pantry.
hunter's star guiding
The sun's
your map,
higher,
and
burning
feel
off the
grounded
morning
to trade
mist,
a bridge to
and
the
the air's
future.
thick with the scent of
The
pine
cave's
and
in
damp
sight,
earth.
its fire faint
Your
but
basket
steady.
swings at your
And you
side,
think of
half
the
filled with those
stories you'll
tart
tell the
strawberries.
baskets, a new
But you
chapter
need more
in the
roots,
clan's
nuts, anything to
tale. You
stretch
reach
the
the
clan's
entrance,
meals.
setting the baskets
The
by
forest
the
is
furs,
generous,
and check
but
the
it's also
fire
a
pit,
maze of
adding
risks.
a stick to keep it alive.
Thorns, snakes,
The clan's
or
asleep,
worse,
their faces
a
soft
rival
in the glow.
clan eyeing
And you
the
think
same
of the
bounty.
day, hunting, painting,
You step
chanting,
lightly,
guarding.
eyes darting, every
This
sense
trade's
tuned
another
to the wild's
thread,
rhythm.
weaving trust
You weave through
with
towering
neighbor
ferns,
strength for the journey.
their fronds brushing your
You
shoulders
settle on the
like
wolf
nosy
pelt
neighbors.
spear, close,
The ground's a
and
carpet of
glance at the
moss and
painted
fallen
deer,
leaves,
its ochre
cushioning your
lines,
steps.
a reminder of your work.
Mainstream archaeology
The night's
confirms
deep,
that
but you're
early
content.
humans,
The clan's
especially
future
during the
brighter with
Paleolithic,
each basket
relied
the dawn
heavily
a
on
promise you'll
foraging.
carry forward.
with plant
You're back in
foods
the
making up
cave,
a huge
the
chunk of their
baskets from the
diets,
trade neatly
sometimes
stacked
more
by
than
the
meat.
entrance.
You
Their
spot a patch
woven
of wild
reeds
leeks, their
glinting in the
green tips
fire's
poking
faint
through the
glow.
soil. Kneeling,
The
you
clan's
dig with a
asleep,
sharpened
their
stick,
snores,
unearthing
a
their
soft
bulbous
rhythm
roots.
against the coals
The
crackle,
smell's sharp,
a sound
almost
you've
eye-watering,
nurtured since your night
but
watch.
you know they'll add flavor
Your
to
spear
tonight's
rests
meal.
nearby,
Here's a
its
quirky
flint
tidbit.
tip sharp from repairs.
Some evidence suggests
and the knife hangs at
Neanderthals
your
might have
neck, a
used certain
constant
plants,
anchor. The
like
painted deer
chamomile,
on the
for more
wall
than just
watches
food,
over its ochre lines,
possibly
tying
as
you
a
to the
crude
stories you
tea to
told.
calm nerves or aid sleep.
Now with dawn still
Picture
hours
you,
away,
prehistoric
you turn
forager
to healing
extraordinaire,
using herbs from
steeping
your forage
leaves in hot
to
water
treat a
like a
hunter's
Stone Age
wound
barista.
from the buck's hunt.
You chuckle,
You
imagining
grab
Grug
a
sipping
handful of
herbal tea,
chamomile and yarrow
claiming it
from
makes
the
him
traded
zen.
pouch,
Yeah, right, Grug's
settling
about
by
as
the
zen
fire
as a
to
startled
work.
boar.
The
Tuck
hunter's
a few
asleep,
chamomile
their
sprigs into your
leg
basket,
bandaged with a strip
just
of
in case
hide,
the elders want to
but the
experiment
wound's
later.
red, swollen from
You
the
move
deer's
deeper into the
kick.
forest,
You
spotting
kneel
a cluster
beside
of
them,
hazelnuts
the
nestled
cave
under
stone,
a shrub.
cool
You
under
crack
your
one
knees,
open with a rock,
and unwrap
the nutty
the
scent
hide,
making your mouth
wincing
water.
at the bruised
Into
skin.
the basket they go,
Mainstream
but not before you munch a
archaeology
few,
shows that early
savoring the
humans like
crunch.
those in the Upper Paleolithic
Foraging's not just
used
about
plants
survival,
like
it's a
yarrow
treasure hunt.
for
Every
medicinal
find
purposes.
a small win.
Its leaves known
Historians
to
still
reduce
argue whether
bleeding
early
and
humans
swelling.
planned their gathering
You
routes or
crush the
wandered
yarrow between two
opportunistically.
stones.
But you're
Its
methodical,
sharp, bitter scent
sticking to
filling
spots
the
the
air,
clans raided
and mix
before.
it with chamomile.
No sense reinventing the
hoping
wheel.
its calming properties
the
learned
basket.
from your foraging ease
A
the
rustle
pain.
in the bushes
Here's
stops
a
you
quirky
cold.
tidbit.
You grip your
Some
spear.
researchers
heart
think
thumping.
Neanderthals might have chewed
Could be a
herbs
deer.
before applying
Could be
them,
trouble.
believing
Crouch,
saliva activated
peering
their
through the
healing
foliage,
powers,
but it's just a
like
bird
a
flitting
prehistoric
away.
pharmacy.
You exhale,
Picture
shaking
you
your
chomping
head,
yarrow like a
getting jumpy.
caveman
Huh?
medic,
You mutter.
while Grug tries to help
yourself,
by
half to
spitting
the
on the
forest.
wound, claiming it's
The
extra
wilds
strong.
taught you paranoia as
You
a
smirk,
survival skill,
muttering,
but it doesn't
"Stay
mean you
asleep."
enjoy the adrenaline
Grug,
spikes.
thankful he's snoring
straighten,
across the cave,
Scanning for
not
more
adding
goodies.
his chaos to
Your
this
basket
delicate
growing
task.
heavier with leeks.
You grind the herbs into a
nuts,
paste,
and
using a flat
handful of
rock as a
blackberries
mortar,
you couldn't resist.
and add a splash of water from
The
a basket.
blackberries
The
are
mix
a risk
thick and
thorny
green.
brambles
You
guard
clean
them
the
like
wound
nature's
with a
barbed
damp
wire.
leaf.
You reach
The hunter
in, wincing
stirring,
as the
but
thorn
not
nicks your
waking
finger.
their breath uneven.
Blood beads and you suck it
The
clean.
fire's low,
grumbling
its
about
coals
nature's
pulsing,
patient play policy.
and you add a stick. It's
Still,
light helping
the berries
you see
are
the
worth it.
injury's edges.
Their sweetness a rare treat.
Historians still
Imagine the
argue
kids'
whether
faces
early human
stained purple
healing
and
was
grinning
based
when
on
you bring these
trial and
back.
error or passed
You
down
pick
knowledge.
carefully, filling
But
a
you're
corner of the
following what an
basket,
elder taught you,
leaving room for more.
their words echoing.
The clan's picky eaters
Yarrow
looking
stops,
at you.
blood
Grug will have to
chamomile
deal with whatever
soothes.
you haul home.
You think of the
You spot
buck's
a gnarled
hunt,
root
how the
sticking out of
kick
the soil
caught the
while
hunter
parsnip
off guard,
baby.
and
You
know
dig
this
the earth
paste
crumbling
is as
under your
vital
fingers
as the
and
spears
make it
you
free.
mended keeping the clan
It's
strong.
ugly,
You apply
knobby,
the paste,
but
spreading
edible
it
once
gently with
roasted.
your fingers.
You toss
the
it
herb's
in,
coolness,
brushing dirt
a
from your
contrast to
hands.
the wound's heat.
The forest's a
You wrap
grocery
it with
store
a
with no
fresh strip
labels,
of
and you're
hide
learning
from
on
the
the
buck,
fly what's safe.
tying it with sinew from
Last
your
week,
stitching.
someone ate a dodgy
The
mushroom
hunter
and spent the
sighs,
night
their face
regretting
easing,
it.
and you feel a
smirk,
quiet relief,
remembering Grug's
the fire's
dramatic
warmth
groans
steadying
echoing
your
through
hands.
the cave.
You think of the The
Lesson
morning's
learned,
forage,
stick
the
to what you
chamomile
know.
sprigs you tucked
A distant
away,
howl
and the
freezes
trade
you.
that brought the yarrow each
Wolves,
task,
maybe?
weaving into
Or
this
just
moment.
the wind playing tricks.
The cave's a
Tighten
haven,
your grip
its
on the
walls
spear, scanning
strong
the
from your
trees.
repairs.
The
And you're its
forest's
healer
beauty hides
tonight.
its teeth
A
predators,
kid stirs,
poison
peeking from their
plants,
fur drawn
or a
by the
slip
herb's
into a
sharp
hidden
scent.
ravine.
You
You
beckon them
move
over,
toward a clearing,
whispering,
where sunlight
Watch, but
pools like
quiet.
liquid gold.
You show them how to crush
There,
the herbs,
you find
guiding
dandelion
their
greens.
small hand, their
Their
eyes
jagged
wide in the
leaves a
firelight.
familiar sight.
This helps
You
pain,
pluck a
you say,
bunch,
and
knowing
they
they're
nod,
bitter but
mimicking your
nutritious.
motions. They're a tiny
The
pile
elders
of
swear
paste,
by them,
lopsided
claiming
but
they
earnest.
clean the blood,
You smile,
whatever that means.
remembering teaching them to paint.
You pause by
or
a stream
weave,
to rinse your
and
hands,
know this lesson's
the water
just as
icy
crucial,
against your skin.
tying them to the
A
clan's
fish
survival.
darts past, too quick
You
to
think of
catch,
the ritual's
but it reminds
sage.
you to check the
It's
clan's
smoke,
fish
a
traps
prayer,
later.
and feel the
For
weight
now,
of care,
you
not
focus
heavy
on
but
plants.
grounding.
You spot a
You check the
cluster of
hunter's
wild
rack,
garlic.
ensuring it's
Its
snug
pungent
and
smell
clean your hands in the
unmistakable.
water.
You dig
Basket
up a
the
few
cold,
bulbs, adding them
shocking
to
your
your haul.
skin.
The
fire's
basket's
coals
getting
pulse,
heavy,
and you
tugging
add
at
another
your shoulder,
stick,
but you're
its
not
crackle
done.
a soft
A
companion.
good forager knows
You
when to
think of
push
the
on
buck's
and when to
meat
head
now
back.
eaten,
The
and
sun's
the tunic you
nearing its
crafted,
peak,
keeping the clan
warming your
warm.
back as you work.
Healing's
You find
another
a patch
thread
of clover,
mending bodies,
its leaves
as you
tender
mended
enough to eat
spears.
raw. You nibble
Each
one.
task
Its mild
building the
flavor a
clan's
nice
future.
change from the leek's bite.
You glance at
So
the
you gather a
painted deer,
handful,
its
thinking of
spear,
the kids
a
who will
nod
munch
to the
them like
hunt,
candy.
and know this
Foraging's
pace
slow
is
work,
another victory.
but it's satisfying.
Small, but
Each
vital.
find a piece of the
Grug
clan's
snores
survival
hitch,
puzzle.
and you pause,
You're not
half
just
expecting him
gathering
to
food,
stumble over,
You're gathering
offering healing
security,
advice like
a
eating
buffer
dirt.
against the lean days.
He settles, and you chuckle,
As you head back toward
imagining
the
him
cave,
trying to chew
you take a
yarrow
detour past
and
a
spitting it
fruit-heavy
out,
elderberry
whining about the
bush.
taste.
The dark
You'd
berries
scare the
tempt you,
spirits.
but you
mutter,
hesitate too many
rechecking the
raw,
wrap.
and you'll be
The
sprinting
hunter's
for the
breathing
bushes.
steadier, the herbs
You pick a
working,
few,
and
planning
you feel
to dry
a
them
quiet
for
pride,
later.
not loud,
The forests
like
taught
Grug's
you
boasts,
patience, a
but
lesson
deep
you're still
anchoring
learning.
you to this duty.
You glance at the sky,
You think of the
judging the
stories you
time.
told the
Clan
migration
will be
you
waiting,
planned,
hungry for
and
your
know
haul,
this healing
and the
keeps
rabbit
the
from
clan
earlier.
moving forward.
You adjust
grab
the
another
basket,
handful of yarrow,
feeling its
preparing
weight,
a small
and start the
pouch for
trek
tomorrow,
home.
in case
The
the wound
forest's
needs
hum
more.
fading behind you.
The traded herbs
You're
are
back
a
at the
gift.
cave now,
Their
the
scent
forest's
blending
bounty
with the
tucked
cave's
safely
smoke.
in your basket.
And you think of the
rabbit
baskets
still
now
swinging
ready
from your
for
belt.
the migration.
The sun's
Every
climbing,
task
casting
connects
long
hunting,
shadows
trading,
across the rocky
painting,
clearing,
guarding into this
and the
moment,
clan's buzzing with
caring
morning
for
tasks.
one of your own.
Your next
You
job
tie
is to
the
craft
pouch with
tools
a
sharp,
vine,
reliable
your fingers
ones to keep the
deft from
clan
stitching,
fed, clothed,
and set it
and
by
safe.
the hunter.
You settle on a
it's
flat
close
stone
for
near the
morning.
cave's mouth.
The cave's shadows
The air
deepen
sharp
the
with the
fire's
scent
glow,
of smoke and
faint
earth.
but holding.
Your hands are
You
already
think of the
itching
kids
to work,
asleep with their
to
reed
turn raw
mats,
flint into
and
something
the elders
deadly.
trusting your care.
This isn't just
The night's
busy work.
deep, the forest alive
In this
outside,
world, a dull blade
but
means
you're
an
content,
empty
the
stomach,
clan's heartbeat
or
in
worse.
every breath.
You grab a
You
chunk of
glance at your
flint from a
spear
pile
ready
the
for the
clan
next
scavenged,
watch, and your
its
knife
glassy
sharp
surface
from
cool
crafting.
against your palm.
The healing's
The stone's
done for now,
heavy,
the hunter
full
resting,
of potential,
and you feel the
but its
day's
stubborn
rhythm,
one wrong
hunting,
strike,
teaching,
and it'll shatter into
chanting,
useless
woven
shards.
into this quiet act.
Mainstream
The cave,
archaeology
a fortress
shows
you've
that
helped
early
build.
humans,
You
like
stand
those
stretching
in the upper
and check the fire
Paleolithic,
pit outside its embers,
mastered
low,
flint napping,
but alive.
creating razor-sharp
You
blades
add a
for
stick,
hunting and
its smoke
cutting.
curling, and
You
glance
select
at
a
the
hammerstone,
the
a
hunter's
smooth river
star
rock
from your
that fits your
ritual
grip,
still guiding.
and start tapping,
The migration
testing
looms,
the flint's weak
but
points.
this healing, this care,
Flakes chip
makes
off,
the clan stronger
glinting
for it.
in the sunlight like
You
tiny
settle
obsidian
back on the
tears.
wolf pelt spear close,
Here's a quirky tidbit.
and let the fires hum.
Some
anchor you
archaeologists
the
found
night's
evidence that
dangers held at
Neanderthals
bay.
might via use birch
The
tar as
clan's
glue to
safe,
fix stone
their
tips to
future in
wooden
your
spears.
hands.
Prehistoric
ready to
superglue
dawn,
cooked from
a
tree
promise
bark.
you'll carry
Imagine you,
forward with
hunched
every
over a
step.
smoky fire,
You're back in the cave,
stirring a gooey mess
the
like a
fire's
caveman
faint glow
chemist.
casting a warm
hoping it'll hold
flicker
your
over
spear
the sleeping
together.
clan. Their
You smirk,
snores
picturing
blending with
Grug
the
trying to
soft
improve
crackle
the
of coals
recipe
you've
and
kept
ending up
alive.
with tar in his beard.
The hunter you tended
Sticky
lies
situation.
still,
A
their
Grug?
wound
You mutter,
wrapped in
chuckling as
yarrow-soaked
you strike
hide,
the flint again,
breathing easier
sending
now.
another flake flying.
Your spear rests
The
against
rhythm
wall,
of napping
its
pulls
flint
you
tip sharp from
intact,
repairs,
crack,
and your knife
pause,
hangs at your neck,
assess,
a steady anchor.
now sculpting,
The
not
baskets
just
from
chipping,
the trade sit
aiming for a
stacked by
blade
the
thin
entrance,
enough to slice
ready for the
hide,
migration you
but
planned.
sturdy enough to scrape bone.
Now, as dawn
Historians
creeps
still
closer,
argue whether
you turn
toolmaking
to
was a
celebrating the
specialized
buck's
skill,
hunt, a dance
passed
to
down like
honor
a
the
trade
kill
or
that
something
fed
every
the
clan member learned. You're
You
no
grab
master,
a bundle of
but
reeds
you've got the
and
basics.
step into the clearing,
Learn
the
through
night
trial
air, sharp,
and plenty of
with
error.
pine and starlight.
Like that time
The
you thought
fire
a
pit
bigger
outside is
hammerstone
low,
meant faster
its
work
embers
spoiler.
pulsing from your watch.
It meant a smashed
and you
thumb
had a stick
and a week of
coaxing
grumbling.
a small flame to
A
light
kid
the
toddles
dance.
over, wide-eyed,
The
watching
clans
your hands.
stirring, drawn by the
You
crackle,
slow down,
and your
showing them
quiet
how to
hum,
angle the
a
strike.
chant from the ritual under the stars.
See, it's soft.
Mainstream
Let
archaeology
the stone
shows
do
that
the
early
work.
humans, like
You
those in
say,
the Upper
voice low,
Paleolithic,
like you're
used
sharing a
dance to
secret.
mark hunts or
The kid
seasonal
nods,
shifts,
mimicking you
strengthening
with a
bonds
pebble,
through
and you
movement and
grin.
rhythm.
Teaching's
You
part
tie
of survival.
reeds
Your
into a
clan's
loose
only as
crown,
strong as its
a
next
nod to the
generation.
forest's
You nudge
gift,
the kid back to
and
their
start
mom,
a slow step,
refocusing
your
on the
feet
flint.
soft on the
The
earth,
blade's taking
calling
shape,
the others to
its
join.
edge wickedly
Here's a
sharp.
quirky tidbit.
You test it on
Some
your arm
researchers
hair,
think
shaving a
Neanderthals
patch
might have
clean,
used
not
animal
bad.
skulls in
Caves
dances,
alive around you,
wearing
someone's
them to
pounding
channel the
roots,
prey's spirit.
and others hauling wood.
Picture you balancing
You
a deer
glance at your
skull
basket,
like a
the
caveman
leeks and
performer,
berries from
while
earlier
Grug
peeking
tries
out,
to wear one
a reminder
and
of the
trips
morning's
knocking
haul.
over the fire pit.
Tools like this blade
You
will help
smirk,
process that
muttering,
food, turning
"Keep
tough roots
snoring."
into something chewable.
Grug, glad he's still
You set
asleep
the finished
inside,
knife
not
aside
stealing the show.
and grab another flint.
You toss the reed crown
This time
to a
aiming
kid
for a scraper
who's
to
wandered
clean
out their
hides.
eyes wide, and
The
they slip
process
it on,
is slower,
giggling as they
more
mimic
precise.
your steps.
Each strike
The
a
dance
gamble.
is for the buck,
A
but
bad
it's for
one
the
sends a
clan,
crack
too,
spidering through
celebration
the
of
stone,
life.
and you
You
groan.
sway arms raised,
Come on,
mimicking
don't
the
betray me
deer's
now,
leap from
you
the hunt.
whisper, half
Your
joking.
shadow dancing on the cave
The sun's
walls,
heat
painted
prickles
deer.
your back, and you
The
wipe
kids
sweat
join
from
their
your
small
brow,
feet,
smearing
stomping,
dirt across your
and
face.
a hunter roused from sleep
You don't care
adds
you're a
low
walking
drum beat
canvas of grime
with a
out
bone
here.
on a hide.
A bird screeches
Historians
nearby, and
still
you
argue
pause,
whether these dances
scanning
were
the tree
spiritual
line.
or social,
No
meant to
threats,
honor spirits,
just the
or
forest's
just unite the
usual
group.
chatter.
But you feel
Still,
both the buck's
you
life,
keep your spear
the
close,
clan's joy.
its tip glinting beside
You think of the meal
Tools
you
aren't
cooked,
just for work.
the venison's richness,
They're your
and the
defense
furs
against
you
a
laid,
world that
all
doesn't play
tied to this
fair.
moment the hunt's triumph
You
alive
remember
in every
that
step.
fox from the hunt,
The fire
sleek
flares
and cunning,
as you add another
a
stick.
good scraper
It's
could turn
like
its pelt
catching the
into a
kids'
kid's
reed
cloak.
crowns, their
You
faces
switch
bright
to a
with
smaller
laughter.
hammerstone,
You lead them
aiming
in a
for
circle,
finer
chanting
flakes.
softly the
The
same
scraper's edge
wordless hum
curves,
from the ritual.
perfect for stripping
A
fat
kid
from
trips,
hides.
giggling, and you catch them
You
whispering.
test it on a scrap
Keep
of deer
moving.
skin, the
Little
blade
deer.
gliding smooth,
They laugh, joining
leaving a
again,
clean surface.
and you feel that teaching weight,
Satisfaction
like when you
hums
showed them
through
to
use.
paint or heal.
This tool's a keeper.
The dance is
You
a
add
lesson,
it to your pile,
teaching rhythm,
already
unity,
picturing the clan's gratitude
heartbeat.
when they're not
You
wrestling
think of the
with
baskets
dull blades.
ready for
You're
migration,
not just making tools,
and know
you're
this
making
joy
life
will
easier,
carry them through.
one chip at a time.
An elder
Shadow
shuffles
falls
out,
over
leaning
you,
on a
Grug,
stick, and joins
looming
their
with his
steps,
usual mix
slow
of
but sure,
curiosity and bad
adding a
ideas.
high, wavering chant.
Make me a bigger knife.
The sound
he
weaves
says, flexing
with the drum
like it'll
beat,
impress the
and
flint.
you feel the clan's
You roll
past
your eyes,
and
tossing
future
him a
collide
pebble.
the buck's gift.
Bigger,
binding
ego
you all.
first, maybe.
You think of the
He laughs,
spear-throwing
but
practice,
you're
how
only
it
half
honed your
kidding.
aim, and the tools
You hand him a
mended
flint to
ready
try,
for the next hunt.
knowing he'll botch it.
The dance's rhythm
Sure enough,
mirrors
his
the
first
day
strike
hunting,
splits the
crafting,
stone
healing,
clean in half.
and you sway arms,
You snort.
sweeping,
Nice
mimicking
one,
the
Grug.
spear's arc that
That's a
felled the
great
buck.
doorstop. He
The
grumbles,
kids copy
but
their
sticks
movements,
around,
wild
watching
but
you work.
eager, and you grin.
The pile
their energy
grows
a
to
spark.
knives, a scraper,
night's deep,
and a
the
half-finished
stars
point for a
bright,
spear.
and you glance
Your
at the
hands
hunter's
ache,
star from
knuckles
your ritual.
scraped from stray
it's light
flakes,
a guide for the
but
migration.
it's a good ache, the kind
You think
earned.
of the trade,
Stretch,
the basket
feeling the kinks
strengthening
in
your
your
plan,
shoulders.
and the yarrow
The clan's
paste
tools
that
are your
eased
legacy.
the hunter's pain.
Proof you're pulling your weight.
Every task connects
glance at the
hunting,
kids
painting,
playing nearby,
chanting into this
one
dance,
pretending to nap
a
with a stick.
celebration of survival.
Maybe they'll be better than
You
you
twirl
someday.
a kid, their reed
For
crown
now,
slipping
you're
and
the one
laugh,
keeping
joking.
the blades sharp.
You're a better
You
deer
wrap
than
up as the
Grug.
sun nears its
The
peak.
clan
The
chuckles,
clearing
even the
now
elder,
bathed in
and
golden
you feel
light.
the cave's warmth, a
You
haven
gather
you've
your
helped
tools,
build. A
tucking them
wolf's
into a
howl
leather
cuts
pouch,
through distant,
careful not to
but
nick
sharp,
yourself.
and you pause.
The flint's
spear,
edges are
close
traitors
scanning
if you
the
get
dark.
careless. You
The
stand,
kids freeze,
brushing
but you
dust
nod,
from your knees,
resuming the
and
dance.
head
your
toward the
steps
cave
firmer.
to stash your haul.
We're louder
The
than
clan's
wolves,
waiting,
you say,
their tasks
and they
piling
laugh,
up,
stomping,
ingredients to
harder.
scrape, food to
The fire's light pushes
Your
back
tools
the
will
night,
make their work
and you
smoother.
think of the shelter you
Maybe
patched,
earn you
its
an extra
logs
berry
holding
or two
firm.
tonight.
The
You
dance
pause
is
at the cave's
defiance,
mouth,
a claim on this
glancing back
moment,
at your
this
work spot.
life.
The
You add a
ground's
stick
littered
to
with
the fire
flint
pit,
flakes,
its flames
a
flaring,
glittering record of
and
your
lead
morning.
the clan in
You
a
feel
faster
a quiet
circle.
pride,
The drum
not
beat,
the loud kind
quickening
grub
the
chases,
chant rising.
but
You
the
weave
kind
in the
that settles
story of
deep.
the hunt.
You're not
Your
just
steps
surviving, you're
mimicking
building
the
one
river's
tool
bend,
at a time.
the deer's
A life
bolt,
for this clan.
the spear's flight.
The forest
The
hums
kids
beyond,
follow one
calling
pretending
you
to
to the
throw a
next
spear,
task.
and you wink,
But for now,
remembering their pebble
you're
tracking
content,
game.
ready to hand over your
The
blades
elders'
and see what the
chant
day's got
softens,
next.
guiding the dance to a slower
You're back in the
rhythm,
forest,
and you feel
the
the
rabbit
clan's
from your
pulse
earlier hunt
strong
still
and
dangling
steady.
from your belt.
You think of the
But
painted
now your
deer,
focus shifts
its
to gathering
ochre lines a
nature's
memory,
pantry.
and the furs
The sun's
you laid,
higher,
keeping the kids
burning
warm.
off the morning mist.
This
And
dance
the air's
is a
thick with
story,
the scent of
a
pine
prayer,
and damp
a
earth.
promise for the journey
Your basket
ahead.
swings at your
The
side,
fire's
half
lower
filled
now,
with those tart
coals
strawberries.
pulsing, and you slow
you
the
need more
dance,
roots,
guiding the kids
nuts,
back to their
anything to
furs.
stretch the clan's
Their
meals.
yawning crowns
The
askew,
forest is generous,
and you help them
but
settle,
it's also a
tucking
maze of
pelts
risks.
around them.
Thorns,
The elder sits
snakes,
humming softly,
or worse,
and you nod
a
grateful
rival
for their
clan
voice.
eyeing the same bounty.
You think of the buck's
You
bones
step
now
lightly,
tools,
eyes darting,
and the
every sense
basket's
tuned
ready
to
for
the wild's
migration.
rhythm.
The
You
dance
weave
is
through
done,
towering ferns,
but its energy
their
lingers,
fronds brushing
tying
your
the
shoulders
clan
like
to the
nosy
hunt
neighbors.
to each other.
The ground's a
You settle
carpet
by
of
the
moss
fire
and
pit
fallen
spear,
leaves,
close,
cushioning your
and
steps.
feel a quiet pride.
Mainstream
the clan's
archaeology
joy, a
confirms
flame
that
you've
early
kindled.
humans,
You glance at the
especially
cave,
during
its
the
entrance
Paleolithic,
strong, the
relied
painted
heavily
deer
on
watching.
foraging.
The night's
With
deep,
plant
the
foods
forest
making up a
alive.
huge chunk of
But
their
you're
diets,
content. The
sometimes
fire's hum
more than
anchoring
meat.
you.
You
Your
spot a
knife
patch
sharp,
of wild
your
leeks,
spear
their green
ready,
tips
and
poking
the
through the
clan's
soil.
safe.
Kneeling, you
Their
dig with
future
a sharpened
bright from
stick,
your work.
unearthing
You
their
think of the
bulbous
kids,
roots.
their small hands
The smell's
dancing,
sharp,
learning, and
almost
the elders, their
eye-watering,
chants
but
carrying
you know
wisdom.
they'll add flavor to
The
tonight's
migration
meal.
looms.
Here's a quirky tidbit.
But this dance, this
Some
moment
evidence suggests
strengthens you all.
Neanderthals might have used certain
You lean
plants,
back the stone,
like
cool
chamomile,
against your
for
spine,
more than just food,
and let the night's quiet
possibly as a
wrap you
crude
the
tea to
dawn,
calm
a
nerves
promise
or
you'll carry
aid sleep.
forward. You're back
Picture
in the
you
cave,
prehistoric
the fire's
forager
embers casting a
extraordinaire,
gentle glow
steeping
across
leaves
the
in
stone
hot water
walls,
like a Stone
where the
Age
ochre
barista.
deer from your painting
You
stands
chuckle,
proud.
imagining Grug
The
sipping
clan's
herbal
asleep,
tea,
their
and claiming
snores,
it makes him zen.
a soft rhythm
Yeah, right, Grug's
blending with
about
the
as zen
faint
as a
crackle
star
of
of war.
coals you've kept
Tuck a
alive.
few chamomile sprigs
Your
into your
spear
basket,
rests nearby,
just in case
its
the
flint
elders
tip,
want to experiment
sharp
later.
from repairs.
You
and
move
your
deeper
knife
into the
hangs at your
forest,
neck, a steady
spotting
weight.
a cluster of
The
hazelnuts nestled
baskets from
under
the
a shrub.
trade are stacked by the
You crack
entrance.
one open with a
the
rock,
hunter's wound
the
is
nutty
healing,
scent making your
and
mouth
the
water.
dance's joy still
Into
hums
the
in
basket
your
they go,
bones.
but not before you
Now,
munch a
as the
few,
night settles
savoring
deep,
the crunch.
it's time to drift off.
Foraging's not
dreaming
just
of
about
tomorrow's
survival, it's a
challenges.
treasure hunt.
Your body
Every
sinking
find,
into
a
the
small
wolf
win.
pelt you laid.
Historians still argue whether
You
early
adjust the
humans
fur,
planned
its
their gathering
warmth
routes or
wrapping
wandered
you,
opportunistically.
and let your mind
But you're
wander
methodical,
the cave's
sticking to
safety,
spots
a
the clans
quiet
raided
anchor.
before.
The air's
No sense
cool,
reinventing
tinged
the
with
wheel.
smoke, and the faint mint
basket.
from your belt.
A rustle in
remnant
the
of
bushes
morning's
stops you
forage.
cold. You
Your
grip
eyes
your
are
spear,
heavy. The
heart
day's
thumping.
work.
Could be a
Hunting,
deer,
crafting,
could be
healing,
trouble.
dancing,
You crouch,
settling into every
peering
muscle.
through the foliage, but it's just
Mainstream
a bird flitting
archaeology
away.
shows that early
You exhale,
humans, like
shaking
those in
your
the
head,
Upper
getting
Paleolithic,
jumpy.
likely
Huh? You
dreamed
mutter.
vividly their
Half to
sleep
yourself,
shaped by the day's
half to the
survival
forest.
tasks.
The
Perhaps
wilds taught
processing
you
hunts
paranoia as a
or
survival
dangers
skill,
through restless
but it doesn't
visions.
mean you enjoy the adrenaline
You close
spikes.
your eyes, the fire's
straighten,
glow seeping through
scanning
your
for
lids,
more goodies,
and picture
your basket
the bucks
growing heavier
chase
with
its
leeks,
antlers flashing
nuts,
in the dawn you
and
met
a
it.
handful of
Here's a quirky
blackberries you couldn't
tidbit.
resist.
Some researchers
The blackberries
think
are a
Neanderthals
risk
might
thorny
have used
brambles
dream
guard them
sharing
like
as a
nature's
social
barbed
tool,
wire.
recounting
Reaching,
visions
wincing
to
as a
guide
thorn
hunts
nicks your finger.
or rituals,
Blood
like a
beads and you suck it
prehistoric
clean,
therapy session.
grumbling about nature's patriot
Picture you
policy.
waking to tell the clan about
Still,
a dream.
the berries
where
are
Grug
worth it.
wrestles a bear
Their sweetness
and
a rare
loses only
treat.
for him to
Imagine the
insist
kids'
he'd win in
faces
real
stained
life.
purple and grinning when you bring
smirk,
these back.
muttering "Dream on, Grug."
You pick carefully,
glad he's snoring
filling a
across
corner
the
of
cave,
the basket,
not hogging
leaving
your fur.
room for more.
You fluff
The
the
clan's
pelted
picky
softness,
eaters looking at
a
you.
contrast to the
Grug will
stone,
have to deal with
and let
whatever
the
you
fire's
haul home.
hum pull you
Spot a
toward
gnarled
sleep.
root sticking
the
out of the
clan's
soil while
warmth
parsing
holding
it,
you.
maybe.
Your mind
You
drifts
dig
to
the
the
earth
hunt,
crumbling under
replaying
your
the river's
fingers
bend,
and
the
yank it
deer's
free.
bolt, your spear's
It's
arc.
ugly,
The dream
knobby,
shifts the
but
forest
edible
alive with
once
tracks.
roasted.
Some
You
deer,
toss it in,
some wolf,
brushing dirt
some
from your
unfamiliar.
hands.
You
The
follow them,
forest's
your
a grocery
steps
store
light the
with no
spear,
labels, and
weightless
you're
in your
learning
hand.
on the fly what's safe.
Historians still argue
Last
whether
week,
early
someone
human
ate a dodgy
dreams were
mushroom and
practical
spent the night
processing
regretting
survival or
You smirk,
spiritual connecting to
remembering
ancestors
Grug's dramatic
or
groans
spirits.
echoing through the cave.
In your dream,
Lesson
the hunter's
learned,
star from your
stick to what
ritual
you know.
shines above, guiding
A distant
you.
howl
And you feel
freezes
the
you.
clan's pulse, their
Wolves,
trust
maybe?
carrying you through the
Or just
wild,
the wind playing
just like the
tricks.
migration you
Tighten
planned.
your grip on the
The
spear,
cave's
scanning the
shadows
trees.
flicker in your mind.
The
The
forest's
painted deer
beauty
running
hides its
alongside
teeth
you,
predators,
its ochre
poison
lines
plants,
blurring
or a
into the
slip into a
forest.
hidden ravine.
You see the
You
kids,
move toward a
their
clearing,
reed crowns
where
from
sunlight
the dance,
pools like
laughing
liquid
as they
gold.
chase a rabbit.
There,
like the
you
one
find
you caught at
dandelion
dawn.
greens.
The
Their
dreams
jagged
vivid,
leaves a familiar
the forest
sight.
scent sharp.
You pluck a
and you
bunch,
smile, even in
knowing
sleep,
they're bitter
knowing
but
these visions are the
nutritious.
clan's life.
The elders
Hunting
swear by
teaching,
them, claiming they
dancing,
clean the
woven
blood,
into your rest.
whatever that means.
You shift on the pelt.
You pause
the
by a
stone's
stream
coolness
to rinse
fading
your
and
hands,
sink
the
deeper.
water icy
The
against your
fires
skin.
crackle. A lullaby
A fish
tying
darts
you to the
past,
cave.
too quick to catch,
A wolf
but it
howls in
reminds
your
you to
dream,
check the clan's
echoing
fish
the one
traps
from your
later.
watch. But
For
you're
now,
unafraid.
you focus
your
on
spear
plants.
steady.
You spot a cluster
You
of
see
wild
the
garlic.
baskets filled with berries
Its pungent
and
smell
herbs
unmistakable.
from your forage.
You dig up a
carried
few
south
bulbs,
to the
adding
new
them to your
cave.
haul.
The dream shifts
The basket's
again.
getting heavy,
The clan dancing
tugging
under
at your
starlight.
shoulder, but you're not
Their
done.
steps a rhythm you feel
A
in
good
your
forager
chest.
knows when to push on
You think of
and
the
when to head
yarrow
back.
paste you applied
The
to
sun's
hunters'
nearing its
eased
peak,
breathing.
warming
and the
your
tools
back
you
as
mended,
you work.
all part of
You
this
find a
vision,
patch of clover,
this life.
its leaves tender enough
The dream's
to
a
eat raw.
story,
You
like the
nibble
one you told by
Its
the
mild
fire,
flavor and
binding
ice
you to the
change from the
clan's
leek's
past
bite.
and future.
You gather a
Your
handful,
breathing slows,
thinking of
matching
the
the
kids who will munch
clan's.
them like candy.
And you see the river from the hunt.
Foraging's slow
its
work,
water sparkling.
but it's satisfying.
You wade
Each
in the
find
cold,
a piece of the
biting
clan's
your legs,
survival puzzle.
and find a fish
You're not just
silver
gathering
and
food,
quick, like the ones
you're gathering
you planned to trap.
security, a buffer
The dream's
against the
gentle
lean
now.
days.
The forest softening.
As you head back
and you
toward
feel
the
kids'
cave,
small
you take a
hands learning to
detour
weave,
past a
to
fruit-heavy
paint, to
elderberry
heal.
bush.
You think of
The
the
dark
trade,
berries
the
tempt you,
baskets, a
but you
promise for the
hesitate too many
migration,
raw,
and the
and
rituals,
you'll be sprinting
sage
for the
and
bushes.
smoke, curling like your thoughts.
You pick a few,
Every
planning to
task,
dry them for
hunting,
later.
crafting, chanting,
The forests
lives in
taught
this
you
dream,
patience,
a
a lesson
tapestry
you're
of
still
survival.
learning.
Grug
You glance
snores
at the
break
sky,
through loud,
judging
even
the
in
time.
your dream.
The clan
and
will
you
be
see him
waiting,
comically
hungry for your
chasing
haul,
a deer
and
with
the
a
rabbit
broken
from earlier.
spear, tripping over
You
roots.
adjust the basket,
You
feeling
laugh
its
the
weight,
sound
and start
silent
the
in
trek
sleep.
home.
And the
The
dream
forest's
shifts,
hum fading
showing
behind
the
you.
cave's entrance.
You're back at the
strong
cave now,
from your
the
repairs.
forest's bounty tucked
You feel
safely
a
in your
quiet
basket,
pride, not loud.
the rabbit still
like Grug's
swinging from your
boasts,
belt.
but deep anchoring
The sun's
you to this
climbing,
life.
casting long
The
shadows
stars
across
fade,
the rocky
the
clearing,
forest blurs,
and the
and you
clan's
sink
buzzing
deeper.
with morning tasks.
The wolf pelt.
Your
warm
next
the
job is
fire's
to
hum,
craft
a steady
tools sharp,
guide.
reliable
The
ones
clan's
to keep the
safe, their
clan
future
fed,
in your dreams,
clothed,
and you let
safe.
sleep take you fully.
You settle on
The
a
night's
flat
deep,
stone
the
near the
cave a
cave's
haven,
mouth,
and your dreams
the air
soften,
sharp
the
with the
images
scent
slowing.
of smoke and earth.
You see the kids asleep
Your hands
with their
are
mats,
already itching
and
to
the
work,
elders, their
to
faces
turn
calm.
raw flint into
The
something
buck's
deadly.
antlers fade, replaced
isn't
by
just
a
busy
warm
work.
valley, the one you
In
mapped
this
for
world,
migration.
a dull blade means
You
an
walk
empty
its spear
stomach,
in hand,
or
the
worse.
clan behind you.
You grab
Their
a chunk of
voices,
flint
a
from a
soft
pile the
chant.
clan scavenged.
The dream's a promise,
Its glassy
a vision
surface
of tomorrow,
cool against your palm.
and you feel the fire's
The
glow,
stone's heavy,
the painted
full
deer,
of potential,
the baskets all
but its
holding
stubborn
you.
one wrong strike,
The forest's
and it'll
hum
shatter
fades,
into useless
and you're
shards.
content, the clan's heartbeat in
Mainstream
every
archaeology
breath.
shows
As
that
sleep
early
deepens,
humans,
your thoughts
like
grow
those
quieter,
in the Upper
the day's
Paleolithic,
weightlifting,
mastered
the hunt,
flint
the
napping,
art,
creating
the
razor-sharp
dance, the
blades
healing,
for
all
hunting and
blend
cutting.
into a gentle haze.
You select
The
a
cave's
hammerstone,
warmth,
a
wrapping
smooth
you
river
like a fur.
rock that fits your grip,
The stars from
and
your
start
ritual
tapping,
linger
testing
their
the
light
flint's
soft,
weak points.
and you feel the clan's
Flakes
trust,
chip off,
their dreams
glinting in the
entwined
sunlight
with
like
yours.
tiny obsidian tears.
The migration looms,
Here's a
but
quirky
it's
tidbit.
distant now. A path
Some
you'll walk
archaeologists found
together,
evidence that
fire's
Neanderthals might be
coals
used
pulse
birch
a
tar as
faint
glue
rhythm,
to fix stone
and you
tips to
sink into
wooden
the pelt.
spears.
The
Prehistoric
stone's coolness
superglue cooked
gone,
from
the
tree
night
bark.
a cocoon
Imagine
holding you safe.
hunched over a
Your
smoky
breathing
fire,
slows, the cave
stirring a
sounds
gooey gooey mess like a
and
caveman
you drift
chemist,
the dream,
hoping
now
it'll
a
hold your
vast,
spear
warm
together.
quiet.
You smirk,
kids'
picturing
laughter,
Grug trying
the
to
elders'
improve the
chants,
recipe and
the
ending up
buck's
with
gift,
tar in his
all
beard.
dissolve into a soft
Sticky
hum,
situation.
like the fire's
A Grug?
crackle, like the
You mutter,
forest's pulse.
chuckling as you strike
You
the
are not
flint
alone.
again.
The clan's
sending
with
another
you.
flake
Their
flying.
strength in your dreams.
The rhythm of
their
napping
future
pulls
in
you
your hands.
in tap,
The spear's
crack,
ready.
pause,
The knife
assess.
sharp.
Now
The
sculpting,
cave
not
strong.
just chipping,
And you're at
aiming
peace.
for a blade thin
The
enough to
night's
slice
embrace, a
hide,
promise of
but
dawn.
sturdy enough to
A
scrape
new
bone.
day to carry
Historians
forward.
still argue
You're
whether
deep in
tool
sleep
making
now.
was
The
a
wolf
specialized
pelt,
skill,
cradling you.
passed down like a
cave's
trade
warmth,
or
a
something
gentle
every
hug.
clan member learned.
The fire's
You're no
embers
master,
glow softly.
but you've got the
Their faint
basics.
crackle a whisper in the
Learn
quiet
through
night.
trial and
Your
plenty of
dreams
error.
are calm. The forest's
Like
hum,
that time you
a
thought a
distant
bigger
lullaby,
hammerstone meant
blending
faster
with the
work
clan's
spoiler.
snores.
It meant a
Their steady
smashed
breaths,
thumb
a
and a
rhythm
week of grumbling.
safety.
A
The
kid
painted
toddles
deer
over,
watches over
wide-eyed,
its ochre
watching your
lines
hands.
fading into your
You
mind's
slow
haze.
down,
A memory
showing them how
of
to
the
angle
hunt,
the strike.
the dance, the life you've built.
See, it's soft.
The stars from your
Let the
ritual
stone do
twinkle,
the work.
faintly guiding you through
say,
a peaceful
voice
valley.
low,
The
you're
migration's
sharing a
promise no
secret.
longer heavy, but
The
soft,
kid nods,
like the furs
mimicking
you laid.
you with a pebble.
You see
and
the
you grin.
kids, their small
Teaching's
hands
part of
clutching
survival.
reed
Your
mats,
clan's only as
and the
strong as
elders,
its next
their
generation.
faces
You
serene,
nudge the kid back to their
trusting
mom,
your work,
refocusing
hunting,
on the
crafting,
flint.
healing,
The blade's
guarding.
taking shape,
The
its edge
baskets wait
wickedly
ready
sharp.
for the journey, and the
You
yarrow
test it on your
scent
arm hair,
lingers soothing
shaving a
even
patch
in
clean,
sleep.
not bad.
The
Cave's
cave's a
alive
haven,
around you, so
its
one's
walls
pounding
strong
roots,
from your repairs.
another's hauling wood.
The fire a
You
heartbeat
glance at
you've
your
kept
basket,
alive.
the
You
leeks and
shift the
berries
pelt
from
warm,
earlier peeking
and
out.
let the night's
a
quiet wrap
reminder
you
of the
tighter.
morning's haul.
The forest's dangers
Tools like this
far
blade
away.
will help process that
The
food,
spear's beside
turning
you,
tough
the
roots
knife
into
at your
something
neck.
chewable.
But there's
You
still
set
now
the finished
their work
knife
done
aside
for today.
and grab another flint.
The clan's safe.
This time aiming
their
for a
dreams
scraper to
entwined
clean
with
hides.
yours. A tapestry
The process
of
is
survival
slower,
woven through
more
every
precise.
task. You
Each
breathe
strike
slower,
a gamble.
deeper.
A bad one
The
sends
day's
a
weight
crack
gone,
spidering through
replaced
the
by
stone,
a gentle
and
certainty
you
the
groan.
clan will rise.
Come on,
Move,
don't
thrive.
betray me now. You
The
whisper,
stars
half
fade.
joking.
The fire's hum softens.
The sun's
and
heat
you sink
prickles your
fully into
back,
sleep.
and you wipe
The
sweat
cave's
from your brow,
embrace, holding
smearing
you the
dirt
dawn.
across your face.
A whisper of hope.
You don't
waiting
care you're a
just
walking
beyond the
canvas
night's
of
edge.
grime out here.